It's mostly thanks to that last game, Jason, on Miramar, where they got themselves the chicken dinner. Well, actually,
No, they didn't.
They didn't. I was like, because it should have been a chicken dinner. I was like, they got it, but no, actually, they did not get the chicken dinner. They failed the 1v2 versus the final player of Vengeance. But outside of that little bit of a fumble, let's call it, Jason, it was a very, very solid game, clearing all of the teams trying to exit out of El Azahar. They knew they had such a good, strong position in the circle at that point. They made full use out of it with that 2-2 split. Then again, that little fumble at the end. But I think Getzeroy here has been stepping up significantly in terms of how they rotate. They get in strong positions quite often. They are struggling when it comes to fight every once in a while because, well, IWNRX and Nigma Galaxy are currently just popping off. But I would say Getzeroy right now could be a big surprise going into today. They're in 5th position. They are in reach of a top 3 spot. So I'm telling you, man, they are looking like they could be contending for spot in the grand finals if they keep improving at this pace.
And it was still so impressive to see IWNRX at the top of the table with 0 chicken dinners and having 35 placement points. They're 10 placement points behind Nigma Galaxy, and Nigma Galaxy have 2 chicken dinners. Like that's insane.
I don't know what to say about IWNRX. We knew they were just absolute machines coming into this, and as of right now, Z-Wolf, if he pretty much has the same kind of result as A1 Day 2 in terms of fragging potential, in terms of total limbs, he could be tying Nomi, maybe even overtaking Nomi's current record in week 1 for group yellow in terms of in the group stage.
Hello, Assalamualaikum.
Yeah, Z-Wolf is the absolute package as a fragger, and this guy, he's going to
extremely far out of reach of top 11 at the moment. You can see there's a 20-point gap between 14th and 15th place. In my eyes, if they want to get top 11, because for me, top 3 to be out of the books for them, they have to start performing today, or if they maintain this position they're currently at the end of the day, Hot Jukes, I'm going to say, yeah, those 2 teams are out.
Without a doubt. I mean, Furia, I don't know what's been going on for these past 2 days. These guys just can't seem to win a fight to save their lives, and it's so brutal to watch because during PMSL, this team was such a strong... They had so much potential, but just to give you an example of how rough it's been, I mean, this team in past 2 days have done 5,518 damage combined as a team.
That's less Z-Wolf has.
That's less than Z-Wolf had by himself. Okay, that just goes to show you the difference from the bottom all the way to the top there. And man, they have to go crazy. And IHC is in the same position really because if these guys don't pop off today, they're going home.
I mean, we had on the interview, right, Jukes, them talking about they want to play more aggressive today for the side of IHC, which you need to at this point. If you want to make struggle to reach the top 3, they need to step it up big time. IHC, we know what they did for so many of the players back in PMGC last year. Sure, the placement points, they're going to be low. It's IHC, it's what we expect, but IHC really need to start to take those fights. It's what really made them stand out last year. And the fact that they are looking so passive now is just such a surprise to me. So go back to what was working last year. Go back to just completely destroying teams in the lobby, and you might be able to put your weight up in top 11.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, they're going to need to. And as we did take a look at our schedule today, it's going to be Sandhawk followed by Triple Aaron Gale, followed up by Double Miramar. It's going to be exactly the same way that we're going to be going about the entire time here. Of course, with Group Green still to come up next week, and then survival stage followed up by last chance thereafter. But before we can hop into our matches today, gotta remind you guys once again that the official phone here at PMGC 2024 is the Infinix GT20 Pro, which Maxman is going to show us on screen right now. It's 120 FPS and 144 hertz AMOLED screen. I knew he had it there. I knew it was going to be there. And Hot Jukes is still looking at it as if like, oh, come on.
There you go.
Where's mine? Give me one.
I want it.
Well, Hot Jukes, I heard there is a way you potentially could get one. Do you want to know how?
Tell me how.
And this is no way representative of PMGC and actually an offer out there. You guys can go follow all the official channels for PUBG Mobile. I don't know where I was going with this. On YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. If you follow us, you're not gonna get an Infinix GT20 Pro. I'll just tell you that right now. It's a little disclaimer. But it could help. You never know.
Never know.
You never know.
Say
also,
please.
you guys can still pick say please, $20. There's also some tickets available still for PMGC Grand Finals over in the UK on the 6th through 8th of December. You can go there. You can potentially meet some of the players. You can participate in some activities, watch the amazing games that are going to be happening. Not to mention, you get some sweet draws with in-game as well. So make sure you guys pick those up if you're in the area. Even if you're not in the area, do it anyways. Come see everything that's going to be happening. Come see who's going to lift that trophy this year. Will it be IHC? Probably not, but we'll see if it can bounce back today. I don't know why I'm hammering on them so hard. It's just so weird for me to see like S2G have a downfall after winning PMGC, IHC having a downfall after winning PMGC. The only team to not have a downfall after winning PMGC was Nova, because they did it back to back.
That's true. Yeah, I feel bad for talking on
that was a
S2G
long
and
time ago,
IHC, but it's true
Well,
right
Max,
now.
you did tell me one of the most disliked teams from you is S2G, right?
I
I'm kidding. I'm
Whoa,
just trying to bait him.
I was
into
like,
it.
did I? Wait, I don't remember saying this. This is weird.
Not out loud,
Where
at least.
Seven's on the desk, he will dive on that grenade and be like, "Yep, that was me actually."
Thank you.
He loves controversy. He loves getting angry DMs. But gentlemen, as we do obviously head towards our day of action here, I'm curious if you guys are to expect any big changes to see Falcons. To be honest, I mean, they've done okay. They're into survival stage at the moment, but they're not the Falcons that I remember, and they haven't hit that stride, I would say, even with the new roster of having East on the team yet.
I mean, Jason, when we're looking at Falcons results, they got 2 chicken dinners, which if you compare that to other teams in this group right now, that's really good, right? 2 chicken dinners is really solid. I'd even go to say that right now, those 2 wins we've seen have not been all that impressive. We had some great shots from Top yesterday in that Erangel game. That was fantastic engagement from him on those teams like TJB and the squad on the West. But right now, outside of those wins, Jason, I'm not really seeing too much from them. I'm not seeing these big flashy games. And the thing is, when you're looking at your IWNRX, your Enigma Galaxy, your I8, your Navi's DOS, so focused on getting a ton of elims almost every game, Falcons are just falling kind of behind. So right now, Falcons, I would say, elims, we know what they can do. Put a bigger emphasis on making it to the late game. I want to see some more top 5s, top 4s, top 3s. And if that happens, we know the eliminations are just going to come rolling right in.
Absolutely, yeah. You know what? Speaking of a team like I8, right? We're about to go into Sandhawk here. That's what we heard. You know, Seven talk to him and say that was their best map, and it's so crazy. You could just look and just see how well they've performed. 17 eliminations right there, 3,344 damage on the first day of Sandhawk. They did 7 total, and then on the second day they ended up even doing better. I think it was with 10. Yeah, 10 eliminations there. So if these guys could just continue that here on Sandhawk, they're going to be really, really set for the rest of the day.
For IA in particular, and Jason, is quite interesting when looking back to what was happening back in CSA.
Well,
Falak was the top frag of the team. It was completely undeniable. Falak was the top player in terms of elims for the team. That was it. The stats speaks for themselves. Actually, IQ, as of right now, on day 2, is out-fragging Falak. He is currently up to 22 for IQ and 20 for Falak. So IQ is the second top fragger behind Z-Wolf because everyone's behind Z-Wolf at this point. But currently IQ up there with Falak, that is just strengthening the fragging potential of this squad so much more in this game that they can just weather the storm in this lobby and be in top 3. And realistically, with the way they're playing, I think they're going to stay top 3 for a long period of time because that consistency is to be feared.
What worries me about them, if you look at our top 8 teams, they have the least amount of placement points outside of chicken dinners, except for TJB. TJB have 7, they have 12.
Yes,
they're stacked on eliminations, which obviously it's not bad, whatever, right? If you can frag out here, you're proving you can easily beat these teams when it comes to this close quarter combats or whatever kind of combat you're throwing off. But what I worry about for them is the consistency of placement points. I think might come back to hurt them, if I'm perfectly honest.
It could happen. I think we could agree on that, Jukes. It could definitely be an issue, but as of right now, I say that this playstyle is working great, and I think they can remain in top 3 thanks to it.
Yeah, it's working out perfectly for them right now, but that's the thing is, like I mentioned it yesterday, is we constantly see them that kind of have that all or nothing play style. Like we see them pop off with crazy eliminations and get a good solid game, or it's nothing, right? And I think if they could just kind of up that consistency a little bit more, I mean, we'll definitely see them, I think, up in that top 2.
I'm not sure about their all or nothing point there, because they got their worst game so far been a 9th place with 1 elimination and a 15th place with 0 elims. Outside of that is like 3 elims, 10 elims, 6 elims, 4 elims, 10, 4, 9. So like they are still racking points on their bad games, and we mentioned it many times. Your bad games are very important to see if you can stay relevant in a group. As of right now, that is the case for I8. So right now, as you said, Jason, if they can get more placement points, that would be a big positive. But the elims alone currently are enough. But you always want to try and get a bit more in these games, right?
I feel like if they can work on their placement points, this could be, which surprises me to say, a CCT, a championship caliber team. As we're going to dive into Sandhawk, our first map of the day. We're going to find out at the end of the day what teams will potentially be out of the running and what teams will still be gunning for that top 3 position. Let's throw it back to our casters here for the first time. John Allen and Blank, take it away.
Every team here with something to prove today here in Group Red, and we'll see who is going to step up to the mark and who's going to be left by the wayside. One path cuts through the middle. Nothing really special here on Sandhawk to kick things off. Let's see if we get hot drops or if teams are going to be able to finally extricate themselves from one another.
Yeah, I think honestly for a lot of our games, it has been teams being fairly okay, fairly safe here on Sandhawk. There has been maybe one or two elims coming through early. I actually think that our Miramars have been a lot hotter than our Sandhawk so far, which is a weird sentence to throw out here in day 3 of Group Red. But yeah, very, very exciting stuff that we're getting to watch here, because we do have a lot of teams who are streaking out towards that top side. Yesterday, unfortunately, on Miramar, it was awkward. It was awkward, John.
Virtus Pro, what is this drop? They're normally all the way over in Painan, but they've gone down to Camp Charlie. DJB have to adapt to this, Blank.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what they get up to. I don't think this is too out of the ordinary for Virtus Pro to try and take a split like this. You're right that they usually play in Painan, but they've not been finding a lot of success. And to be fair, for Virtus Pro, they got to make some special moves. They got to make some special plays going forward, because they are far behind the rest of PMSL EMEA inside of this lobby. But we know Virtus Pro is that team that is great on those last 2 days. That's where they turn up the heat. But we have some really consistent teams at the top, so it's going to be tough for Virtus Pro to catch up to them. But if you can get a good start here over on Sandhawk, that might be the game that you need. But you can see they're currently in 14th place with 53 points. Probably one of the final teams that I would say that has that chance today to get themselves into a secure position for survival stage. Maybe not in the top 3, but if you look at IHC Inferior at 33 points to 28, today's going to be really good for both these teams, just to even have a shot at staying in the conversation.
We saw the circle pop. It's going up northwest, Blank, and of course we remember what Alfrigo were able to do atop the mountain last time around. So controlling over the surrounding terrain. We're going to be seeing if the Galaxy can get back up to their compound in the foothills of that, and will we see a return to that northwest compound conflict that we saw? I think it was Team Queso taking a fight. I can't remember who the other team was in that instance, but it didn't go well for Team Queso, I believe, in that spot. A lot of early rotates came through last time. The same happens here.
Yeah, for Tongjiabao, they actually got themselves that chicken dinner yesterday on Sandhawk. And for Alter Ego, although I enjoyed some of that control that they showed on the high ground, it definitely felt like sand slipping through the fingers in those final 5 minutes for Alter Ego, where they couldn't control several teams at once, and they didn't really have that idea of what side to pick on. So Tongjiabao, I think they're going to go for something similar again on a instantaneous rotate up towards that northwest side. This is such an early rotate as well. I think a lot of teams might not be expecting this.
Thank you.
So
Where is
Navi's going to be prepared when this rotate comes through. They're currently heading over towards that southwest side of the island from ruins. So a quick one for Navi, as they did fall out from that top 3, but it has been a fierce battle between them and ASI 8. 83 points to 85 for ASI 8 currently to Navi. I think both these teams are pretty equally skilled at the moment.
Toe-to-toe on the tables as it stands. TJB, I mean, this is a bit interesting fact. TJB, they really weren't able to loot early because of that adjustment they had to make around Virtus Pro's stretch out towards Camp Charlie down on the south side. They didn't even really start looting until about minute two and a half. Which means that they'll move up. I mean, we saw for one of the TJB players, they have a helmet, very, very low on those meds. They're going to fall short of the river crossing for now. I wonder if they're going to have to try and trash loot along the way in the compounds that they spot, and that may indeed slow them down because they haven't gone for that cross. So full support to ASI.
Yeah, they actually stopped short, like you say. It's a interesting one. I think they're going to try and see if they can scout over towards that north side and see what's happening between teams that have already made their way in. Somewhat getting caught out by similar rotations to what they made yesterday. It's just a case of there is a lot of open spots on the map where I think this is one of the few lobbies that we've seen over the last year where you have teams playing over towards Docks, Lakawi, as well as Camp Bravo, as well as taken up down towards Camp Charlie and Sami. So the eastern side is quite populated, which means there's more space for teams to play over towards that northwest edge. I think in a lot of lobbies recently, more and more teams have decided that, you know what, playing around boot camp and kind of surrounding that area does actually give you a lot more control to siphon off players from other teams, basically.
I mean, we saw
Tanti
DXA
ki live
playing
na?
from that
Ha,
north
live
side
to.
of boot
Live
camp,
আছে
pushing
ভাই।
in and making Team Spirit's life pretty difficult. A lot of times, even sometimes at the cost of DXAV's performance themselves. But this time around, no one really pushing into the north side, and the Falcons definitely are having
Guys,
an
সবাই
easy time of
স্ট্রিমটাকে
getting across this water
লাইক দিয়ে
than
দেন,
Team
শেয়ার
Spirit
করে
did,
দেন,
and that's good
সাবস্ক্রাইব
news
করে
for
রাখেন।
Falcons Force fans
আমরা
all
আরো
around
নতুন
the
নতুন
world,
এক্সাইটিং
as
স্ক্রিম,
it seems like they will once more
তারপরে টুর্নামেন্ট
find
এগুলো সব
footing
নিয়ে আসবো।
in the
And
northwest
আপনারা সব
side.
আপডেট পেতে পারবেন
Vengeance, they're a
এনিমিক্যাল
little bit
মঙ্কের
behind back of the queue
ফেসবুক
here,
পেজে,
behind both
সাথে
Nick
ওয়াইটিতেও।
Galaxy and TJB on
আর
the
হচ্ছে
wait
প্রেডিকশন
to get
দিতে ভুলবেন না,
across
সবাই
this bridge.
প্রেডিকশন
This
দেন,
Na'Vi,
যাদের
they're still
কারেক্ট
holding quite far
প্রেডিকশন
south,
কারেক্ট
right?
হবে, মোস্ট অফ দ্য প্রেডিকশন যার কারেক্ট
Yeah, I
হবে
think Na'Vi playing on the
সেখান থেকে
southwest
টপ
side is
3
not
টু
a bad
5 কে
idea
আমরা
either.
প্রাইস পুল
I
দিব।
think it gives you options to
প্রাইস
rotate
পুলটা
over
এখন
towards the
অ্যানাউন্সড
northwest
হয়
side of
নাই,
the
বাট
map,
সুন
which
করব
is
আমরা।
smart. It's one of those things where for Na'Vi, in terms of positioning, this will give you a fair amount of opportunities in the near future, whilst also
এটা কি
giving you
ভয়েস
that
শোনা যায় না?
ability to scout out to the south side, which is very important to keep notes
Voice
on
is smooth and clear,
when teams
loud
start
and
to flow
clear.
through, because there is several priority
Loud and
compounds
clear.
down
Thank you,
towards
thank you.
the south side of this island, and Na'Vi wants to make sure that they have the pick of the litter
আরিফ ভাই
when
বলছে
it
যে
comes
বেশি
to
লাউড।
it.
না
Yeah,
যাইতেছে
more
হাই
our squads
সাউন্ড।
now moving out.
একটু
Tiamba,
কমাই দিও তো ভাই।
we
মানে
wanted
হচ্ছে
to see
20%
more
বেশি
from
দেওয়া।
this team, but 9th place right now on
maybe
68 points from what was
Listen,
After
yeah,
Ego
that's what I
Titan
was
বলছে
quality,
day
yeah, that's what
রাফিন
I
ভাই,
was.
let's see.
is a little bit
After Ego
disappointing.
can do
So
it.
both of our PL
Alter
teams
Ego.
and Tiamba as well as Tongji Bao not quite hitting the mark that a lot of us here
Oh,
over
sorry,
in
sorry. My bad,
PMGC
ভাই,
thought
alter
that they
ego. Hi,
would.
hi.
There's still half of the games left to go though, Blank, and what has been done in the
Purple
last 2
color
days
use
can be
কম
repeated
কেন হয়
by
জানেন?
different teams as well.
ভাই পার্পল
Vengeance
কালার ইউজ কম হয়, এটা তো ভাই আমি মানতে
closed
পারলাম
down
না।
yesterday with a Miramar game that
আমি
saw
তো
them
ভাই
up
যেদিকে দেখি
towards
ওদিকে
those
পার্পলই
survival
দেখি।
stages, but the team from Japan, a little bit of a surprise entry considering you had teams like Reject over in the region competing
সেই
against them,
ব্যাপার।
but still looking to make their mark here, get to those survival stages. They're going for a crossing now. Na'Vi actually on the move a little bit, so maybe a small timing opening here for Vengeance to get through, but they're still going to have to contend with the cannons and Na'Vi. Through the middle they go, they're cutting in front of the queue and into a crossfire potentially, as Punch is actually isolated on his hill. Vengeance have read that, have
বাট
diverted.
ফ্যালকন চিকেন নিলে কিন্তু
Decent
টপে চলে
position
যাবে।
could be theirs. I mean, the
ওইটাই
compound
দরকার।
at the top of the hill
ফ্যালকন
is still
টপে চলে
open.
যাবে।
The position that Enigma Galaxy played for so long
না
last
ভাই
time.
এসআই টপে যাবে আজকে।
Yeah, the fact that this is
Inshallah.
free is somewhat surprising for Avengers. I think even they're like, okay, but I guess we'll have this. That's absolutely fine with us. It's a strong position on the map. Hasn't quite confirmed down towards that south side just yet, but they'll be happy to play that one through. Tiamba suffering to Furia in the meantime, as well as Team Queso taking shots over towards Virtus Pro. So a lot of these crossings now coming into effect, as we know this is a northwest shift on the circle. So tons of teams are attempting to get their way on in. Enigma Galaxy start things off strong versus Tongji Bao. They rocked up behind them on the southern side. Not quite crossed the bridge yet, but Enigma Galaxy is looking to clear out teams. Virtus Pro is in the area,
Let's
and
go,
Team
Falcon,
Queso
let's
is
go,
not
let's see.
that far behind.
I eat
Big
chicken, হাবিব
surround
ভাই।
on the south side for Enigma Galaxy. TJB's short of
সবাই
the river crossing
স্ট্রিমে লাইক
may
দিয়ে
come
দেন,
back to bite them here.
শেয়ার
They've
করে
already
দেন
lost
ফ্রেন্ডসদের সাথে, যত বেশি
one of their
প্রেডিকশন হবে
players.
তত মজা হবে।
IHC, they were looking to be more aggressive, Blank.
এই
Out all
গ্রুপটা
the way
এন্ড
in the
গ্রুপ
blue by
গ্রিন,
Paradise Resort
যাদের
right now.
প্রেডিকশন
That's
সবচেয়ে
not
বেশি
really
হবে
what I would
তাদের
call
মধ্যে
aggressive. So we'll see if they are looking to
আমরা
crash into
এক্সাইটিং
a fight
প্রেজেন্ট অর গ্রিফট
and go
নিয়ে আসবো না,
a little bit helpful leather
সেটা
onto the
ফেসবুকে
first
পেজে
map
আমরা
of the
জানাই দেবো
day.
ইনিমিক্যাল মঙ্কের। সো কমেন্ট
Navigate
করতে
their
থাকেন,
way
প্রেডিকশন দিতে
around
থাকেন।
towards the north, and ASA8 currently holding that north bridge. Black. We've seen them up on this position on the northwest island ship before. You try and cross
Na'Vi
that bridge,
chicken,
they are
let's go.
so
Okay,
ready
bhai.
for
Check
it.
by,
Saw
let's
them pull
see.
out a lot of points from yesterday's Sandhawk.
Yeah, I think for Falak as well, he's an extremely strong player. They opt to put him over towards the eastern bridge instead of having him on that high ground. Tongji Bao still
আমার এক
holding their
বন্ধু
own
প্রচুর
right
কল
now
দিতেছে,
versus
বন্ধু তুমি
Getso
স্ট্রিমে
Roy.
থাকলে স্ট্রিমে
Melodious will find a rundown onto Action. And that fight still rages on between Tiamba as well as Furia. So for both teams, it's looking fairly dire as they haven't even
Big
really
love
escaped
from
from
heart.
Paris Resort just yet. Shan goes down.
বুক
It's
ভরা
an
ভালোবাসা।
unfortunate turn of events for Tiamba, and it seems like Fury have just been such a difficult weight for them to lift. To can't even get it off the ground at this point. Getso Roy maintaining the compound in the
আজকে
shadow of
ফুরিয়া
that
দেখাই দিবে,
mountain
ফুরিয়ার কামব্যাক
on
দেয়
the
নাকি।
east side here, protected
3
on
কিল
both
অলরেডি, বাট
flanks now.
একজন ম্যান
It's going to be
জিজি।
very difficult to get rid of them, but the circle may push them away. Shan
The
does
most expensive
get
car in the
flushed away.
world.
in the end. So I think it's just QZ left, Fortiamba out on that eastern side. IHC yet to make their push through. ASI8 still stopping everybody moving on that northeast side. And actually, a lot of these teams haven't even tried it. They're all on this south coast.
Yeah, it's a massive struggle now. Again, for Vengeance, it really did feel like the freest crossing in the entire world here. Team Queso coming against Falcons. They were able to get run down earlier over towards Action, but Falcons not going quietly into this one. It's over on that southeast side, and a hard shift on the circle over towards the north. Once again, really does assist ASI8. Now, Na'Vi, they don't take that compound over towards the eastern side, but this actually helps them a lot. And I still appreciate the fact they took the western side of the coast, and they've controlled so much of that ground. That's going to mean a nice, easy wrap on a western rotate here for them towards some of the compounds to the west of Hatin. Damn, it's just all popping off all day long here on the Sandhawk. 43 players and 14 teams, so a lot of teams still in this one, but a massive amount of casualties.
Papi Potro sends the vehicle out wide, has to hop out, leave it isolated. A nade onto the corner from east, maybe looking for the knock there, but it's
unknown to IMPL daily stream হবে আজকে ভাই আজকে হবে না আজকে রাতে 9টা বাজে একটা ফাইনাল আছে
and east wants to put another one in
আজকে কালকে তো এটার জন্য হবে না রিটার্ন দেখে আর কি স্ট্রিমগুলো করব
the door frame looks for another Papi Potro on a tear for Team Queso here, but Icy gets
যারা
the
যারা
heal
প্রেডিকশন
off the
দিচ্ছেন
medkit
খুব
comes
ভালো
through,
এখানে প্রেডিকশন
and
দিতে
health
পারেন
bar
বাট
keeps them
মেইন
alive.
প্রাইস
Falcons
পুলের
force
জন্য
with
প্রেডিকশন
three.
আইএনএম
They're on the outside.
ওয়াইটিতে
Virtus
দিতে
Pro,
হবে
আইএনএম
IWNRX
থেকে
both
বড়
looking to
ট্যুর
try and bear
আসবে
down
কি
upon this
সামনে
one, but
শেখ
Virtus
ভাই
Pro have
শেখ
bigger
আইএনএম এর অলরেডি
problems
তো
right
বড়
now
ট্যুর
with
রান
676 looking to try and push up towards
যেটা
Icy. A nade around the corner. The
ক্লাসের
cook is
জন্য
there, but it's on the wrong side
রানিং
of the
হইতেছে
tree
না
trunk. And
ইভেন হচ্ছে
676 looking to cut straight on
মঙ্গোলিয়ান
the back
টিমসদের
of
যে
the rock. Two
রিজনটা ওটা
players,
এখন
Tixi
চেঞ্জ
and
হয়ে গেছে
Icy. One not going to be good.
তো আগে
Tixi over the top, misses the second, and
সব
676
একসাথে
with the
ছিল
pump
ওইভাবে সবকিছু
action
সাজানো ছিল
handles
রোডম্যাপ
Virtus Pro.
তো ওইটা নিয়ে একটু আমাদের কাজ
man,
করতে
that
হবে দেন
is
আমরা আবার রিভিউ
rough
করবো
to say the least. 676 with the
আর এই
pump
মাঠে আরেকটা
shotgun.
ইভেন্ট কেন
One-two
পাইতে পারে
punch.
ডিপেন্ডস অন ওই ভাই
Flick back on the
ওই
handle.
ভাই
I
গ্রিন
mean,
ফ্ল্যাগ
it
হইলেই
is
আমাদের
actually
কাজ শুরু হয়ে যাবে
gruesome that they lose that fight. War
না
played
লাস্টটা তো
676, but
লিগ স্টেজ
again,
করতে গেছিলাম
the
বাট লিগ
slight
স্টেজ
amount
তাহলে
of reject
আরেকটা
from
ইভেন্ট
Vengeance
হলো ওই যে
Pro there.
হাই
They
ম্যাচ
know they need to get rid of him in that moment, but
ওইটা
he
ইনশাআল্লাহ
did
আমরা
not
করব
need to come through that quickly. And there's a
আমাদের
disconnect between the
একটু
players. You just
প্রবলেম
need to
আছে
wait for
আমাদের
Tixi to
ওয়াইটিতে
get
ওটা
that side
সর্ট
swap
আউট
and
হইলে
then take
ইনশাআল্লাহ আমরা
the
ওইটা করব
2v1. Essentially,
বাট ওইটা
it's
প্ল্যানিং তো
just two
অলরেডি চলতেছে
single fights there
কাজকর্ম
for 676,
আগাইতেছে
but still
ওইটা
pretty impressive to do it
সুন
with
আমরা
just
ওইটা
pump
অ্যানাউন্স
action.
করব আমাদের ফেসবুক থেকে
Now, outside in the blue stage 3. Tickles, but not by a lot. Tries to get back behind the tree, but Nick
হাবিব
McGalaxy's got his
আই
number.
8 এর জোন কন্ট্রোল দেখেন সেই
I
বাই
mean,
সেই
it's kind
I-
of
নাইস আমার তো
so
কথা হলো আই
indicative
8
of
পুরোপুরি
what is
নিয়ে
gonna
নিতে
ফ্যালকন
happen
আর
now.
আইএক্স
Virtus
এই
Pro
তিনটা
can't
টপ
do it.
3 তে
Nick
থাকে
McGalaxy,
সব কর্নার
rock
আছে
up
যেহেতু
so
অ্যাসিড
easy.
রিজিয়নে
I
অনেকদিন
mean,
ধরে
obviously they do
খেলতেছে
have the numbers advantage.
খেলে
They've
আসছে
been a little bit
সবগুলোর
crook, but
প্রতি
still,
সব কর্নার আছে
Nick McGalaxy definitely
তো
much
আমি তো
more
চাই
impressive.
মনে করেন যে
আচ্ছা
আই
গাইজ
8
গাইজ
Now
গাইজ
they have a
তিন
little
ফ্রি
bit
একটু
of
চেঞ্জ
freedom on
হবে
that
আমি
south
নতুন
side
প্লেসে
to
দিতেছি
take on Falcon's force with the numbers advantage, playing as three. They're both going to have to try and move through, and the sticking points of the lobby are starting to retreat. We had that line across the middle of this northwest
সবাই
side.
ভাই রাত
Na'Vi
ম্যাচ
on the
করবেন
west
একটু
side,
লোড দিবে
Alter
নতুন
Ego on
প্লেসে
the high
দিতে
ground, and
প্রথম করতে
ASIA on the
বাকি
north
ভাই
side.
ম্যাচ শেষ
But
হবে
now Na'Vi have retreated up, and Nick McGalaxy may be going to be
আশা
moving
করা
in
যায়
their
হবে
wake on
ভাই
the west.
তোমার কাছে যদি
Oh
কোনো টিম
boy.
থাকে দাও
That is a nice circle for Na'Vi. I think they'll be very pleased with this one. They're going to
অলরেডি
take
ভাই
a 2-2
পাঁচ
split,
টিম দিয়ে
fairly
রাখছি
dangerous
তারপরে
in
বলে
stage 4, but
ঠিক আছে
I respect it. If they can hold on to this for a little
আর
bit while
পাঁচটা দিলে
longer.
মনে করো প্রাইস পুল উঠে যাবে
Essentially, they do have a bit of safety here because I think most teams that are rotating on this western side likely will stop short on one of these compounds that sit over towards the southwest edge. So they can be a bit greedy with these northern compounds. So I don't mind it from Na'Vi. But yeah, for Na'Vi, this is certainly a game where they can shoot themselves further up the tables. Though ISIA already have found themselves a full 4 eliminations over towards that eastern side. And IHC is just not even making out of the blue.
Sent up the east edge here past IWNRX, a hop out, Icy down a second as well, and they immediately evaporate. As IWNRX
নাইস ওয়ান
turn their ire their way. It will be very difficult to make that approach. Top of the tables, they'll maintain it.
ফেলকন
East
আজকে
side
টপে
though,
যাবে
difficult
বলতেছিল
approach. They have to
but
push past.
ফেলকনের
ASIA.
বাজে স্টার্ট
Yeah, it's sad for
we
Falcons
hope
there. I
Falcon
mean, they
comeback
rock
করবে
up to Frozen, who is a solo, but the response time from the rest of IWNRX
আইএসসিরও
was
বাজে অবস্থা
fairly speedy. all just flipped around and took the shots that need to happen. But a good initial knock coming through from Frozen as well. Vengeance now make their move up, and this is the reason why you didn't see Na'Vi go for that rotate over towards that compound. It did restrict their choices of where they can go. For Vengeance, it pretty much has just been a straight line up into the circle. Nigma Galaxy takes more space though, and I like that from them because I think they rocked up over towards the compounds on the southwest, realized that, you know what, there is a ton of space being given here. For what reason? Likely because a team has given this up, so they can move over towards that north side. Now Lemon gives up on that northwest compound and will just try and scout down towards the south. But again, for Na'Vi, this is an important game and a big chance for them.
Unfortunately, though, ASA already got 4 elims blank on the north side, which puts them a total of 6 points behind their competitors right now for that 3rd place spot. They want to get rid of them as soon as they can. The good news for them, though, is that ASI8 are kind of trapped in Hatin, right? On that northeast side, getting out of Hatin is going to be pretty tricky. They're towards the edge. Na'Vi a lot more central. The 2 really powerful spots are Na'Vi's, and I would say Alva from Alter Ego holds the other one. The difficulty of that high ground is it's so just isolated. Was that a knock at that range? Goodness me, just a quick one tap. Or maybe that came from another angle. But Alter Ego still holding off all angles here. IHC moving in from the south. Is Yol going to crash onto touch, find an opening towards Alter Ego? I mean, it's kind of how they started to fall down earlier, right? On the last game that we saw on the Northwest Island, taking an early knock, getting flushed away, losing players, bleeding out.
Yeah, it's that lack of expanding of influence, really. I think that Alter Ego haven't done badly from this high ground. I think they would have liked a lot more than just 5 eliminations. But if you are playing on that Northwest Mountain, you somewhat have to commit to that position and hope the circle comes down your way. I would, in fact, go as far to say that ASA actually have a really strong spot. And getting out of Hatin is not as difficult as you might think because they can rotate over towards the northern side and play the coast. And there is a ridge that cuts off a lot of sight lines. So they can play off the back of that quite easily. And there's a lot of hard cover in that area too.
We'll see if they can navigate it. Na'Vi will try and stop them with more motivation than just the points on this game. It's taking ASIA out of the mix because 6 teams remain. The placement's starting to ramp up now. And it's more and more likely that you see these elimination counts go up and up. IWNRX got taken down in the meantime. Not too sure where that happened on the roll-up.
Yeah, it was on the south side. It was a brutal crossfire between ASA as well as Alter Ego. So I don't think they're really making their way out on that one anytime soon. Here's Vengeance, though, taking shots over towards Nigma Galaxy. Vengeance actually made a very slick rotate to get ahead of Nigma Galaxy. It was a bit of a gamble over on that northwest compound, but they had enough time to get the scouting done.
Sorry,
like attempts to leave, or at least get a peek out from these walls in Hatin. Yeah, that's hella dangerous.
Oh my goodness. Excuse me? They're still alive? Okay, that's more like it. But a second follow-up as well. I mean, you're kind of sacrificing 2 to allow this second crash, right? You're drawing ammo from the mags, and they crash in and they get to some cover. So 2 players for Alter Ego make the crossing. I feel like that's just the only option that they kind of had other than just fully committing to the high ground, which I think arguably may have been better for them. Trying to pick off some points on the other teams making moves in the meantime.
At the same time, যারা এখানে প্রেডিকশন দিচ্ছেন খুব ভালো, সাথে সাথে আইএনএমের ওয়াইটিতেও প্রেডিকশন দিতে পারেন, বিকজ আইএনএমের ওয়াইটিতে যাদের প্রেডিকশন কারেক্ট হবে তাদের মধ্যে প্রাইস পুল দেওয়া হবে। আপনারা যদি আইএনএমের ফেসবুক পেজে দেখে থাকেন তাহলে আমাদের যে ইউসি গিভওয়েটা ছিল ওখানে যারা যারা ইউসি গুলা পাইছে ওগুলা দিয়ে দেওয়া হয়েছে। সো এখন এই গ্রুপটা আর নেক্সট গ্রুপ দুইটার মধ্যে যাদের প্রেডিকশন সবচেয়ে মানে বেশি হবে কারেক্ট প্রেডিকশন তাদের মধ্যে থেকে 5 জনকে আমরা প্রাইস পুল দিব। ক্যাশ মানি হইতে পারে, ইউসি হইতে পারে।
is just not able to capitalize off the back of it, and a good shot from the DBS. And like I said, 9 elims now found for ASIA, and yeah, Na'Vi needs this chicken dinner now to stay close, just close to ASIA.
ফার্স্ট দুইটা থেকে 3টা জোনের ভিতরে প্রেডিকশন দিতে হবে, এরপর প্রেডিকশন দিলে লাভ নেই, বিকজ এখন টিম আছে 6-7টা, এটার মধ্যে যে কেউ প্রেডিকশন দিলে কারেক্ট হবে।
Third place finish for them. The shots over towards the high ground. I mean, we spoke about this guy yesterday, right? The Terminator on FaZe Clan has just been so brutal, but the blue zone, you can't out-heal it anymore, and he will fall. Na'Vi breaking the seal. 2 points now on the match.
Though the thing is, though, I'm pretty sure that Miller has picked himself up 2 elims there. Just off the back of the 2 knocks he was able to get over towards Vengeance, which is wild, by the way. This is that crossing that I was talking about earlier. Over on that northern side. It's a slight dip. It does give you cover. And like I said, there's a huge amount of rocks in the way. Oh, they're stealing the elims away from Miller.
ফেসবুক পেজে ওখানে কিন্তু ইনবক্সে দিয়ে দিতে পারেন চাইলে, অথবা সবগুলো কারেক্ট অ্যানসার একসাথে রেখে দিতে পারেন, পরে একসাথে সাবমিট করলে আমরা যখন প্রাইস পুলটা দিব তখন ওখান থেকে দিয়ে অ্যানাউন্স করে দিব আর কি, আর সাথে সাথে প্রাইস পুলটাও পেয়ে যাবেন।
Lily for Vengeance, very unlikely to be able to get away from this one.
Chicken loading, nice. That's what we need.
Watched eagle-eyed by Noki. Actually steps forwards up to the next layer of the ridgeline. What is this guy doing? You can't do this, Falak. That is not allowed. Navi have got him in the compound. They spotted it as well. Puncher sees him on the cross. He's hopping out. He's going in on his own. Not back up for the rest of the team. He doesn't think he needs it. And the reses have come through, but now he's in a lot of danger. Ralph is having a little bit to say around one. Nick the Galaxy trying to defend their second place spot. Noki takes down the last player from Vengeance, and there goes Ralph. So we're down to 2 teams remaining. Finally falls, and I feel like that was a long time coming. Far too bold for my liking. Another lineup for Puncher, and here's where they can start to fight back. 3 elims on the tally, and they're looking for a second knock as well. 2 players down on ASI8, and it's only the 2 on the outside left.
Yeah, I mean, for ASIA, that was an unbelievable play from Falak, and the fact that he's able to pick up Ralph from Nick the Galaxy is just hilarious to me, as he cosplays as one of Navi's teammates. IQ moving forward, just maybe trying to look for this final knock here and flush. Now just UZM left remaining. Could be a decent nading towards the back lines, but highly doubt it. And that is Na'Vi take themselves a win on the game, which they could be happy with, but they have not caught up with ASIA on a blinder of match. A huge amount of eliminations, which is not easy to do a lot of times from Hatin, because you are slightly caught up towards that Navi side. But yeah, it was a great rollout.
The prediction correct.
You have to take advantage of that northern side as quick as possible, and things could have gone absolutely differently for Falak inside that
সবাই
situation.
স্ট্রিমটা লাইক দিয়ে দেন প্লিজ, লাইক দিয়ে দেন, শেয়ার করে দেন, আপনার ফ্রেন্ডসদের সাথে শেয়ার করেন, যত বেশি প্রেডিকশন হবে তত মজা হবে। যাদের প্রেডিকশন কারেক্ট হবে স্ক্রিনশটগুলো নিয়ে রাখেন।
They had that ridge line that you were talking about earlier, and they could not quite convert. They get a little bit too greedy, a little bit eyes bigger than stomachs on the end of that game, and Navi are able to do it. And remember, it's not a 2-horse race for third place. Nick the Galaxy as well, still in danger. Both Navi and ASIA push them out. Still that opportunity to go for that 3rd place for both of them. We'll have to wait and see what the overall tables say. Back with the desk.
And I'm surprised why I8's so frustrated considering the match they just had. I mean, obviously a win probably should have been going their way. Falak was just feeling himself. He just dived straight into the compound up against Na'Vi 1v4, saying like, I got this, guys, don't worry. And that actually, sadly, might have been the downfall of I8 in this match.
I mean, I can't blame him though, dude. I mean, the guy's feeling himself, and they should, because they are officially the most successful team on Sandhawk in this tournament so far. That's right, Major Pride during Group Yellow, they won back-to-back chicken dinners, right? On the first Sandhawk and the second week. But with this performance here, I mean, I8 is just on another level, Max. And I think a lot of it is due to one player in particular, right?
Yeah, I mean, we have to look at Noki. I mean, sure, Navi get the win, but I think the biggest highlight is how I8 played this game, Hodrix. But Noki, he was scouting, I think, towards phase 5 or 6, and he got information on Vengeance, and he knew that Vengeance currently did not have a strong position in the circle. And because north of the compound is a high ground spot, they can fight Vengeance without fighting Na'Vi. They don't get in that weird 3-way fight, so they can just take a secluded fight onto Vengeance, clear the northwestern edge, and then put all of their focus onto Na'Vi. So Noki scouting was so pivotal for them to even get into the 2nd place in the 1st place. But at the end of the day, Na'Vi had the compound. Falak was, as you said, Jason was feeling himself a little bit too much maybe on that push, and Na'Vi's team play was on point and just ready to punish those individual players of I8 almost instantly.
I mean, I know Na'Vi won the game, but I feel like this entire match for us has just been how I8 played it. I mean, even before the Vengeance fight, the way they were playing Hot Tin, I kind of wanted you guys to go into, because they denied not only 1 but 2 teams from crossing that bridge.
Dude, they're so good at it. They're so good. I mean, it's very fortunate for them to get that zone again, right, Max?
I don't know about fortune. I think that they just dropped Northwest and just happened to come their way, but they make their own luck in a sense, right, Hodgix? That they were holding off those two teams to the east that Jason's referring to in Cilio and IHC. They were coming their way, and because they just had the perfect angle, they had one player in Hatin, they had one player near the bridge, one player to the compound south of the bridge, and one player south of Hatin on that high ground position to scout from a distance. So really, it was an almost perfect setup. It is risky because if one player gets knocked, your entire setup to
এখানে
defend the bridge
প্রেডিকশন
just
দিতে
falls
পারেন, বাট
apart, but
প্রেডিকশন
they did
দিতে
losing
হবে
players.
মেইন প্রাইস
So in
পুলের
Cilio,
জন্য যারা
IHC,
প্রেডিকশন দিতে
unfortunately for
চান
them, that rotate
তাদেরকে
was not going to
আইএনএম
work
এর
out. So from the early
ওয়াইটিতে
stage of the
ইউটিউবে
game to
গিয়ে
the late
প্রেডিকশন
game,
দিতে হবে,
Page
ওখানে
Dukes, it was
প্রেডিকশন
just
কারেক্ট হলে
absolute
ওখান থেকে প্রাইস
perfect
পুল
how they
পাবেন
played the
সবাই।
macro aspect of Northwest Island.
Man, that's what frustrates me so much because I mean,
দান্তের লাইভে প্রেডিকশন দিচ্ছেন, দ্যাটস গুড, বাট দান্তের লাইভ থেকে
we were
প্রেডিকশন
watching
থেকে আর
this
কি
and we were
প্রাইস
like,
পুল
where's
দেওয়া
the
হবে না।
rotate? I mean, these guys
প্রাইস
are
পুল
so.
পাইতে
I was
হলে
watching
মিনিমাল
them rotated so late, and I
স্পোর্টসের
remember asking
ওয়াইটিতে
specifically,
গিয়ে
like, dude, what do you think IHC
দেন
is
ওখানে
doing here? And
প্রেডিকশনটা
you're
দিয়ে
like,
আসতে পারেন
they're
আপনারা
gonna
যারা যারা
rotate
প্রেডিকশন দিতে
100%.
চান।
Like, no, I think what was it you said exactly?
It's just they have to
আমি
আবারও
আইএনএম এর ওয়াইটিটা শেয়ার করে দিচ্ছি আপনাদের সাথে। প্রত্যেক ম্যাচে যারা যারা প্রেডিকশন দিতে চান এখানে প্রেডিকশন দিয়ে আসতে পারেন।
আরে আয়ের 20 পয়েন্ট নিচ্ছে সে।
হ্যাঁ মারছে তো, বাট লাস্টে একটু বেশি অ্যাগ্রেশন দেখায়।
I like that one. That's
I don't
a good rep.
understand. Again, Dolphin?
না ভাই 20 পয়েন্ট ভাই নাম্বার চিকেন দেখি হইতো।
You get it now?
I don't get it.
Wow.
Okay, he's playing a bit. Don't worry, I'm used to this, Hot Juice. I'm used to this.
ভাই
He's
20
playing
পয়েন্ট
for a
করে
bit.
থাকলে
Okay,
ভাই
for a bit.
একটা ওয়ান হয়ে
Still,
যাবে।
Gandalf in it for I8,
Pullo
definitely the
bir
case
hundred
here. And we said, right, sure, they might not always get the chicken dinner jukes, but the eliminations alone are hard carrying this Pakistani team, I can tell you that much. 20 points on the board. And it's been happening a lot where the second place team jukes is actually the top winning team in terms of total points, not the chicken dinner team. So I'm telling you, man, Elims is going to be so heavily focused upon for some of these squads, I in particular. But then I got to say, Nigma Galaxy, as always, putting points on the board. 8 points this game, right? So staying relevant in that top 3 conversation every game, it seems like.
কেন?
I'm also curious about. I mean, I'm
DC
pretty much change topics to Navi back to them, if you don't mind, Max. Because I'm kind of thinking back to yesterday's game. We had a similar zone yet again, right? And we had Navi. Well, we had Team K, so I should say send it full straight through every team to get to that northwest part of the Northwest Island. And then Navi actually ended up going up in that direction. Team K so had gone there, ended up losing a player. This time,
the problem.
Push the bridge a little bit more, where Vengeance kind of leapfrogs them, and from that position, like okay, we're
or
just
call
gonna
দিয়ে
send it a
বলো
little
at
bit
least
further in.
Discord-এ ইয়াটা
They didn't try to go for any like bridge camping or denying of any players from.
ওর ভয়েসটা আমাদের
pushing
ভয়েসটাও তো
towards that
যাচ্ছে না
island.
ওর
So I feel like they were a little bit hesitant to move earlier, afraid of like a team.
It felt like they understood other teams are going to do the dirty work for them and hold
Dante
off the bridge. So,
ঘুমাইতে
oh, well, we rotated so early, other teams are going to be holding off the bridges, holding off the swim rotations across the water. We can just play it very passive until the late game, hold on to our resources, and thanks to that, we're going to be getting a chicken dinner. So it was a really good execution, at least this time around. Jason, as you said, Team Kesso did not send it, so they had free reign to do whatever they wanted up Northwest. Unfortunately for them, though, sure they do get a win, but they still don't breach up.
Arman Hossein, ভাই দান্তে ভাই
was going to be the game to make it happen, but
না দান্তে
no, they're just going to be
হবে না,
3 points behind Ningma
বাট ওখানে
Galaxy.
প্রেডিকশন দিতে পারেন,
Thanks to I8's game
but
here,
it's not
up in
gonna
second
make
place. Maybe are we going to see them
like কি বলবো,
overtake
it's not gonna make
IWNRX in
any
2 matches today?
difference,
That
you know?
would be absolute
তো
madness.
প্রেডিকশন দিতে হলে আইএনএম এর এখানে প্রেডিকশন দিতে হবে, এখান থেকে যাতে প্রেডিকশন কারেক্ট হবে তাদের মধ্যে থেকে প্রাইস পুল দেওয়া হবে যাদের প্রেডিকশন সবচেয়ে বেশি হবে।
As they said, is their best map. So I would
Top
imagine
3,
they're not gonna have a similar
even
performance
Navi
going
are
into
very
the next
close.
matches, but honestly, who knows
Anything
with
can
this group, because we've already had everything
happen.
turn completely on its head. Also, quick mention there, Falcons did move up
Falconer
into
chances.
বললে ভাই ভালো।
one thing that's kind of interesting though is the gap we're
Phase
seeing between
বারো
14th and
ISC
15th place, which
15
ISC
এইটা
did close the lead on a little bit. I think they're originally like 20 points
ISC
behind getting into 14th place from 15th.
ভাই
And before
আইএস
that
এর
last
অবস্থা
match,
খুবই
it was
খারাপ।
less
আর
than 20,
পয়েন্ট তো
11
ভাই
points
ভালোই
from
কম,
8th to
ওদের
3rd. Like,
মিনিমাম
that's how
2টা ম্যাচ বের করতে
far of
হবে
a gap
ভালো।
we have between 14th and 15th place. A little
I
unfortunate,
see.
but Alter Ego, man, Max, you can be happy about this. They moved into 11th.
এখন যদি
take a
ওরা
victory
চায়
when I
যে
can
লাস্ট
take it.
দিনে বাইরে করবে
Yes,
ভাই
top
তাইলে ভাই
11.
টু মাচ ভাই
Impossible.
I'm happy with Alter Ego here. Of course, it's Northwestern Island. It's kind of gifted to them because they drop on the mountain, and they do a really good job, Hodgix, of making sure they don't get backstabbed by teams. They were making sure no team was going to be entering late from the southern side. They even picked up Zol, the solo remaining player of IHC. They were really keeping tabs on every squad entering from the southern side. And by doing so,
PMGC
you have
PUBG
easy
World
access
Cup
into the late game. You don't lose any players. You have a lot of resources.
PMGC
But
PUBG
unfortunately,
World Cup
when you are pushed downhill, Jukes, against teams like Na'Vi, I8, Enigma Galaxy,
না না
Vengeance,
এই
like you're
বছরের
not
জন্য
going to win
এটাই
that game.
শেষ
You just know
পাবজি
it.
ওয়ার্ল্ড কাপ
Yeah,
এটাই
for sure. And I think that's why I'm
PMGC
really loving these Northwestern
PMGC তে
draws.
গ্লোবাল
ওটা
চ্যাম্পিয়নশিপ
তো
Goes
ই-স্পোর্টস
there,
ওয়ার্ল্ড কাপ
your
ওটা
odds
তো
of
মনে
winning
কর
are just
সবই
like
সব
through the
গেমই
roof. And yeah, what do you know? The two teams that
আর
dropped there are
শুধুমাত্র
the
যদি
squads that we
পাবজির
saw in first and second place. And
কথা বলেন
if
তাহলে
the
এটাই
zone goes to mainland, I mean, it's not like much of a worry. There's so much room to breathe there that it's easy to rotate on in. So I mean, I love this strategy of this Northwestern
Yeah,
draw.
nice
I've
shot,
seen teams
kid.
that do it more often than not have a lot more success on Sandhawk. So
সবাই
I mean,
নকিরে
it's
সাপোর্ট
totally
দেন গাইজ
understandable
নকিরে
why they said that, you know, I in particular said,
মাঝখানে
hey,
অনেক হেট
this is
পাইছে
our
পোলাটা
best map. You know, we
সবাই
put up
নকিরে
points on
সাপোর্ট
here
দেন
regardless.
আইতে সাপোর্ট
And
দেন
the
কিপ
proof's in the
কমেন্টিং
pudding,
ভাই
right?
আমরা দেখবো
It is.
প্রেডিকশন
And I do like some pudding. As a last note, though, a Sandhawk. Max, talk to us about that 2v1 out of Virtus Pro up against 676 from TJB.
We talked about it, Jason. You don't bring up my boy Tixie when he fumbles, okay? Those were the rules. We signed a contract. It was how it was going to happen.
Fumbling,
কটা
let's
ম্যাচ
be
এখনো
honest, right?
Because
আজকে
I
পাঁচটা
see.
কালকে ছয়টা
They
11টা
gave him two 1v1s.
11টা match.
And why?
And you know what?
Still
I got a
anything
really
can
good
happen,
answer to
bhai.
that.
বটম
don't
টিমে
know.
টপে আসতে পারে যদি
Exactly.
তারা ভালো
I have
খেলে
no idea. We've
জসিমউদ্দিন
seen a few times
আইএমপিএল
where
ডেইলি
Duo
স্কিম
would push
হয়
us
না কেন
solo and
ভাইয়া
they would
দুই
get
দিন
a
আগে
little bit
একটা
too
করছি আমরা
overconfident, a little bit too
তো
overzealous
এখন
and like, oh, I
স্কিমস
really
তো
want
আর
to get that
কোনো
elimination
ফাইনাল বাদ দিয়ে
and
আমরা
they
করতে
send
পারি
it
না
as a
যখন
solo and
ফ্রি
then
টাইম
he
পাবো
gets
ওই
picked up and then you
স্লটে
get to
আমরা
1v1 and because he's
আইএমপিএলটা
got
করি
DPS or Nest 12k, well, the other guy follows in his footsteps and he gets taken down.
আমাদের এখন হিউজ
So,
স্কেজুল চলতেছে ভাই
I hope
মানে
that one day,
দুপুর থেকে
Jason,
শুরু হইতাছে রাত
these guys
12টা
will learn.
পর্যন্ত কোনো
But yet,
গ্যাপ নেই
that is
ওর
not the
ভিতরে
day.
আমরা যখন
Today is
সুযোগ
not the day.
পাবো রানিং
The reason I bring it up in particular, I know as we're about to head into our next match, it kind of shows
Even
that,
নিজেদের টিমের
VP
প্লেয়ার
having
চাই
TC, using him to play.
কুলাইতে পারতেছে না
There's definitely some
এর
like
ভিতরে আর
communications
একটা
or
যে
synergy
দুপুরে
issues that
ঢোকান
they
না
haven't been
এরকম
able
তো
to
করতে
iron
পারবো
out coming into this event because they had a ton of time to prepare with him. So I was getting a little bit of an out in terms of how the performance has been going.
ভাই
But
পরের
you're
ব্রেকে
obviously
একটা
seeing some
রুম
problems in
দিয়ে
the team, but hopefully we're not
ভাই
going to see
রুম
any problems in
দিলে
some of
তো
these
ভাই
other
মানে
teams. We're
স্কিমে
heading into
দেখানোর
our first
এলাও
airing
নেই
of
মানে
the
হচ্ছে
day.
ওয়াচ
We're
পার্টি
all looking at
চলাকালীন
I8.
তো
We see
অন্য
if they
কোনো
can
স্কিন
replicate
আনা
the
যাবে না
performance
এখানে
from the
মানে
last
কোনো
match,
কিছু
or will
সিঙ্গেল
Na'Vi
ওভারলেও
continue
আনা
to be
যাবে
the
না
most dominating team on
আচ্ছা ইরান
Airlock
গেলের কিন্তু
Airgo
শুরু
in
হয়ে
this
গেছে
group? Let's
শীঘ্রই
find
প্লেন
out.
কাপ দেখতে পারবো লেটস সি গেম সাউন্ড
There
একটু
is
লো
only
করেন
one way to find
হ্যাঁ
out,
একটু লো
and
করে
it's
তো
by
গেম সাউন্ড হবে
launching headfirst into our first
এই
of three Aaron
5%
Girls
বা
from the
10%
military base up to
খরচ করে
Stalber.
এডিট করে না
Plane path
5%
should
না
be fairly kind
যারা
to a
বানায়
lot of
দেখার কথা
teams.
বাড়াই
Maybe
দিবে
the west coast a little bit inaccessible, especially up towards
সুন্দর
North
একটা প্লেন
Georgia.
পাক গাইস
It's up
মিলিটারি
the
বেস
way.
থেকে স্টল বার
But overall, we'll see if Na'Vi can step up to the mark.
ড্রোনটা কই হইতে
Going, 'cause
পারে
right now,
বুঝতে
it's
পারি
kind of looking like an isolated four-horse race.
It is, yeah. And as Jason said, the error bells are ringing for some of these other
এই
regions.
ম্যাচে
Right now,
আইএট নিব
PMSL,
জান
EMEA,
ওকে আরমান
they're
ভাই
kind of
লেটস
on
সি
top right now. They're doing sick. Like
Let's see, guys.
We had Team Spirit winning out in Group
প্রেডিকশন
Yellow.
কিন্তু ফার্স্ট টু
Now
জোনের
there's
ভিতরেই
likely
করতে
going to
হবে
be another
এরপরে
PMSL
প্রেডিকশন
EMEA team
নেওয়া হবে না
taking a first place position here in Group Red.
ইএসপি
Like I say,
কাপানোর মতো
though,
টিম হবে
still
আমাদের
2 more
বাংলাদেশে
days to go.
ভাই
But
আমরাও আশা রাখি ভাই।
IWNRX have found that
মাত্র 11
spark that they've
ওয়াচিং
been looking for
দান্তের এখানে
quite a
কম
while.
করছে ভাই
A
দান্তের
return to
বয়সটা তো
form.
নাই আর
You
আমার
know,
মনে হয় এর জন্য
it
সবাই
felt like that rust is
মানুষজন নাই
just fallen away from the blade, and it's nice to see. It is really nice to see because they look sharp.
এই স্টেজ কাঁপানোর মতো টিম কবে হবে আমাদের বাংলাদেশে ভাই সবাই খেলাধুলা শুরু করেন যে হারে প্লেয়ারের
Hopefully
সংকট
going to be able to
চলতেছে
maintain, but if they go
প্লেয়ারই তো
down
পাওয়া
early
যাচ্ছে না ভাই
again,
একটু
this
ভালো প্লেয়ার যতদিন না
performance
উঠে
is
আসবে
likely to
ততদিন
be
তো
tricky
সম্ভব
stuff. West side circle blank. We haven't seen it this group, but we saw it plenty
এক
of
দু
times
মিনিট
going
পরে
over
আগে
towards
আমরা
Quarry.
যে
We'll see
হ্যাঁ,
it
অবশ্যই
হ্যাঁ
down
ভাই
there again.
সেকেন্ড
জন
পরে
Seems like so far we've
সেকেন্ড
seen so
জোন
many shooting
পর্যন্ত
range circles
যে কোনো
in the
টাইমে
group.
প্রেডিকশন
Teams
দিতে
maybe are
পারবেন
familiar
বাট
with it.
ফার্স্ট
Ooh, Tiaba,
প্রেডিকশনটাই
who have they
কিন্তু
spotted?
কাউন্ট
I think
হবে
that's one of
বিকজ
the Na'Vi
প্রাইস পুল
players
দেওয়ার আগে কিন্তু
over on
কমেন্ট
the
চেক
east
করবো
side
কে
trying to drop
কখন
over
কমেন্ট
towards
করছে
Milta and Milta
ওইটার
Power.
উপরে প্রাইস পুল দেওয়া
Yeah,
হবে
it's a bit of a difference for Na'Vi right now over towards Milta at the moment. Right now, I think they're trying to play down towards Mini Milta, which is fair enough. Try and get something done here for Na'Vi. It's a little bit out of the way, but
মিলিটারি থেকে
the plane
স্টল
path being so far over towards the
Zone
eastern side and then the
Kakka
circle
side.
shifting off towards the west, it's another one of those circles where it's not going to be easy to play. I did really like
তার তো
Na'Vi's
কলও
rotates
ধরে
on
না
that
কল
last
দিলাম
game.
একটা
No,
বয়স
I have to
আচ্ছা
admit, either way you
ওর লাইট
look
তো
at
অফ হয়ে
it,
গেছে
for Na'Vi in terms
Yeah,
of
live.
that performance on that map, yeah, they weren't able to get a lot of eliminations, but in terms of of where they went, when they went, and why they went there. it was all fairly perfect. I just
Shark
don't think that
crocodile
do not
Dante
seem
ভাই
to
ভাই
be
আপনি
going
আর
in.
আমি
working
1v1
their way
করব একটু
all that
ও
often.
ভাই
And
ভাই ভাই ভাই
ASI8 were just able to pick a lot more eliminations out from the position they were playing, catching a lot of
সবাই
the
একটু
teams coming off
স্ট্রিমটা
from that
লাইক
high
করে
ground
দেন
on that south side. It was
6জন
fortuitous on the
ওয়াচিং
circle
আমাদের
because we've
সবাই
seen
একটু
a lot
লাইক
of
শেয়ার
times
করে
where
দেন
you
স্ট্রিমটা
play hats
প্লিজ
in, circle
আর
moves down
ফ্রেন্ডসদের
towards
মধ্যে
south.
শেয়ার
You're
করে
in that
দেন যারা
exact
যারা
same
প্রেডিকশন
situation
দিতে আগ্রহী
versus the high
তাদেরগুলো
ground teams.
শেয়ার করে
You're
দেন
the
যেন
one who has to
প্রেডিকশন
come
দিয়ে
out the
যায়
cave
প্রেডিকশন দিতে তো কোনো লস
looking
নাই
very sad for yourself because you're about to get
প্রসেসিং
railed
তো
by the teams
হ্যাঁ
up on the high ground.
না না
Furia on the prowl in
না না
Yasnaya looking for Virtus Pro. The Bears versus the Wildcats over on the northeast side of the map. Both of them going to have to leave, but on Yasnaya positions in general, you can play two teams fairly split. Doesn't mean you can get too confident with it though. You can't get too close to the danger because everybody's ready for a point, you know? You'll take those whenever they do get spotted. ASIA, you know where they're going. It's military. They go there every time. No questions. They're going to have to leave it now this time though. And IWNRX may be in their way, so potential danger on the crossing if IWNRX don't send towards a North Quarry position first.
It's an interesting one. I think for IWNRX, there's always this curious, I guess, move between both ASIA and them, right? The
ভাই
way that
কমেন্ট্রি
they
ছাড়া
play
স্ট্রিম
in
দেন ভাই
tandem
এটা তো
between one another
আমাদের
inside of
ওখান
Erangel,
থেকে ওদের
where sometimes
অফিসিয়াল থেকে
IWNRX
যেটা স্ট্রিম
might
দেওয়া
want to
হয়েছে
go
ওইটাই
for
চালাইতে হবে
that
কোনো
bridge
অপশন নাই তো
hold
কমেন্ট্রি
versus
ছাড়া
ASIA. However,
স্ট্রিম
in the
নাই
past, it's not always worked
সিক্স
out.
হান্ড্রেড একটু বলো তো
ASIA have found the better of them quite
কি
a few times.
একটু
It
ইয়াটা
does
কমাই
look like
দিতে
you're right, John.
ভলিউমটা কমাই দিতে
IWNRX are going to head over towards the
কমেন্ট্রিদের
northern side of the quarry early, which is a fair enough move to me, I would say.
হাবি
Getting more
ফিউরি এত
control on
কাঁপাইলো
that north
পিএমএসএল
side, where you
আমেরিকাতে
can then
আর
back
এখানে
it up
এসে
into
হ্যাশট্যাগ
quarry later on.
16 ভাই
I think that gives
ওটা
you
তো
more options
ডিফারেন্ট
in the
জিনিস
future.
এটাও ডিফারেন্ট
And
জিনিস বুঝছেন
especially
ওইটা
we've seen a
একটা
lot of times in
রিজিয়ন
the
যে
past over
রিজিয়নে
the
সবাই
multiple years
অলরেডি
that
খেলে
we've
আসতেছে
casted PUBG
কোথায়
Mobile.
একজন
The fact
আরেকজনের
that
সাথে হয়তো ওই জন্য জানে
when
কে
you get
কিভাবে খেলে
teams
খেলার স্টাইল
isolating around quarry,
ও
এখন
ও
এখানে
ও
তো
get
একটু ডিফিকাল্ট
হ্যাঁ
tons of
অল
teams
বিডিটি
all
ওয়ান
around the outside, and it creates almost a net for the teams within. So if you are one of those teams on the inside of that net, you want to be in a secure position. You don't want to be getting picked up by outside teams. I think where
এটা আবার
IWNRX is
কেমন ড্রোন
currently
ভিউ
placing
দেখাইতেছে ভাই
themselves
বুঝলামই
on
না
that northern edge
কঠিন
of
ড্রোন
quarry,
ভিউ
that's the smart choice.
এটা কি ছিল ভাই
Yeah, they've headed
অস্থির
up now to that west side, just north of Quarry, a
পুরাই
little bit
ভাই
ইয়াসিন
towards the
আমিন
north.
ভুলে
সিএম
As
প্রেডিকশন
well,
নিগমা
but you're
গ্যালাক্সি
right, it is in
স্পেসে
general
রকেটে উঠে
a
গেছিল
much more higher
হ্যাঁ
expected value play. However, I will bring into the fact that they know that it's ASI8 there, and they know that ASI8 are only 6 points
দান্তে ভাই
behind, and
এতদিন
whilst
যে
it may
স্ট্রিম
ক্লিন
be
ফিটটা
চালাইছে
চেঞ্জ
good
ওইটা
হয়েছে
point
ও
কোনো
হচ্ছে
scoring in the
নাই
long
দেখে
run,
ক্লিন ফিটটা
to go
চেঞ্জ
for
কমেন্ট্রি
that,
ছিল না জাস্ট গেম সাউন্ড ছিল
they two or three of their players down on a crossing. So
কল
I
দিছি ওরে
I
দেখি
think it's a little bit early to be going for plays like that, but if this was
ভাইয়া
the
ওইটাও
Wednesday,
ওইটা
this was
অফিসিয়াল থেকেই দেয়া
tomorrow,
আমাদের যে
and this
ক্লিন পিট
situation was
গুলো আসে
happening,
এগুলো সব
I would say
অফিসিয়াল
it
থেকে
may be
দেয়া
a
যেটা
little
দেয়া
bit
হয়
risky
আমাদেরকে
for
দেয়া হয়েছে
IWNRX to actually
বাট
maintain
দান্তেরটা
hold
এখনো
on
দান্তে
that
একটু বিজি
position.
এই জন্য চেঞ্জ
But
করতে
then
পারে
again,
না এই
it's
জন্য
a
সাউন্ড
risky
আছে
strategy,
এখনো
very
ভাই
risky.
ভাই ভাই
That's
ভাই
what I'm
সিক্স
saying.
নাইনও
And
নাই
that's
ভাই
why I say
কিছুক্ষণ
this as
বাইরে
well, is that for
সাউন্ড কমাইতে
IWNRX,
পারবো না
it has been difficult because
5-9
আচ্ছা
ঘুমায়
multiple times that they've tried to hold down
গাইজ
with
একটু
them
সাউন্ড কমায়
dropping
শোনেন
ASIA,
প্লিজ
has been consistently ASIA winning those fights. Their team is very strong.
আজকে আমরা
They
টেকনিক্যাল
have
ইস্যুতে পড়ে
players in
গেছি
there
বহুত
who
স্ট্রিমে
have
দান্তের
been
আজকে
সাথে এটা
আমরা
unbelievable.
হ্যাঁ
We've seen
আকিব
some
ভাই আসছে
not
তাকি ভাই
close
স্ক্রিনটা
to
শেয়ার
the
দেন তো
greatness that we're seeing here from them. However,
শারফেক্স
it
আসছে
feels like they have been improving time and time again. All credit to their coach as well. Feels like he is being much more supportive of them as a team, which I think is the right thing to do when you come to a team that has a lot of veterans, right? You
এখন
have
ভাই
to
ডিসিতে
take a
স্ক্রিনশট
step
দেখা
back
যায় না
sometimes and realize that there is stuff that they can teach you, and your job is mentality and making sure that they stick to the plan a lot of times
দিচ্ছে আই
and
থিঙ্ক
give them help formulating that plan. It's more about evoking the approach that
দিছে
he
ইয়াটা
wants to make in the
হ্যাঁ
game.
কমেন্টেটরদের
I
ইয়াটা
think
একটু
the way
কমায় দাও
that
তো
he's spoken so far for them, especially with the interviews with Seven, sounds like he knows what he's doing. I think that is something that's certainly helping out ASI. So well done.
5969 যে আসো ইয়াটা কমেন্টেটরদের ইয়াটা একটু কমায় দাও
And the biggest surprise in this
বয়সটা
group, I think, is
কেমনে
কমানোই
কমানোই হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ ঠিক আছে অল গুড
2x করেন 2x
হয় স্ট্রিমটা একটু এক্স করে দিন
so far. And the the biggest surprise in this group. I think it's safe for SIA to be able to come up.
হইতেছে
very much laggy.
স্কিল ইস্যু
Great stuff coming on through Falcons.
স্কিল ইস্যু
On the south side, next to Tianba right now. And I think both of these two teams, kind of the opposite.
একটা ম্যাচ শেষ হয়েছে না নাকি এটাই ফার্স্ট ম্যাচ?
একটা ম্যাচ শেষ
এটা সেকেন্ড এটা
ফার্স্টটা কে চিকেন
One of the
নিছে?
biggest surprises of these groups. Falcons being a little bit better than Tianba right now.
নবী
But both of them were expected to be top two performers.
নবী চিকেন নিয়ে নিছে
Majority of analysts or anyone looking at this group, you would have been putting them certainly in the conversation, if not in the top three. So the fact that they are falling behind and in some cases at risk of not even qualifying the survival stage, it's a little bit surprising.
Yeah, again, there is a fair few amount of teams here. But this is, I mean, we've said it multiple times now for our book. Groups that we just have a really competitive lobby. We don't even have a competitive lobby. We
স্ট্রিম কোয়ালিটি এরকম কেন?
ল্যাগ হচ্ছে না অনেক
have a competitive amount of teams here. in
কোয়ালিটি
PMGC.
নষ্ট হয়ে
All
গেল
40
হঠাৎ।
for the teams that did join us, like, damn, it's been an incredible time watching all of these teams play. We haven't even got a final group yet.
5-9.
So far, I don't think really it's actually infuriating.
5-9 অনেক ল্যাগ
ভাই
হচ্ছে এখানে
প্রেডিকশন দেন প্রেডিকশন
Rotation. This is so brutal. Goodness me. What a way.
কারে দেই প্রেডিকশন
I mean, look at it this way.
জান ভাই জোনটা
So
দেখে একবার
you find one Elam onto Navi.
ফ্যালকন চিকেন
You
বলছেন আরেক ভাই
create such anger within this squad that they hunt you down in
হ্যালো
vehicles
হ্যাঁ
and Flip picks up time and time again
হুম
some disgusting shots over
আহো
towards them. It is real nice. I mean, Flip was so
ও রাতে
on
রওনা
the
দাও
money. Every
তো
single
আচ্ছা ওই
one
যে
of those
তোমার যেটা
shots.
বলছিল ওই
And
যে
it's
মংলা
nice
পর্যন্ত
seeing
যাবা
both
নাকি
Lemon and
এখানে
Flip
তোমার
both in
ছেড়ে
that
দিবে
same vehicle because both of those players really
ওকে
have
ওকে
breathed a new lease of life for
ওকে
Na'Vi a lot of times.
ওকে
They will
তাহলে আমি
do a
এনটা
bit to
মংলার বাস
Shidu,
দেখতেছি
cut Nigma Galaxy out from third place, and they will take
নাই তো আর
on the
কেউ
tiebreaker with the chicken
চাবে
dinners
যাইব
through.
নাকি
For Nigma Galaxy,
আম্মু
I think that they just had a horrible two
ও
Miramars yesterday. They were far away
আচ্ছা নাই তো
ahead of a lot of other squads inside of this lobby at the middle mark of day two.
ওইটাই
And I still do think they can bring it back, but ASIA very
ওকে
much
ওকে
on
ওকে
tear,
ডান
as are IW and RX.
হ্যাঁ
It's
ওকে ওকে ওইটাই ওইটাই
I
দেখতেছি
just want to go back a little bit to what you were saying about it's nice to see
কবি ভাই
in the vehicle.
হ্যাঁ
Right?
বলো
এই
Great.
থাকেন
সিজে
ভাই একটু বাইরে থেকে
মংলা
ঘুরে আসি
যাবা
তো।
Very like a massive amount of credit to Lemon for keeping that vehicle
সিজে
steady.
না না রেশাদ মুবিন ডাকতেছে যাই ঘুরে আসি
Even when those fire
কোথায়
alarms
মংলায়
are
কোথায়
coming up, allowing
না
them
না
to
নিউ মার্কেট
nail those sprays on a
ও
smooth
আচ্ছা তোমার কত
transition,
এক লগে বাসা
really, really important, and it's a real
খুলনা না
pay there.
হ্যাঁ
So
হ্যাঁ
it's Flip
আসতেছে
really
খুলনা
pushing
মংলা
towards
খুলনার
Lemon
পাশে না
nailing the driving as well.
মংলা তো একটু মানে দূরে আছে মংলা তো আর খুলনার সাথে না।
Syria
আসো আসো
over
পরশু
managed to
দিন
get in on the north side, close to
কে কে
IHC.
যাচ্ছ
মংলায় আসো
For the bottom is on the north side this time.
আমি রেজ
মংলা কি
ও
করতে যাবেন
আচ্ছা
কোনো শিপমেন্ট আছে
না হুদাই ভাল
As
লাগতেছে
they
না ভাই এই
usually
যে সিসিএস এর পর থেকে
মংলা
একটা ট্যুর দেওয়ার প্ল্যান করতেছি ট্যুরই হইতো
felt like he wasn't that low, but
মংলা
Was
ওর
on like a
শিপমেন্ট
sliver
আছে
of HP there.
সিসিএস সেকশন হইতে আবার
So
পিএমজিসি
off,
আছে
I think
মংলায় আপনার আছে নাকি অন্য কেউ
সামনে পিছে সব দিক খালি যাইতেছি
I think I've just got
না কেউ নাই তো
burned
ফার্স্ট
a
টাইম
little
যাবো
bit.
ওই এরিয়াতে
Oh,
জীবনে
so
যাই
that's
নাই
full HP, right? Because I don't see
ব্রো ব্রো
তাহলে
ব্রো
খুলনা
ব্রো
আইসেন মংলাতে খুলনা তো বেশি দূরে না
Tixi from Virtus Pro.
তাহলে আইসা পড়ো
In a
সিজে
game,
রেসাদ রে
another
কইতেছি
not so
রেসাদ
hot
লয় বলে
game
তোমার
আমি মোংলা যাই কি করব আপনারা খুলনা আসেন
Absolutely, they'll have to move
ভাই
down towards
ঘুরমু
south side.
মংলায়
Luckily,
যামু খুলনায়
Seiko
বুঝলামই
will
না
shift on down
ওই তো
towards
মংলাতে
south
খুলনা
খুলনা
আইসেন টাইম
খুলনায়
লাগে না
কিছু
বেশি
আছে ঘুরার এটা কও
on this southern edge.
খুলনায় কত কিছু আছে
Both Primos
ওই
just
হান
looking
ভাই ওই যে
safe.
কপত
I
কপতিক
think
পার্কে
Virtus
তো
Pro
যায়
is
লাভ নাই
likely the best decision you can make in the future is just to play over towards
ও তো
আইসেন
ওখানেই
that
থাকে
north side.
সিজে
ভাই মংলা যাবো মংলা যায় বোট নিয়ে সুন্দর হবে।
আমি বলে
is the central
সেই
focus.
হ্যাঁ
Before we
সিজে
were
তো
a lot
পার্কেই
back in
ঘুরে
group yellow.
হইতেই ভাই
Now it's group red.
সোলো হইলেও ভাই
Dig what they can.
সোলো রাজ দেয়
5-9 কোয়ালিটি ড্রপ ডাউন করতে দেখো তো।
5-9 মাইক অফ নাকি কথা শুনি না আর।
ও তো গগ গগ দিচ্ছে।
বাইরে হয়ে গেছে ভাই আপনাকে বুলেট ঠেলায় বলে না। কোলগেট ও কোলগট
সারফেক্সে জানে ঘুরতে ইয়াতে কক্সবাজার
না সারফেক্সের সামনে পিছিয়ে দিয়ে যাইতেছে সব।
ও সারফেক্স তো ইন্ডিয়া থেকে ঘুরে আসছে কিছুদিন আগে।
না না ঘুরতে গেছিলাম জানি ট্রিটমেন্টের জন্য গেছিলাম।
ও আচ্ছা
সেরা একটা নাইট করছে।
সিটিএস ডিগ্রি লাগে। হ্যাঁ ভাই একটু
অন্য কোনো ইয়েতে ঢুকেন, লাগলে অন্য কোনো ফিডে ঢুকলেন, এটা যদি এত ইস্যু হয়
ফিড এটাই চালাইতে হবে ভাইয়া।
তাহলে 5-9 ওই সাফারি দিয়ে ঢুকো।
হ্যাঁ সাফারি দিয়ে ঢুকো, সাফারি দিয়ে ঢুকলে ক্লিয়ার আসে। ও সাফারিতে আছে বুঝছি। কিরে তাকে গগ গগ দিতেছো কারে তুমি?
ভাই 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 ঢাকা, মকসেদপুর, গোপালগঞ্জ, ফকিরহাট, কাটাখালী, মংলা, এটা কোন রুটে যাবো বাস ভাই?
এটা যে রুটেই যাক
এটাই তো
ডেস্টিনেশন
আপনার
মংলা।
মাওয়া মানে ইয়ে আসবে আপনার পদ্মা সেতু হয়ে
গোপালগঞ্জ দিয়ে কেমনে যায় ভাই? পদ্মা সেতু দিয়া?
গোপালগঞ্জ হয়ে কাটাখালী গোপালগঞ্জের পরে না?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ এটা কি পদ্মা সেতু?
আপনার রুটটা আরেকবার বলেন।
ঢাকা থেকে মকসেদপুর থেকে গোপালগঞ্জ, তারপরে ফকিরহাট, তারপরে কাটাখালী, তারপরে মংলা।
হ্যাঁ ওই তো মোংলা আমি যাই নাই, বাট ইয়ে বাগেরহাটের ওই দিক দিয়ে মনে হয়, কাটাখালীর ওই দিক দিয়ে যাইতে হয়।
I see, brother. I see.
আরে আরে নেট মলি বারিশ চলতেছে, বারিশ বারিশ हो रहा है।
देखो बारिश हो रहा है।
কি বলবো আর
কেমনে তা?
11টা বাজে বলে অলরেডি।
এটা তো মনে হয় ফেরি দিয়া যাইবো ভাই, কারণ বুঝছো
কি দিয়ে যাবে?
ফেরি দিয়া, কারণ গাবতলী হয়ে সাভার হয়ে যাইবো দেখি। সাভার গাবতলীর বোর্ডিং পয়েন্ট 10টা, সাভারের বোর্ডিং পয়েন্ট 10:30টা, তারপরে নবীনগর 10:45, মানিকগঞ্জ 11:30। মানিকগঞ্জের পরেই তো চটুরিয়া ঘাট। এটা তো ভাই ফেরি দিয়া যাইবো।
ফেরি দিয়ে শুধু আড়াইচার রুট খোলা ভাই, ফেরি দিয়ে আসলে গোপালগঞ্জ কেমনে যাবে পাগল না?
কেন ফেরি দিয়ে তো গোপালগঞ্জ যাওয়া যায়।
আর মিয়া হাফ
মাই
মাই
হালারের ইয়া দাও তো, এই যে অ্যাকশন গেমিং হালারে
আচ্ছা
বকচোদার বাচ্চা আবার আইছে মাদার চোদ। হ্যাঁ
কি মেসেজ দিছে ভাই? দেখছেন ভাই হালার পুতে কি পরিমাণ শীট ভাই।
And quickly finding those eliminations. In the meantime, it's IDVNRX coming up against IHC.
মানে এই হালার পুতের লেগা ভাই
And it's time for him to prove his worth.
মানে এর লেগা ভাই এই ওয়ার্ডগুলো নিজেরও লেখা লাগতেছে, বুঝতেছেন? মানে এর থেকে ডিস্টার্বিং আর কি হইতে পারে এই অ্যাকশন গেমিং এর লেগা।
মাদার চোদ ওগুলা লিখতে পারে না তো, খান ত্রিপলা নতুন ওয়ার্ড ক্রিয়েট করছে।
আর ওই অ্যাকশন
ওয়ার্ডটা অলরেডি ওগুলি ওয়ার্ড হচ্ছে ব্লক করে রাখছে, আমি আর নতুন ওয়ার্ড
ধর্ম নিয়ে কথা বলে
ওইটাই বললাম। আর এটা কি অবস্থা?
ওইটাই করে কপি করে রাখি, কিন্তু কথা চল লেগে তো আমার ওইটা লেখা লাগতেছে না, এটা ডিস্টার্বিং না।
ওইটাই টেবিল টপার গন। আইএটা লাগবে ভাই টেবিল টপে।
স্মোক করে গেলে মনে হয় ফালাকে তুলতে পারবে। স্মোক করে
straight up
Better
fight
smoke us.
directly and linearly into
Acha na
those
parbe na
buildings,
net
right? You
korteche.
can't use those side angles, you can't use those off angles unless you can get some
কার
tricks
কল
out
আছে
of
ভাই?
it.
কল ধরো ভাই, কল
Na'Vi
ধরো।
control a lot of the pace of this. The good news for Falcons, of
সিজের
course, is they don't need to go for the full push in.
5-9
They
ল্যাগ
can
হচ্ছে অনেক
position
স্ট্রিমে
here and try and play
মুই
fast.
মুই মুই
ডিসকর্ডে
মুই
তো ভালো
মুই
চলতেছে
মুই
বাট
মুই মুই
ওইখানে ল্যাগ হচ্ছে
Nay's been thrown in from either side. Flip's looking to get another one going through as well.
আইছি কামব্যাক করতে
TK
পারলে
here
বসবো
against Nick Galaxy, and this is what we're talking about
তাই
earlier
না?
in terms of what was their
ডিফিকাল্ট ভাই
team
ডিফিকাল্ট
looking
টু
like
সে
in the future. I think that might be the entirety of Nick Galaxy actually going down in the blink of an eye. Just one player
লাস্ট
left
10
remaining for
ম্যাচ
them in Ralph as he
আইছি
has to make a
কামব্যাক
quick
দেওয়ার
send
জন্য
around the corner. There is shots coming through from both Alter Ego as well. Wow, he's just about living. Spins out on the buggy as well. Does he get back
আঞ্জিল
on the
আরিফ
tree?
লাইফ
I don't
প্লেস
think
অ্যাকশন
so.
গেমিং হ্যাঁ ভাই
He's
একদম
got taken down there. Will meet his maker. Trying to go for a wild rotate. It was a really difficult approach for Nick Galaxy. They get 3 E-limbs, and Na'Vi can go on the chase now. The next circle keeps them in this. 5 E-limbs on the tally already. And look, try and push further into this one. The placement point started to kick in yet either, which means that Nick Galaxy
Right,
only
এরকম
get the 3
fight
points
নেওয়া
from the
উচিত।
E-limbs they found.
জোন নাই।
And Nick Galaxy, unfortunate ending for them.
আর
105
বিদিছে তাকে ভাই।
points.
সাথে
Still, again, for their point scoring, they are far ahead from a lot of the other teams. But you are right; it's this 4-horse race towards that top side, and Na'Vi could quite confidently get back into that third place position on their spot on that southeast side. There's a ton of potential eliminations for Na'Vi as well in ASI 8, Falcons, and the final player from
না
Team.
ভাই বিন দিলাম ভাই
Colgo,
এই
though,
ওয়ার্ডগুলা
he's been having a great time in this game, and the majority of the
ভালোই
team
লাগে না ভাই
so far in Group Red. I mean, he has been a singular
হালায়
beacon for
পিস অফ
Team
শিট
K7.
হালায়
The south side of Quarry seemingly their playground right now. And we haven't really talked too much about it. We touched on it earlier a little bit, but TJB, slap bang on the high ground in the middle of this circle, are on for a really good game. No elims just yet, but we talk about this a lot. When you get that central strong position, in general, you're looking to stage 5, the end of stage 5 and stage 6, to start to open start to open these fights. Icy finally opening up the course up towards this
Hello.
because now they do have to make that move. They didn't
Hello.
get to this point, but now they can
হ্যাঁ
start
হ্যাঁ
to
শুনতেছি
Brandon
শুনতেছো
Will-
দাঁতে মানে বাইরে গেছে
So that backstab
এই জন্য
potentially
স্ট্রিমে
is
নাই
taken away. Na'Vi
আচ্ছা
maybe thinking about getting involved
দান্তে ভাই হ্যাভিং ফান ইন
in the
ডেইলি লাইফ
future. I mean, it'd be good to take them
হ্যাঁ
out once
দান্তে
they're
স্ট্রিম অন
distracted
করে বাইরে চলে
with the
গেছে
final
মানে
player from
Oh.
ASI 8.
ডিসকর্ডেও নাই
I think they're more comfortable just to hold the position that's inside the circle. They know that even if Falcons are able to clear this spot, they have to push out into open ground. Good nade from top will finish off UZM, and that is ISA 8 going out in 11th place with only the 1 elimination. So not quite as bombastic as our previous match there on Sandhawk.
Na'Vi able to get a point here and ladder up into third now. Blank Nick Galaxy pushed out.
বিবিএল এর কি
Third
লিগ
place
স্টেজের
level.
পরে কোনটা
How far can Na'Vi go now? Because
তা
the
কি
question that
League
is
final.
can they reach IWNRX on 114 points? They're on
ভাই
League
আবার
stage
আইছে
পরে
তা
league
কি
final.
They have just taken a knock though.
Yeah, that's from Alter Ego. I think
দেখছেন ভাই
Six
নতুন
go
ওয়ার্ড
that way quite
তারপর
frequently, and I think Alter Ego
আচ্ছা
finally
তো
do find the number.
তোমার
Again, it's one of those positions where you expect a team to be,
বলে
so you are checking that balcony quite frequently. So I think that now
তাকে
we
ভাই
need to be
তুমি
a little bit more cautious on those
দুইটা
peaks now
ডিসকর্ডে কি
as
পিসি
we
দিয়ে
get
আছো
more into that
না
slow
না
portion of the match at 20
কেন
minutes in.
হোয়াট ইউ ওয়ান্ট
না আক্স
He
করলাম
goes
এটা
through and
করা
on
যায়
that
নাকি
top side.
আক্স
Yeah,
করলাম
যাইতো
Na'Vi
যাইতো
starting to suffer a little bit, and they have
কেন তুমি
just
পিসি দেখতে পারো
allowed
না
Falcons to push on through. There is that off
পিসি
angle
দিয়ে করতে পারো
still
না
available. Six again needs to be
আমার পিসি
careful.
নাই
This is a position he wants to
পিসি
play
নিতে
to
হবে
stay out of
ল্যাপটপ নিয়ে
danger,
নাও ভাই
but he knows that there are those sight lines from Alter Ego
না
behind
ল্যাপটপে
him on
নিতে
that north
যাচ্ছি না
side, and we are waiting for the
তুমি তার
second
হেভি ইউজ
circle
করবা
shift,
না
which might
স্টিম
accelerate this
টেস্টেমই
fight
করবা
quite a bit. But instead,
না
we'll
না হেভি
definitely
ইউজ
slow it
করবো
down once again.
ডোন
Both
করবা
teams
ভাই
know that
সেই
they
হইছে
need to win, though. They are on the slow side
ও
of the
তুমি তো
circle.
মানে
লিগে
কি
গেম
Play
পিসি
this
নিব
out
সিএসসি তে ভর্তি
quite
হইছো না
freely.
এর জন্য না
Alter Ego will have to move and not
আরে ওটা
unlikely
তো
they go for
স্টার
a
ইজ
third party on
আলাদা
this
ব্যাপার
fight, especially
কিন্তু
with the knockdown
নিব
towards
তো
the south
নিলে
side. Alter Ego definitely
গেম
taking
পিসি
action,
নিব
although it's
যাই
not
করো
গেম পিসি না নিলে
ভ্যালোরেন্টে ঢুকো না যাই করো
up on the balcony, doesn't care about the sidelines, goes back, doesn't hear the
Honor of
bouncing, but
King
jump
ঢুকো
out wide.
এটাই
In comes the Falcons force.
ওয়াও
They
ভাই
quite
না না ওই যে
believe gonna be able to find their feet
পাবজিরই তো মোবা আছে
into
সরি
Group
সরি
Red.
পাবজি বলেছি কি
Out
কই
of
ভাই
that big bombastic push, with
তাহলে
only
এই
2 players
পিসিরই
left,
মোবা
they've
আছে
got 11
লিগ
left
অফ
to
লেজেন্ডস
handle.
For Six there, I feel bad for him. Again, that's just some of the nerfs coming through his DBS, where
ফুল
he
সাপোর্ট
tags them on the side
ফেল
there.
টপ
That's a
টেবিল
nice
টপের
move
শুরুতে
for us.
ফ্যালকনই আছে ভাই
Na'Vi fall short on that game. I really
বাট
do think
অনেক
they could have
ডিফারেন্স
pushed that a
পয়েন্ট
lot further.
দেখছো
7
ফ্যালকনের
elims though
হুম
isn't
সাথে
হুম
too
হুম
bad,
ওটা তো
but that's
ডিফারেন্স
all that
মানে
was happening off the
টপ
back
3
of this
আমি
for
আশা
the
করতেছি
Falcons
না
to
বাট
take them out.
টপ 11 এ থাকবে
It was somewhat lukewarm in terms of their
টপ
defense
3 তে এখনো
versus
10 ম্যাচ
Falcons as
তো
they made
এনিথিং
that
ক্যান হ্যাপেন
crossing. I think partly
ওই
that's
রে
because they
আবার
wanted to
কোন
commit
উরুন্দুরুম
more
মারা
to
শুরু
the
করে
লাস্ট
ফ্যালকনের দেওয়া
5
ঠিক নাই
মিনিটসে যে
unfortunate
খেলাটা
moment
দিছে
for them.
লাস্ট
And
5
I do
মিনিটস
think
যেখান
that is
থেকে যে
partly his
খেলাটা
fault on the
কনভার্ট
fight
করলো
because I don't think he should have been peeking off
কম্পাউন্ডে
Alter
গেল
Ego. They
আইট্রি
should
ওয়াইপ
have
করলো
way more
আইট্রি
focus
ওয়াইপ করে বলে
over towards that
রিকভারি
Falcons
করে
crossing.
আবিরও
Alter
ওয়াইপ
Ego was
করলো
something
খালি
that
একটা
they
ম্যান
will
লুজ
have to
হয়েছে
deal
জাস্ট
with for a long,
একটা ম্যান
long
লুজ না
time.
হলে
I think it
100%
all
প্রপার
comes
সর্ট
back
আউট করে
to a
ফেলতো
little bit on their initial crash, right? They
Unbelievable.
got an opening to
সেই
ASIA, but they didn't conclude that fight, and that may have forced them into suboptimal defense positions against that Falcons force approach because Falcons were able to
আজকে
assume
ডিআইইউ
the
তে
ground that
স্পোর্টস এর
ASIA
প্রেজেন্টেশন
were holding
হইছে
beneath them. And
নাইস
I feel like, sure, the hold wasn't super strong, but I think there were multiple factors that played into that, not least of which Na'Vi crashed into the north side earlier on.
কবি ভাই
Didn't quite
কোথায়
fully
লাইভে
establish themselves.
ইউটিউবে
So we turn our attention now to the
হ্যাঁ
Team Queso trying
না
আমাদের
না
আমাদের
অনলি ফ্যান্স
this
ওয়াইটিতে
high ground
অনলি
and not give it.
And for TJB, it's a strong spot. It is, however, exposed to
তাকি
multiple
তুমি আর এই
positions.
যে খুলতে পারো একটা
There isn't
পার্টনার হিসেবে
really all that much hard cover in that
অনলি
location.
ফ্যান্স
This is just
অ্যাকাউন্ট
going to rely on pure mechanical skill. Luckily for Tongji Bao, they are filled with mechanical skill. They have boatloads of it. And I think this is one of the few locations where I would have good confidence in Tongji Bao to be able to hold on to this spot. Nades are going their way though now, and they're not taking too many shots outwards. A little bit of a shack controlled for 676, who has shown us he is unbelievably deadly.
With that pump action as well on the back, slung behind the scar. Team Queso, Alter Ego go for a roll up, and it's getting messy over on the north side. Rosemary, Alva, both still up in an action, but 3 players down for Team Queso.
TJB China, right?
Is this a rollout as well for TJB?
Yeah, যারা স্ট্রিমে আছেন ভাই স্ট্রিমটা শেয়ার করে দেন আর হচ্ছে আপনাদের অপিনিয়ন কমেন্ট করেন প্রেডিকশন ডিটেইল প্রেডিকশন দিতে পারেন অবশ্যই এখন আর পসিবল না 17
will be going down very, very low. Can they keep their heads above water here? Because TJB
এখনো দিতে পারো প্রেডিকশন বাট সেটা কাউন্ট হবে না
It was a great
এখন অপিনিয়ন
crash coming through
উইল
from
টেক ইট
Team
অ্যাজ অ্যান
Queso.
অপিনিয়ন
A little bit explosive in terms of losing 2 players on that run-up, but in terms of the smokes they were able to place down, the nades that went through, they did clear out that fight. So Team Queso down to 2 players, but 10 elims on the game after taking down Enigma Galaxy. So a strong
Colgate down, Colgate down
by Team Queso versus Alter Ego,
Colgate
and also taking down one of the most formidable squads.
কোলগেট দিলে সেটা বেশি সুন্দর লাগতো
Trade there onto Tongji Bao.
একজন কোলগেট একজন টেস্ট স্টুডেন্ট সেনসিটিভ
Tongji Bao do have those number advantages. Circle does not favor anyone. It's over towards the roadside. This is a very, very difficult circle to play in the end game. And again, this is a case where stage 7 is probably going to be the most important stage of finding those pickoffs and maintaining a full squad.
Incilio down, try to move close to the shack that Furia hold, but will not work out. 6 Melosa launching a nade.
কবি ভাই
হ্যাঁ বলো
আমি আপনাকে একটু ইনবক্স করতেছি দেখেন
ও ও নাইস কইতে না কইতে নাইসের নাইস 2 হয়ে গেছে 3 হয়ে গেছে লেও औकात पे आ गया
there as well on the off angle, and Vengeance careen into a wall of lead, and they will meet their match on TJB's hold from the north side. But TJB equally, they're going to have to move. The removal of Vengeance from the west side does make it a lot easier though.
দিলাম অভি ভাই
I mean, they understand that
ঠিক আছে ঠিক আছে
the crash that happened down towards the southeast, that's likely both those teams gone. There was only one team that could really hold on that western side. So for Tongji Bao, there is now just this sense of we control the northern edge, and it's going to be up to teams down on that south side to either fight against one another. We just need to have a little bit of interaction throughout the majority of this. You can see that it's around about a 62% chance of the win rate for Tongji Bao, and I would 100% agree with that fact. They have so much control in this lobby. Now, getting this close to Falcons is an interesting maneuver.
They're within nade range, but that goes both ways. 676 looking to
TJB chicken by easy. Easy peasy.
See that smoke is dropping. They're playing outside of it,
I
trying
like
to
this.
confuse Falcons, but there's still nades in the back pocket.
হ্যাঁ টোটো বাবা
got 4 of them, A nade over
হ্যাঁ,
that
সত্যি
will
কথা।
isolate the angles. He's looking more towards the edge of the blue here. That looks like it might
সুপারসনিক
be a
ড্রোন
target,
ভিউ।
but it doesn't go quite long enough. The cook just a little bit too long. Up on the high ground, you've still got longs going.
এই যে
Malloy
টোটো
still
তোরে বেশি
hanging in
ভালোবাসলেই
with
খেয়ে
that bridge.
তো ল্যাপটপের
He is
কিগুলো
with Buggy
টিপা
and
দিবি করে
Furia,
দিবি।
yet to leave their shack.
চুপচাপ থাকবে সে। দেখ কি হয়।
I mean, with the amount of
বাবা।
nades that Falcons had, yeah, I didn't like this roll up from Tongjibao. I think that they could have potentially set up a little bit further back there and just gone for shots like this as the circle started to push in. Instead, they try and get a forward outpost. You understand why.
আর রিসিভ করতে যায় কাইটা গেছে।
But again,
রিসিভ করতে যায় কাইটা গেছে।
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, এই শোন,
হ্যাঁ।
কি আনএম ছাড়বি বলে শুনলাম।
না না, এই আইনেমের আইনেমের তো আমার ডিভাইস টিভাইস দিবে এই মাত্র।
ডিভিশন দিবে,
হ্যাঁ।
আর না দিলে কি ছাড়বি?
না দিলে দেখি, এখনো কইতে পারতেছি না।
যদি ছাড়লে তো ডিভিতে ঢুকে যেতে হবে।
Mishandling here as Furia try and leave. Actually, East picking up one of those knocks.
কি রে, এটা কি ছিল?
No, yeah, no, they are all out on the southwest side. Falcons actually getting the flush over towards Longs on the high ground as well. And they're picking up
সিজে
the
এগুলা
points
কি
now.
বলে?
TJB starting to suffer. They still have the numbers advantage and they still have an overwhelming odd of victory. They have the middle of the circle and they know where the Falcons force are to leave. Malloy's been quiet for a long time now though, Blank, and maybe there's a surprise.
Well, they cleared out the players on that western side already. So it's a question whether TJB thinks that there isn't any more squads on that edge of the map. Good step up from Triple S, instantly gets back down again, and Icy has to pull off some magical plays here. But Tongjibao will find that one. Now there's one final player inside the lobby, and it is Malloy from Virtus Pro. This is probably the furthest we've seen Virtus Pro get into a game before, but this should be a win for Tongjibao. Good step up from Malloy, though, on the 4 here, John.
They'll have used a lot of nades trying to get rid of Falcon Force, so not potentially super easy to get this one done. The middle of the circle has to be given up a little bit. TJB not looking to push forwards. They're waiting for him to step up and go for the pair fire here. 676 and Triple S need to be careful though. If you're overexposed, if you just get clipped, you could be in a 1v1 situation in a very dangerous spot. You can see no nades there, and he spotted Malloy for Virtus Pro. Still has one more player to deal with, but 676 has to stand up, has to go for the dart out, and 676 stands up. Can't quite find it.
Chicken. Nice. ঘুরা ফিরা এই কয়টা টিমই সব চিকেন নিতেছে। টিজেবি
এই গ্রুপটা কেমন জানি মানে ঘুরা ফিরা সেম চিকেন।
মানে কোন মানে নিচের টিম বা কেউ চিকেন পাইতেছে না।
ও তার বাচ্চা, তো তার বাচ্চা।
If Icy was slightly
কিরে সিজে তোর
more on
কেডা
target
অফার দিল?
with those nades,
কিছু বাবু
it could have been an easy double.
মেহেরাজ ভাই ডিপিতে।
An interesting maneuver from TJB.
ওয়াও ভাই ওয়াও।
এখন আবার
just like a lot have people have commended
হ্যাঁ?
All eyes on
এখন অফার
CJ.
দিছে?
TJB gets a few more
হ্যাঁ।
points on their tally.
নাইস।
না
মৃদার অনেক চুলকাইতেছে।
So some teams who desperately want to get some points going have been able to do so here in this match. But before we dive into the end of the game, we got to talk about the start of the game and how don't take shots at Navi unless you're ready for the whole team to come at you.
These guys were just straight driving by everybody, man. Beautiful shots off the car. It's good to see Navi getting active. I mean, they're place, so they definitely want to kind of keep that point gap because they are starting to get a little bit of a point gap between 4th and 5th here, Mac.
Yeah,
নাও মানা রাফিদ গেছে কই?
Navi going forward like, no, okay, we'll drop on the opposite side of the map. We don't want Flip to just completely spray us down in the car. That was just too good of a spray. But yeah, here you go. TJB getting himself the chicken dinner. Good to see. And you were telling me just before we went on desk here, Juke, it kind of gave you some PL vibes, right?
Oh, big time. Because, you know, in the 3rd day of PEL, these guys went from 9th place all the way to the top, baby. And they won that championship, won over 700 grand because of that. So now we're on day 3 here. They were in 7th prior to this game, and they really needed to put something big on the board so they can cross that point gap and hopefully put them in that running for top 3. And after a performance like this, you got to know they're right there.
I feel like they're definitely a lot more comfortable in this lobby. Ever since day one, they just, oh, okay, we see how this is working out now. We're just feeling the groove of things, and it's working pretty good. Tixie, no. But we're going to see the replays here, Jukes. Very soon, we're going to be seeing that insane triple man spray down from Longs on top of that shed. That was such a good spot to be at that point because it's edge of circle, so you know you're not going to be having any possible bad off angle for you to get knocked from. They had info on Vengeance. He's like, yeah, I spot them. Should I take the shot? Yeah, just one spray down is going to be enough to get the triple knocks, and then the rest of the team helps him to get the confirms. Longs, that was literally the play to clear all of the northern side, and he did it so well.
Oh my gosh, it's a dream scenario. Like, you know, every single player on the squad just lines up perfectly. Just one spray down the line, and you just get a ton of eliminations. So beautifully done from them. Navi as well put up some nice points on the board too. So I was kind of interested to see that we did have a couple of the top squads go out really early here. So I was hoping to see some of those teams in the mid-pack really pop off. And I think we did. I mean, we saw Ultra Eagle out in the late game. I mean, just a great, solid start to today, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. And I kind of got sandwiched between Navi and Falcons over towards Ferry Pier, that compound we were seeing 3-4 previously. A little bit of a shame they didn't have all 4 players left alive, or maybe they can continue what they did on Sandhawk. But for me, it's also nice to see Falcons be able to frag out. And I feel like, you know, Max, as you talked about towards the top of the show today, we haven't seen these like amazing games out of them. And obviously not winning the match here, I feel like 10 elims for me is a good sign of like, okay, maybe the old Falcons is not gone just yet. Maybe they need a little bit more time to cook here. And we're going to see them continue to pop off.
Slightly more time to Young Tasha. Yeah, that's cool. And that's all they're going to know. Young Tasha. I said, yeah, I said it wrong. I need 7 to help me on saying that. But no, it was a good engage overall. I think there were definitely some weaknesses in how Navi were holding down their position, but then they just full sent it.
নাভিও এই ম্যাচে পয়েন্ট বের নাভি মনে হয় 3 তে চলে আসছে
really efficiently. So yeah, 10 elim on the board. Really happy with the side of Falcons this time.
নিগমা গ্যালাক্সি মনে হয় পিছায় গেছে
The first 2 days, Paul got himself a chicken dinner, but outside of those wins, there wasn't really too much happening for them. So this is not a win, so I'm a little bit happy to see that they can at least get some good performances when the chicken dinner is not coming their way. So, man, still, TJB, we saw that spray of Longs. I just want to talk about that spray so much here, Hodgins, because it was really the big impactful spray initially. Though, Team Kesso, we need to talk about them, right? 10 eliminations playing the southern side of Corey. That was on point, Jukes.
Oh, beautiful. I mean, who else can you really just shine the spotlight on other than Kolgo, dude? This guy is really been putting this team on his back. He's just been standing out above the rest, and we saw him with those beautiful lay-down spray downs. I saw whenever he had that MG3 in his hands, Max screaming at the top of his lungs, MG3, yes, come on, baby. But man, I mean, it's good to see Team Kesso start off strong today. They really needed it. I mean, 10 eliminations, these guys should be stoked, and hopefully we can see them repeat that at least a couple times if they want to make that run for top 3.
But I'll tell you, if anyone holds the MG3, I'm supporting that team. Okay, that's how it typically goes a lot of the time. Virtus Pro, I also want to highlight them a little bit this game because they did have a good entry point north of Primorsk. They had a really good high ground.
Flower.
Anything they take a bit of
MVP হইলে টিজেবি থেকে ফ্লাওয়ারই MVP হয়
কি ভাইয়া ব্যান অ্যাকশন গেমিং
আপনার ওয়াইটি থেকে সেইবার
হ্যাঁ আমার ওয়াইটিতেই তো ঝামেলা করতেছে শালা
আবার জানতে পারি তো কমেন্ট করছে
ওরে ইয়াতে তো
জানতে পারটাতে আমি ইয়ে মারছি আপনারটা দিয়ে দিতেছি দাঁড়ান
না
তাকি দেহ তো বকচুদের বাচ্চা কি সব কমেন্ট করতেছে
ভাই
বাংলায় লেখতেছে এবার
সেকেন্ডস বাংলাগুলাই তো ইয়া করছি তারপর কেমনে হইতাছে এগুলাটা কি
নতুন ওয়ার্ড ইউজ করতেছে ভাই জান না আগের ওয়ার্ডের লগে পরের ওয়ার্ডের মিল নাই ওর মনে করেন হোগার ভিতরে ভাই কারেন্ট ভাই খালি
just because we've been kind of critical of this team of playing very defensive, like send it center and just kind of wait.
এইটা ডেডিকেশন ভাই তুমি কম্পিটিটিভে দেখাইলো পারো তাহলে তো ভাই আর কোন প্লেয়ারের সবাই
বাচ্চা ওর মায়ের পুটকি দিয়ে হইছে না পাঁচছদের বাচ্চা ওর মতো ছাগল পাগল দিয়ে দুনিয়া বইরা গেছে
from I think it was 5th down to 8th now in our leaderboards.
Ooh, that hurts. But yeah, I'm happy you're bringing up actually Vengeance here, Jason, because they
didn't prediction correct. Good job.
We want to reach
এইবার কি কিভাবে দিবেন এই রাউন্ড এই গ্রুপের যারা প্রেডিকশন ঠিক করবে?
এটার পরেরটা দিব, এটা এখনো হিডেন, বাট কমেন্ট করলে কারেক্ট হইলেই পাবে।
কারেক্ট হইলেই পাবে নাকি হাইয়েস্ট কারেক্ট করতে হবে?
হাইয়েস্ট যার হবে, হাইয়েস্ট টপ 5। তানজিলারি নিউ আইডি নিয়ে আসে। হ্যাঁ ভাই, এই বক্সদের কত আরে খানকির পোলা অ্যাকশন গেমিং তোর মাইরে মাদার চোদ।
I'm looking at from 8th to 3rd and it's like 26 points. Not good, not good. So yeah,
ভাই কত ব্যান দিবে ওরে, বাইনচোদের বাচ্চারে ব্যান দিতে দিতে
win today or if they don't start putting up, 5 to 10 eliminations per match. I
Taki,
we're not going to see
aso
a representative from last year who won PMGC be back at the grand finals yet again this year like we saw S2G do previously. So really unfortunate for them. Again, Furia, I would rate them higher than IHC from what I've seen in this year. And
hello,
what's
Asi bhai
going on within their squad either. I know you touched on a little bit, Hot Jukes, but they are just
বাইনচোদে দেখো মানে কোত্থেকে এগুলা যে বাইর করে।
Maybe we can ask Seven to go talk to them because we haven't really heard much from Furia and see like what is going on within the team because they are just not playing like the team.
একটার পর একটা কমেন্ট
I mean, even
করতেছে।
kind of similar with Alt Ego as well as they're kind of hovering around that 12th, 11th position quite consistently.
Yeah, I mean at this point
হোয়াইটের সাপোর্টে ভাই জানেন আজকে মেল করুন যে তোমরা আমি বালের সাপোর্ট।
Let's be real, if you're Furia and you're IHC, the possibility for top 3 is still there. It would require you winning like almost every single game for the rest of the day today to be kind of in that running. But it's like, what do you do, Max, right? What would you do actually? Because you have the decision, right? All right, do we go for that top 3 run still? Or do we just say, hey, it's way too late, let's just try to sneak into the survival stage?
So survival stage is
লজ্জা শরম নেই, নির্লজ্জ।
but the clock is ticking, right? And at this
নির্লজ্জ মানে একটা মানুষের একটা ধৈর্যের সীমা থাকা উচিত। বক্সদের বাচ্চার কোনো সীমাই নেই মানে। ভাই 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 ভাই, ইরান গেলে 43,000 মিটার ওরা ডিস্টেন্স কভার করছে, ট্রাভেল করছে।
আমার উপরে চাপাই দিলেন কেন?
And it's a good position to fight. Just
Keda.
send it. Don't try and play overly passive. We saw IHC on the Sanok too, right, Jukes? Just
ভাই
not being willing to go for
বাংলাদেশের থেকে
rotation
টপ
and
টিম বানাইতে
hoping
ছেলে
that
কারে
the
কারে
circle's
নিয়ে
not
টিম
going to be
হবে।
too mean to them. But the circle does not care about your feelings. The circle is going to be as
মায়ের
mean as it
অ্যাক্টিভ
possibly
থাকতো।
can be. So if you're IHC, I would say just
এ
send it
বক্সদের
center if you can
কন্টিনিউয়াসলি আসবে।
and just get elims. Like literally just hold down your position like it's an absolute 4 and hopefully it'll work out. But as of right now, I still really think it's too late, Hodrix. I do have to say, like Jason, I might just count them out.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but again, they still have a couple of matches to potentially change our minds here as we're about to head into our 3rd match of the day. But I am hearing we are
ওই মিনাল ভাই কি সিএমএফ এর ডিসিতে?
about Tiamba. Let's go ahead and check in with the man of the moment.
Welcome back to a quick report with the 7WG. I just wanted to talk about Tiamba
কি ডেডিকেশন ভাই, ডেডিকেশনের শেষ নাই বক্সদের। ওর মা বাপরে গালি শুনে দিচ্ছে তারপরও ডেডিকেশনের শেষ নাই। চিন্তা করে মানে কত পরিমাণ ফাউল হইলে।
They don't feel like they were able to prep enough for some of these teams because the research for some of those teams was a lot harder. Hopefully though, after 2 days played, they'll be able to just go back to the VAR review and adjust because they're currently in 10th place. It's not looking good for them. Back to you guys.
You really got to give credit to our production team of finding a microphone that makes it look normal sized in his hands. Because if it was in my hand, that thing would barely be bigger than my hand. Yeah, hearing from Tiamba, obviously good to hear. And honestly, the pressure, I think for a team that, I mean, I had him in my top 3, man. Like, I had him as one of the teams to easily get through this, considering what we saw at PMWC. They're not really hitting the stride they want to. And I feel like, again, that's just a testament to how good every region has gotten at PUBG Mobile.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy to see just how well everybody's improved. Everybody should know, what to do at this point. But it hurts to hear that Tiamba wasn't able to kind of get that prep that they needed done here because they're definitely getting, outperformed by their Eastern brothers. Oh,
sorry, he's just staring down the camera, man.
He's always redox.
No.
Why does he not like us? Who is he looking at?
He's looking into our souls.
Yeah, I'm scared by redox. Oh my god.
Joke's on him, I don't have one.
Oh, that would be Kalaris, but yeah.
Whoa. But yeah, it's been rough times, and I kind of like this actually because I feel like for the longest time in PUBG Mobile, it's always been the Chinese teams are the best in the world, and there was definitely a time when that was true. Looking back at Nova winning 2 PMGCs in a row, but like every region has really caught up to these teams. And the unfortunate part is when we see like regional clashes, like we had the was the SCA, SA, and PER regional clash not too, or I guess it was kind of a long time ago. It was just all China. But I feel like when we get to these global stages,
ম্যাচ কি দুইটা শেষ না?
good teams for
হ্যাঁ
them
দুইটা
to
শেষ
be able to run away with.
Yeah, and you have all these different metas, right? It's not like
ম্যাচ
years ago
পর
they play a similar playstyle. No, I mean just between Group Yellow and Group Red. Oh, Group Yellow very center focused. Group Red, oh, we're playing Edge. Wait, how the hell do you want us to adapt to this global scene? It becomes so hard, Archduke. So I definitely get the struggle for them. I think that Chamba right now, what they should focus on is at least surviving in top 11, making it to survival, and then you'll have that week and a half to prep for the teams that are going to be playing there. Of course, you've got Group Green that you'll be looking at also, so that's even better for them technically. So just survive to the survival stage, and then you'll have the time to do the prep that you feel like you didn't have time to do in the first place.
I mean, let's be real. I mean, they're not that far away, right? I mean, what do they have, like 71 points right now? Top 3 is 106. So, I mean, one good game here, they could be in that show for top 3. So, I mean, if Tianba can hopefully, you know, make it happen. I mean, we heard from 7, right? They've had 2 days by now, right? So they definitely should be adjusted to these squads. So there's still plenty of time for them to get in top 3, but they got to start performing. And the reason why I'm really stressing that now more than ever is because we saw in Group Yellow just how toxic things get towards the last stage, right? So you don't want to wait until then to really need like a crazy amount of points. So if they could pop off here, I mean, they'll be right there to be able to make it in top 3.
I mean, as you're talking about, right, you don't want to wait to that last day to have to pop off. You don't want to be forced to be extra aggressive when it doesn't necessarily suit how the game can go here. But as you did mention, there's 71 points, 10th place. It's what, 35 points between them and top 3? Like, it's really not that hard to go from where they currently are into PMGC Grand Finals. It's just about having those couple of good games and hitting a level of consistency here in arguably one of the toughest lobbies that you're going to have here in your career. But it is very doable for a lot of these teams. Like even Ultra Ego, there's technically in the running. I would even say FaZe Clan and VP are technically in the running as they're down to like 68, 64, 63 points. It's just only the Fury and IHCs we're looking at of not really having that chance to bounce back forward.
Wow. টিয়ার ভাইয়ের ওয়াইফ ওনারে স্ট্যাটাসে স্কোপ আর একটা আইফোন 14 প্রো ম্যাক্স গিফট করতে পারতেছে
Should you go for just the survival stage or should you go for top 3? I think IHC kind of should have that mentality to go to top 3, right? Not saying that it's really going to happen, but like they need a win here. Like I'm as much as I would love to see them put up like 5 eliminations, you know, a game, whatever, they need like a 15 elimination to get them out.
টিয়ার ভাইয়ের কি হইছে?
Because like there's too
ওনার
much
বার্থডে ছিল
potential from these squads. Like even Tianba, if they want to make it to top 3, they need to do that same thing because who's in that running? It's TJB, Falcons, you know.
ভালো লাগছে আমাদের
I8's going crazy. I mean, in one game, these guys can go off too.
মুরব্বি
So, like, man, I really need to see that from IHC. I want to get to see them in that mentality of like, man, we have to win in order to survive. Period.
Maybe just you can also go another direction on that. Is just forget about top 3, top 11. Just trying to get these big games. Like Fury and Aichi, we mentioned them a few times already. Jukes are seemingly a bit scared to engage or to rotate into strong positions because they're avoiding conflict. At least that's what I've been witnessing throughout these games. And I would just say try and get yourself a good game.
না ভিতরের ছবি তো নাম তো দেখেন
I feel like some teams put a lot of pressure on themselves. Oh, it's PMGC, we can't afford mistakes. But everyone does mistakes. Even IW and
উনি প্রেডিক্ট করছে 50 জনে টিজেবি চিকেন
at some point just go for these Hail Mary plays and try and make something happen.
অ্যাকশন গেমিং এ পুরো ব্যান দাও তো একটু টাকি এই যে আইডিটা থেকে কম দিচ্ছে পুরো টাইম আউট দিচ্ছে টাইম আউট তো হচ্ছে না
and just get eliminated by you super easily. No, they're going to fight tooth and nail to survive, and you need to do the same thing if you want to have the hope of continuing further in this year's PMGC.
Yeah, you know what? I think you hit the nail on the head there, bro. I really do think you put the word Hail Mary plays, right? And I think that's what the mindset they need to be in, because let's be real, I think the reason why we're seeing every single region be kind of at the same level here, Jason, is because the secret sauce is out already, right? These teams know what to do. Like, all right, hey, if we get blessed with the circle, we get a good position, we're going to win this game 99% of the time unless we just make a big mistake, right? But the teams that are on those edge plays, they're like, all right, we're not going to win this game. Let's turn around and just get some eliminations, right? And put some points on the board. But teams like IHC, they can make the decision to be like, all right, we're not going to win. Let's just put something on the board. Or we could go for the Hail Mary, push on this team, and if we win this fight, we could win the game. And I think they're at that stage now, Max, where they got to go for those plays in order to make a miracle happen here.
I'd have to say, you know, in simple terms, you got to stare down the lobby like Redox stares down the camera. If you can do that, you will be successful and you'll make it in top three for sure.
Well, you know, speaking of trying to be successful here, I think a big talking point of day one was we see a lot of edge play. Day two, I felt like we kind of saw a little bit more center play, but still a little bit of edge. I'm just curious if you guys had any thoughts about if we've seen adaptations in the lobby alone about what's been successful.
Well, I'll tell you what, in this last game, everybody was playing edge, and it wasn't their
You
choice.
had to.
Yeah, it wasn't their choice at all. And I mean, it kind of goes either way. I mean, you know, that's what I'm saying is like certain teams realize, like, yeah, you know what, this rotation to center is going to be too difficult. So let's just focus on just wiping teams out on the edge, put some eliminations on the board, because that's how you win championships, right? You got to put 5 to 6 points a game if you get a bad zone, and then when you get the circle, you got to put up a 20-point plus game, right? So, I mean, at a certain point, though, you got to just decide, hey, 5 points ain't enough, Max. You got to go for the big game.
Sometimes, or you can just be, you know, your IWNRX, your Enigma Galaxy, your I8, and they do that in eliminations almost per game.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we're just going to cruise by. We're just going to always be in top 3. And that's why currently the top 3, top 4 has changed very little throughout this group for Group Red, is because they keep getting those eliminations. So sure, Falcons, Get to Roy, TJB, Tiamba, they can get sometimes these big games. But when the top 4 is so damn consistent on the elimination front of things, it makes it so hard to breach that top 3, top 4 situation. So you're just hoping one of those teams falters at the end if you want to make in top 3. But as of right now, that doesn't seem to be the case.
Well, speaking of consistency, one of the most consistent things about these shows is the awesome commentary by the two gentlemen going to be taken away here on Erangel, John Allen and Blake.
Hey, look at that. Jason was really nice to us just then. I'm a big fan. Let's keep that up. Let's keep that going. Let's get that to be one of the most consistent things of the PMGC Group Red, because we're getting underway with match number 15.
Plane path from the eastern side over towards the west on Quarry. Nicer plane path than we saw on our last game as we head into match 3 of Erangel. And yeah, Jason was quite nice to us, which is always nice. I think it's because you hit him up with the old you have 3 modes. Entering the 4th mode.
Whoa, that's incredible. He's going into gear 4. That's crazy. That's an anime thing, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Yes. Let's go. One Piece mentioned. Maxman going off right now. Oh dear. Plane path from Lipovka over towards the west coast. So again, fairly nice and easy for our team.
ভাই গুগলে যায় কাফুর পুলিশ স্টেশন দিয়ে সার্চ মারলে এরপর রিভিউতে গেলে একজন রিভিউ পাবেন
early on in the matches, but doesn't look
how
like
you
we'll
been
see that
going?
here.
I got arrested few days ago and was in there for a couple of days. Got discharged recently. The sales were pretty nice. Spacious room, high speed Wi-Fi, nutritious food. The garlic naan. Oh, garlic naan was a bit salty, which doesn't quite go with all the chicken barbecue. The officer in charge was quite humble, so was the constable. Recommended for all. What the fuck is recommended for all, bhai? Bhai. Police station review dise bhai.
So you see 78 points right now for Getso Roy.
Dates no abar comment korche Rona dei chol eder experience kora baki review bhalo ache.
This is all changeable in one match. One match is all it requires for some teams towards
না ভাই আমরা চুয়াডাঙ্গে ভাই ব্যাড এক্সপেরিয়েন্স ছিল ভাই এটার এক্সপেরিয়েন্স ভালো হবে
Triple S, figure out which seat you're going to sit in. Come on, be reasonable. Stop jumping about.
Wow,
Turn that car around. Take you back over to Rozok, and then you'll have to deal with Getso Roy. And how would you like that? I don't think you like that very much. Goodness me, worst sort of passenger. You know, can't keep still. Furia over in Yasna and Poliana. Again, a split drop on this area. This time though, with Na'Vi, not with Virtus Pro.
Yeah, no, I think for Na'Vi, it's much easier for them over towards Yaz. This is where they're usually dropping, rather than Mini Milta down towards that south side. This is where they prefer to drop. They actually don't loot here for a very long time, though, which I always find very curious, honestly. Typically, they'll have a very cursory loot in this area. Though, to be fair, from looking what some of these players have on board, they seem to be already fairly well looted. But they tend to get themselves out of dodge. But with a circle that heads over towards this northeast side, it's not massively necessary to scout out too far. I think a lot more teams have been studying the circles as well, where Mansion and the eastern edge of the map were a little bit more open, allowing Na'Vi to make some of those rotates out there. But this time around, you got Team Queso towards the south, and Alter Ego taking up more presence on Mansion as well as Lipovka. Pretty basic split. A lot of times, if you drop Lipovka, you do want to have two outposts on that western side, which is what Alter Ego's doing with Alva as well as Rosemary, because Lipovka's very hard to scout from. I know what's happening off in the distance. So if you are playing in a 4-man squad at home, yeah, try this out.
Could be something that can improve your performance. You love to see that. Always good to get a little bit better every day. That's all you've got to do. Beat yourself from yesterday. It's a life lesson from John Allen from Blank. There you go. I was just thinking back to last game a little bit, Blank, because Virtus Pro dropped in East Yaz. Na'Vi weren't there. Do you think Virtus Pro were trying to hot drop onto Na'Vi?
I'm not sure. Maybe, possibly. I actually don't know. I think honestly, if you're Virtus Pro, I don't think hot dropping on Na'Vi is the greatest and latest of ideas, but certainly.
কিরে আমাদের কমেন্টেটররা সব চুপ কেন? টাকি কোথায়?
আসি ভাই।
ঠান্ডা হঠাৎ চুপ করে গেলা কেন? তোমার ইয়াতে চাঁদপুরে যাওয়া উচিত।
গরম হইতে হবে ভাই।
দুপুরবেলা ম্যাচ থাকলে না ভাই যেই ঘুম আসে রে ভাই। এই ভাই
তুই যাস নাই রেশাদ চেক কল দিলে?
এর ভিতরে ভাই কালকে বুঝছেন রাতে ঘুমাইছি ওয়াইটিতে
ম্যাচে ঢুকলাম না
2006 এর। তো ওই দেখতে দেখতে স্বপ্নের ভিতরেও দেখি ভাই সুনামি আমার 10 তলায় পানি উঠে গেছে। টাইম পরে বুঝছেন সব থাইটাই লাগায় রাখছি যে থাই লাগায় সুনামি আসবে। পানি ভিতরে ঢুকতে দেব না।
কি ভাই?
স্ট্রাগল করতে ভাই লেজিট ভাই স্বপ্নের ভিতরে সুনামির লগে। তারপরে লাস্টের এন্ডিংটা আবার সেই ছিল, এন্ডিংটা অন স্ট্রিম কোয়া যাবে না। জীবনের একটা লাস্ট মনোখোয়াশ পূরণ করছি লাস্টে। ও ভাই
আপনি কি এই স্বপ্ন দেখেন নবী ভাই? আমি দেখি
ভাই মানে কি যে ফিল্মি স্বপ্ন ভাই, ছি ভাই অনেকদিন পরে দেখছি ভাই, ভালোই লাগছে।
It's really close grouping. Tongjubao and Falcons though off that last game. Nicely done. 90
না ওই যে এটা মনে পড়ছে কেমনে ওই যে দান্তে হলো গ্রুপ মেসেজ দিছিল যে পিএমজি হসপিটাল করতে করতে স্বপ্ন পিএমজি দেখে।
And this has happened quite frequently through Group Red, where some of our top teams, that performance has died out a little bit, allowing some of our other teams to catch up somewhat. I think for Tongjubao, this is a team that absolutely is gunning for a top 3. They deserve a top 3. Seven was talking about preparation. In the meantime, I think that's fair enough. Honestly, for the Chinese region, they have so many games, and it is a really rigorous schedule that they have to go through on their side, and the amount of games they have to play. So getting ready for some of these international tournaments is always sometimes a little bit difficult.
মাই তুমি কিছু না বুঝলে ভাই বিসিতে আসো ভাই বিসিতে বুঝবে। ওইটির কমেন্টে ইনবক্সে মারো না।
Vengeance getting pushed off the high ground here. IWNRX moving them aside over towards Potato Hill. Lily is very unlikely to get back up.
ওয়াইটি রিপ্লাই ভাই ইনবক্সে দিলে মেজাজ খারাপ লাগে না এখন। এনে তো ভাই বিসিতে কইলেই হয়।
Good news for IWNRX adding a point to their tally.
ব্যান মাইরা দেন তো নারে।
আরে ওয়াইটিতে তো করতেছ না, আমার ডিএম এর মেসেজ দিতেছে। কিন্তু টপিক হচ্ছে ওয়াইটির।
For IWNRX, they're not going to get a lot of those back either. Down towards the southwest.
তাহলে ব্লক মাইরা।
So a huge amount of utility expended. Now I think that what they assumed was there was a ton more players behind this hilltop that they would be throwing nades over towards, but realistically Lily was just that forward vanguard, playing as a somewhat of a scout role. So if IWNRX, I think they'll be pretty unhappy of how that panned out, because as we all know, grenades are hugely important in this game. You want to have a big tally of those on board at any point, and there was no way to replenish.
The value of grenades, obviously, you can throw them in clearer areas without exposing yourself. The arc on it allows you to stay in cover whilst also doing a lot of damage and getting information fed back your way. Stepping up though, Zed Wolf, he don't need no cover. He just goes for the cover of the barrel of his gun, sends it their way, and Vengeance lose a second.
And they're looking for more
কেন
on the tally as well. So the rest of Vengeance are staying
বাইরে
away. Down to just
পুরে
two
জোন
players
বা
now. Nadir and
স্মোক
Rex
দুইটা
carve
না করে
themselves up.
রাখলে
Nice
পারতা
bit
না
of space down towards this south side. They'll get the death crate as well. So I think what they were thinking
Nice.
right now is that we really want to loot that crate from Lily. But we also want a little bit more value out of this
না
to steal
আমার
some
খেয়াল
more
নাই আমি
utility
তো মনে হয় যে
away to
অফলাইন ছিলাম খেলতে
replenish some of our supplies. So it makes sense that they get a bit more aggressive on this push over towards them as Vengeance look to roll out. And it's good timing on it as well just before the circle pop, because you know these players are going to be getting into vehicles to make their next rotation forward. And that next rotation is far towards the north side. It is a real hard shift over towards Severny Way as well as shooting range. And I don't think a lot of teams were prepared for it.
TJB set up in the compound in the center of this big north shift. Goodness me, nice and safe for them. If the Galaxy Falcons Force, I think that's probably one of the more dangerous areas of this crossing, but Falcons Force managed to get through nice and quickly and straight up towards Getso Roy. A little bit further on into this one, but still quite close to that central river that runs through from Yasnaya over towards Georgia Pole. They have the gas station with an outpost anyway, not too much presence being felt there, but they can establish a swing around the east side for Furia. They put Kayovsky up in the distance a little bit earlier on so they can regroup up to that north side.
Yeah, for Fury, again, I do feel bad for them. I don't think this is a bad team. I think they have good squad mates on side. They come from a region that is very aggressive, and also if you are from that region in general, you are made in fire, essentially, forged in the flames of combat in Brazil. So I think for Furia, they are a strong team, and they've had to deal with some of the craziest players in the world in terms of being aggressive and mechanical skill. So I don't think that Furia's bad. I just think that they've had a bad hand of it here over in Group Red. They're playing into squads who are very tactically minded, and they are getting caught off a fair few times. Some of their fights just aren't going their way with unexpected third parties coming through. Na'Vi do lose Lemon on the approach to Alter Ego, which is not great.
It's a pretty heavy hit to them. And Alter Ego looking like they just get across that road and out of the way now. Yeah, they didn't quite have the speed.
ভিডিও অফিশিয়ালি লাইভে খালি অ্যাডভার্টাইজমেন্ট চলতেছে কেউ না ভাই এটা কেন হইতেছে তানজিলার টিজেবি এটা কি এই ম্যাচের প্রেডিকশন দিলেন
the rest of the game to go because we're only in stage 2 and they're a little bit towards the edge, so it's unlikely that they're going to be in the circles for maybe in 2 stages time.
This next circle is going to be an interesting one. I don't like that one. Yeah, do not like this circle whatsoever. I don't think a lot of players like this circle either, to be honest with you, with Yaz Lake cutting out a lot of that on the northeast side. The worst part about it, though, is that it cuts out the most northeast edge of Yaz Lake, preventing those rotates from coming through in this mid-game, because that's going to get cut out by Blue very shortly. And yes, right now in stage 2, stage 3, it's a possibility to make those rotates through, but that's a decision that you have to confirm on. So a lot of your other rotates are going to come through on it's difficult. I think this is more of a game where it's pick a spot. If it's good, play off the back of it. If it's bad, you're going to have to make some difficult choices in the future.
The team I'm looking at right now in terms of a strong potential position is IWNRX Blank. They were hard on the southeast side, and that was before a pretty nasty spot for them to be in. But given this circle, they can move up towards the hill that sits to the west of that God compound overlooking Yasnaya Fields, and potentially have a massive stronghold on the southeast edge. They've already got 2 elims. It's going to be so difficult for teams to break through to their location. I feel like IWNRX could be onto a good game. The difficulty, of course, is if it shifts to that northwest side. But as you said, just like the other teams, it's kind of a coin flip at this point as to which side of the river you go for, and having a brilliantly strong position on one side is better than having a weak positions to both.
Yeah, you just want to take a spot and play out for the rest of the game. And sure, IWNRX are quite close to that edge side, but yeah, they have control over teams that are coming through. I quite like Falcon's spot at the moment. It is incredibly dangerous, but I respect it nonetheless. They're playing that bridge crossing. I think they're on the bank sides as well. And this does give them the opportunity to move over towards that north and south side. The difficulty comes where teams start crossing in droves, but I think most teams right now on this circle are just kind of in this situation where they have to make it back towards some of the positions they scouted earlier. They have to move away from shooting range, which I think a lot of teams tried to get into early on. So Falcons are fairly safe. Whew. Damn, that's some nasty shots from Longs.
A double roll-up as well coming on through. Getso, Roy, Virtus Pro. Actually, it's a triple roll-up, I guess, technically. TJB going to stop in their tracks. They see two teams fighting. They've already managed to take some shots over this way, and Malo is the next to go down to them. Getso, Roy assisted on their roll-up by a big nade as well, coming in through from Duque there. Able to take Virtus Pro down. They were caught in the mix of three teams all rolling on up to this one compound, and that's what you were talking about, Blank. Teams are just going to have to go for these positions that maybe they've seen something from earlier, but everybody had the same idea in this instance.
Yeah, it's difficult. There's no easy choice.
Zone কোন দিকে গেছে?
Where you're backtracking. Obviously, a lot of teams would have wanted to take those compounds that sat a little bit over towards that northwest side.
এদিক ভাই?
উত্তর পাশে. Will have to go. Falcons want to see a quick here to try and take control of that plateau. Wait. I think
এই ম্যাচটাও টিজেবি বের করতে পারে যদি ভালোভাবে খেলে। i8-এরও দেখা যাক। টিজেবি ফোরম্যান আছে। ব্রিজ আটকাইতে যাইতেছে। আইএসসিতে এফডব্লিউ খেলা দিতেছে।
Not seeing that aggression that was promised. You know, maybe circle dependent, maybe, but it's not really been the case so far. Certainly not been winning if they have been finding aggressive positions, but they go for a long wrap around out in the blue. It is stage 4, so it's survivable, but it's going to start to hurt now, especially once this circle closes on up, so they need to be quick and take an aggressive fight. Unfortunately, TJB sit on that western side. It's a difficult barrier to break. Falcons Force spotting IWNRX as they try and make their push up towards
CJ,
that
what the
river, but there is a little bit of a response. However, it's going both ways. A crash onto their position, a knock over towards top, but Falcons Force are staying very healthy, and IWNRX going down to one player here. Just said Wolf, a potential roll-up from Team Queso.
এই জায়গাতে আমরা চিকেন নিয়ে গেলাম ভাই, সেই
goes down. Top spot once again taken out early, and the roll-up can be rebuffed once more by Falcons Force.
I actually don't mind this. I didn't expect them to go for this, but this is a very aggressive hold on the southern bridge, playing underneath it as well. This is typically a position you want to take if you are heading down towards the bankside. They certainly can be played earlier. They know that, again, a lot of teams are going to struggle to make those rotates on that northeast side. It's going to be a lot of teams coming from Rozhok over towards this bridge. So they can extract a lot of value out of this and then probably get into the late game fairly cleanly.
আজকে তো এনআরএক্স পয়েন্টই বের করতে পারতেছে না।
South side to challenge them on this one. So yeah, actually, I respect the decision from Falcons to go for this play and already finding one knock on Elim over towards Team Queso puts them at a 3-man. Yeah, a lot of nades been set from Furia. Get away from this gas station, please.
I just love the sight of them just all hopping about like some kind of devilish whack-a-mole to display to Tiamba that they've got the nades, they've got the ordnance to rebuff them. It was fairly comical for Furia, but they do maintain position, and that is going to be
TJB'র কাছে দুইটা knock.
shot over towards Falcons on the south
ও
side.
শেষ আর ওয়ে নাই জি
Yeah, they spotted IHC out on
TJB
আইসের অবস্থা অনেক বাজে, ওরা শেষের দিনে যায় মনে হয় না পারবে।
ভাই আইপি যদি আর 3 ম্যাচে যদি কিছু না করতে পারে ভাই কালকে অনেক টাফ হয়ে যাবে।
This is one of these situations where you need to have plans going forward.
টিজেবি বের করতে পারে, টিজেবির ম্যাচ মনে হয় এটা। তোর ব্যাক লাইনে আর কেউ নাই, এক্সিট ইজি।
We've already seen a fair few teams have those plans being laid out for them. I mean, Na'Vi could switch right back down towards this angle and play up towards Garage. Puncher going down is not ideal. 6 last player remaining. They did get a couple of really good shots over towards Tiamba, but with oversight from Fury there, that push from Na'Vi was always going to be difficult.
Circle shift up towards the Getzo.
i8 এর কয় ম্যান 4 ম্যান না 3 ট্রিয়ন
Tongjiabao right now also really happy with this shift.
i8 এর 3 ম্যান
Tongjiabao both pushing. Team Queso have managed to get across the river.
দিছে টিজেপি
So much weaker, but Team Queso maybe looking to move away from it instead. See if they can get on past. We'll have to wait and see if Falcons Force are allowed to extract. But for Tongjiabao, this is their chase game. With Na'Vi down, with IWNRX down, in an isolated position on the west side. If they can get rid of Nigma Galaxy, this is a big opportunity.
They tried to take a ton of space. It was greedy. It was really greedy, in fact, to head over towards that western side. But it was equally well played from Tongjiabao to realize where those players were coming from and then shut them down as they made that entry. Because there was that possibility for Nigma Galaxy to go unchecked as they breached that ridge side. With Tongjiabao already finishing a lot of fights.
Oh, Pigeon, let's go FaZe.
FaZe.
Check by comment করছে FaZe রে
is a clean finisher.
আমি টিজেবি রেডি নাইস ভাই ট্রিপল এস আর ফ্লাওয়ারই তো সব মারতেছে দেন
ফ্লাওয়ার অস্থির খেলে
ফ্লাওয়ার প্রত্যেক ম্যাচে যেই ম্যাচে ভালো খেলতেছে প্রত্যেক ম্যাচে 4 কিলের উপরে
Yes, you're right, they can go for a little bit of
already 7 kill.
Very careful with Incilio having a little bit of a nosy over their way. ASI8 blank, by the way, they are still alive. 4 elims playing on this eastern side. They took a knock there, and that's on IQ. So these 2 players you can see in the buggy, they're moving up to get the res. He's a lot further north than they are, and potentially that's the position they were going for anyway. That's only going to hurry things up. However, that does allow Falcons Force to play on with 2 and be uncontested on their lead.
আজকে দান্তে কই হারাইলো
Have a little bit more freedom.
জানে কি বিষয়টা ওইটা না আজকে দেখছেন আজকে কিন্তু আবার IWNRX পয়েন্ট বের করতে পারতেছে না
Tiamba comes up against Alter Ego, currently in 12th right now. Team Queso did overtake them into 11th place, so Alter Ego not in the strongest of positions, in the bottom 5, at risk of going home here. Alva off in the distance, and that fight is just not being put up by this squad. Looks like it's going to be another low elim game, low point game in general.
Yanba nice.
Yeah, but rolling down over Alter Ego. Furia as well, trying to contest this. And again, we're in that stage 5 phase.
I8 Falak knock.
Themselves, right? For that central position, they've been quiet. Now they're going to start to mount an offensive to the
Knocky or knock. Or dead maybe.
Territory and going away with it. Look, they're already up to 6 eliminations. They were on 1 not 10 seconds ago. A nade over towards Furia as the roll up over to Tiamba seems to be inevitable here. And that is
nice Furia.
Tiamba, they had a good attempt at that first push against Alter Ego.
TJB নাইলে রয়ও নিতে পারে ভাই এর আগে একদিন রয় জায়গাতেই ঠিক ছিল না সেম
জেব্রা
Furia chances less, very less.
রয় আছে আর কি নেবে মনে হয় টিজেবি নিলে রয়
Tiamba just wasn't quite ready for it, so they go down in a game where they could have got a lot more points off the back of this one, and this starts one of the few strong matches for Fury. We've seen them in a couple of ending circles now already today, and some of that playstyle we see over in their region starting to come back a little bit now.
Nigma Galaxy still in with 3. They've been playing the Roshok Bridge crossing blank, and we saw the strength that Falcons Force were able to have on the bridge out to the east. Unfortunately, the zone didn't keep them in. Nigma Galaxy, they were a little bit more fortunate with that circle shift, keeping that bridge.
NGX alive এখনো
NGX the hill out to the east to play up towards. Get so Royal compound and phase on the east. These are the crucial.
TJB আবার চিকেন নিতে পারে ভাই
really out in the cold on this one. Sorry, Furia really out.
হ্যাঁ তো ডোমিনেশনও করে রাখছে এবার ফেজও বলা যায় না
You need loads of smokes to make it happen as well, and with Zonda
ফেজের
actually
কাম
finding
দেখ না
the
এটা
first knock over towards Furia, that's good. There is a ton of sight lines available though, so for any team trying to
স্ট্রিম কোয়ালিটি কি বাজে দেখাইতেছে
ফেজ
আপনাদেরও?
করবে ফেজ
they
টপ
are
11
getting shot
থাকবে
at by the other teams who are taking that opportunity for themselves as well.
স্ট্রিম
So it's
কোয়ালিটি কি
allowing Furia
লো
to
দেখাই?
হ্যাঁ,
stay.
আমার
They
এখান
did
থেকে
lose
লো
one player for it. FaZe though going for something very aggressive,
দেখাচ্ছে।
big about nades
আমার
being sent across.
দেখো
Good.
তো।
He steps back in the last moment. The nade explodes in his face, but won't quite take him down.
Look at Mormon on this off angle as well for FaZe. They
Mm.
really just want to choke this fight.
69 ভাই আছে তো মনে হয় 69 ভাই কে বলেন?
Leave Furia in the blue
59
zone.
আছে।
Give them no options to play but walk into a wall of nades, and Ventoras actually doesn't even want to wait that long. He's scouting out, he's moving in with the vehicle, trying to get a swipe through. I mean, maybe you pick up
ইউরিয়া দেই ফেজ রে মাইরা দিতেছে আয়
They're
হায়
playing here now, and in comes the crash. Do they look towards Getso Roy? I don't think so. I feel like this is the fight that they just have to take. Ventoras is going to try and hound them down, and Mormon's ready to receive. They crash onto the flank of FaZe, and that might be catastrophic for them. They do manage to take the knock, but they're already on their way. The fold back needs to come through from FaZe. Pick your player back up, get him back into the circle, because it is going to
গানতে ভাই তো আছে ওনার স্ট্রিমে কথা বলতে হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ
into the vehicle. Can you find the pack away and get back in? Because you might just lose a player for it. Koyovsky wants to
আসছে
spray
মনে হয়
down and catches both of them.
It's a hella smart play from FaZe. The fact on Furia, sorry, the fact they were able to watch over towards Mormon, they saw that Venturas scouted forward, saw none of their vehicles. Then at that moment, as soon as he leaves away, they all
না উনি ওনার
maneuver off towards the sidelines.
তে
Realistically, FaZe
ফাইনালি
had
দান্তে
no
আসছে।
choice there, but the amount of smokes that were in play for both teams limited either side's sight lines. And I think having a solo off angle there actually really hurts FaZe in that situation. Getso Roy now even having a peek over towards FaZe, who are now down to 2 players, and a game that could have been massively in their favor suddenly is removed from them, and Furia makes
ফ্লাওয়ার সোলো 5 কিল
through no
নাইস
man's land.
Tongjiabao with a really big potential
রয়
here
ক্লিয়ার
on
করা
the flank, because
লাগে
they were already
ফেজ রে
to those 8 limbs. Look at those standings. Currently Na'Vi, they are dead level. The tiebreaker going to Na'Vi.
ডেড
The placements
নাইস
haven't been added on yet. When you consider Nick McGalaxy could be going down.
রে রয় একটা ম্যান
Their
লুজ
placements
করছে
look
এখানে
fairly low. A good opportunity. A roll up from Getso Roy as well to the FaZe crew. That's going to make it so much harder, but they're going to give it a good go. Nade in. That's not going to be good enough there. Finds one on the flank, and it's Mela to try and strafe across. Takes one. The
69
rest is all up to
ব্যাটটা লো কোয়ালিটি
Yes, or I lose car on that situation.
ম্যাচটা
But
বড়
বুঝলেন
yeah,
কই
good
আপনি
fight there. Well played on the shotgun with the nade through the door line. You kind of just pre-fire the door there.
তোরে
There's
কইতে হইব
not much the player can do
এই
from
বেটা
inside that location. Tongji Bao though, yeah, very much an opportunity
থাম
to
ভাই থাম
confirm into that top 3. This seems to just be the MMO of Tongji Bao, with some quiet games here and there, followed by massive blinding matches, which really blows the opposition out of the water. Again, that consistency maybe not quite there for Tongji Bao at the moment, but the speed at which they're rolling and hit max velocity in these matches, very astounding, very, very astounding.
I thought you were just going to stop at hit max. I was like, what did he do? Goodness
DJ
me.
was
The side swipe over towards Nick the Galaxy. With Ralph down, he can fully engage those big brain gears to try and figure out what to do. But unfortunately, getting off a cliffside where you have full sight lines from a team that just wants to spray you down, wants to take your spot on the table.
টিজিবি দুইটা চিকেন নাই
It's impossible. You can outsmart so many things, but you can't outsmart a bullet.
টিপু
You cannot.
এখানে এসো
No,
না ভাই
absolutely. Unless you psychic,
পিউরা
in
মনে
which
হয়
case
চিকেন
maybe you can use your
বন্ধু
psych powers to stop it in midair. But that is not a part of PUBG Mobile. What is part of PUBG Mobile is this
না না
hold coming
পিউরাই
through from
চিকেন
Tongji Bao. Again, this was very well set up, and it's very
পিউরাকে কেউ
obvious
হাত
that they've
দিও
had a
না
similar circle to
নামটাতে
this
একটা
before,
ভাই
because where they're playing and the control they've had over that plateau
PMGC
that looks down towards that south side, incredible stuff. Already up
কোনটা
to
সাপোর্ট করেন
11
ভাই এ সাইড
eliminations. Would
এই
not
গ্রুপে
be
এ সাইড ফুল
surprised to
সাপ
see
কাজ
Tongji
দিছে মো
Bao finish out both of
হিন্দি
these
গ্যাব
opposing teams now, as they get this really nice lineup on the western side as we're crunching in
শুভকামনা
towards
নিয়ে
stage 9. It has just been a great game from start to finish here from Tongji Bao. Yes, they had the circle at start, but their
রয়্যাল
control
পিউরাই মাই
has
পিক করতেছে
been
ডিজিবি অনেক
phenomenal. It's been this iron grip over
আসি
the lobby on the western side. I don't think anyone's really been able to challenge it.
Been really well marshaled from the high ground here for Tongjiabao. Get so Roy, 3 players. Furia with 3 as well. That high ground there that Tongji Bao now fully control. Will have to be left in a moment. So a potential difficult maneuver for them once this circle starts to close. This is stage 8. Once this circle closes to its current white circle situation, it will be
বাকি ম্যাচ কয়টার থেকে 8:30টা?
9টা।
the closest to the middle
তুই
position.
একবার দে 8:30টা গ্রুপে, এখন আবার কত 9টা, একবার দেখ
কই
9টা, এটা তো
9টাই তো দেওয়া।
আমি তো মাত্র ঢুকে দেখলাম মনে হয় 8:30টা দেওয়া টাইমিং।
ও তাহলে মনে হয় 8:30টাই।
Very hard to hold them down. I think they knew the exact angles that teams would be approaching from. They knew the exact fights they needed to take to
স্লট ফুল নিয়ে ঝামেলা। ও
the splits have been pretty damn clean and still having impact towards that end game.
IDP at 8:20
আবার নক,
ম্যাচের
নাইস।
8:30
Furia even been able to pick
ভাই
themselves
রে
up
ভাই
a nice
কি
little
মার।
crate on the side as well.
দান্তেরে
Famas
কল
in
দিতে দিতে
hand
আমি
for
শেষ।
Flower.
Flower. Wow. A bit of low profile, but the nades certainly not. Those triple S nails back over towards Furia. The spray down with the FAMAS still there, but the nade again from triple S is there to see.
কয়টা এটা কি ম্যাচ?
12 elims, likely a 13th
8:30
gets that flush. Gets so Roy trying to mount an offensive now to TJB's position. Really the only thing that can go wrong for them here is taking a knock or 2. Maybe Kayovsky can do something in this situation because we've seen some pretty great things from him over his
মগা
career.
হবে।
Can he make this one work? Gets so Roy trying to keep them at bay and actually vying for the center on this spot. So TJB are going to have to move a little bit more.
আসি নাস্তা করে আসি।
Really appreciate. Kayovsky, go on. Oh yeah, it's triple spray down here. I mean, it is set up so well for him.
একটা প্লেয়ারের কাছে MG3, এরপরে আবার ফামাস।
There you go, that's one. I think that again, there's so many times where you see these situations where I'm just like, you just got to make the play. Just make the play, make it happen. I'm really enjoying the fact that Flower's got the FAMAS and the MG3 and the Gilly. That's when you know a team trusts you to marshal a lot of these aggressive pushes. Like, just have it all. Just take it all, bro. You can have it. That's yours.
I mean, either that or they just had that many loot drops, right? That they all got at least 2, which is kind of crazy. But TJB definitely.
Nice try, but TJB bhai.
So Roy,
मुझे औकात दिखाते हुए TJB.
TJB definitely with the center and big nades continue to roll on in. Longs does take some damage, but just a bit far from 676 on that one. To not quite connect. Triple S on the flank though lights up the sidelines.
16 kill chickens, guys.
Porsche next to try and leave the driveway.
Darn,
It's not gonna happen. 2 players, 3 players, 1 player more, and it's Getso Roy to fall, and Tongzia Bao with another chicken dinner coming through today. This is how you make a bid for the top 3.
Yeah, it's a disgustingly good game. A 26-pointer. I wouldn't be surprised to see them in first place, actually, off the back of this one. With how many points they're able to pot up. It might be close, but yeah, that is a ridiculously good game from Tongji Bao. And a massive bid on day 3.
Screen share this, guys.
3 here
Discord.
for Tongji Bao. Yeah, wonderful performance.
ভাই আমি একটু হাত মুখ ধুয়ে আসি। ঠিক আছে, একটু সময় দেন আমাকে। I'm coming back. আর তাকে একটু আমার স্ট্রিমটা এখন একটু শেয়ার দিয়ে দিস তো সব জায়গায়।
Mid games from our top pack of teams, and immediately the Lions pounce. They are ready and hungry for those chicken dinners. 2 in a row. TJB make their ascension.
Well, this isn't fair, gentlemen. You might ask, why is that not fair, Jason Kaplan, our host here at PMGC? Well, does this mean that the Chinese casters get to eat more chicken now on air?
Oh, it's not fair at all. Dude, and
if you guys haven't noticed, they get to eat some delicious fried chicken every time a Chinese team wins. And we haven't had any chicken.
I had fish sticks. What? This is not fair. I want. Oh,
dude, I have been staring outside my door the whole time, dude, just waiting for it to arrive. Still hasn't. I'm crying.
Well, you know what has arrived? TJB, man, back-to-back chicken dinners, able to get themselves up their leaderboards and potentially into top 3. More importantly here, and that kind of makes me happy considering I have them as one of the teams in top 3. Flower though, 8 eliminations. Wow. I mean, we know how good of a player Flower can be, and we're starting to see him bloom here in Group Red.
In the words of Blank, this was a disgustingly good game from TJB. I'm getting deja vu here, guys. I'm getting deja vu big time because this is the same thing we saw in PEL. These guys came on the last day of the tournament, won two back-to-back chicken dinners, and won the whole dang thing. And now it's looking too similar here. So the rest of these squads, I mean, they got to watch their back.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking it since day one. Duke said, oh, yeah, that comeback potential for TGB. I'm like, you know, let's wait a bit. You know, it's kind of early to say that. I'm like, okay.
Inko, though.
Except for Inko. No, it doesn't work when you talk about teams from your home region, Jason.
What out of two?
He got 1 out of 2 in his group. It's fine. It's worked out. But Flower, really have to highlight it. I mean, Blank also highlighted it during the game. He had the FAMAS on the MG3. Crazy loadout. Like, what? This guy's just looking to 1v4 multiple teams in a row at that point. He's got a crazy loadout. But more specifically, not down to his loadout, but his position. From his ridge southwest on, I think it was phase 6, phase 7, around like really late into the game, he was the one keeping full tabs on Nigma Galaxy crossing that bridge of Rozov. If he's not there, Nigma Galaxy can push over into the circle, but he was keeping them in check, down in the water, and they could not make any movement whatsoever towards the circle. So Flower, he was really strong to just set up this team for a strong late game potential to make sure they don't get backfield. So Flower, sure, MVP of the game in terms of stats, for sure, but more than that in terms of how much he gave information-wise to his squad and creating so much space in the first place.
Absolutely.
Well, another team we're going to have to really talk about here, Hot Jukes, considering it's one of the two teams that we wanted to see a step up, and we finally got to see it. It's your boys Furia, man. They're able to get themselves in a top 3 position, able to get themselves a decent game. I'd say their best game so far of the group stage. And that is a small little inkling to what we could see more out of Furia, but they have to be able to maintain this pace if they want to get into top 11.
Yeah, I'm going to do this one for 7. You guys ready?
No.
Oh, okay. It sounded very Leo questioning it, like maybe do Brazil?
Right, maybe. I mean, come on. All right, it's good to see them be able to finally make it happen here. And honestly, let's be real, it's the perfect time, right? I mean, if you're gonna start, you know, kind of making that, you know, run for that survival stage, it really needed to happen right now. And I'm happy to see Furia put 11 points on the board when they so desperately needed to.
They were listening to the desk, Jukes. They were like, oh, yeah, they say we have to do Hail Mary plays. How about we do just that?
Let's
and
go
actually,
for it. Yeah.
Insane fight versus Chiomba, Northeast. They had a really good engage. Third party of El Trigo versus Chiomba. El Trigo get eliminated. Chiomba are wounded. Let's send it out of our comfort zone, outside of the gas station, and we can just sweep that side, and that allows us then to transition uphill and reach the late game. So they're taking fights a little bit earlier, proactive in these matches. I'm just hoping, Juice, this is not going to be the only time we see them do a game like that. This is a good change of mentality.
Let's go, guys. I'm back.
Until tomorrow. Please keep these games going.
Yes.
Well, with obviously TJB getting the win, we actually had a lot of teams who weren't even in contention for top 3 get some decent results. We can see Navi here in the bottom of the table, IWNRX here. I mean, Virtus Pro, but they weren't really ever contesting top 3, or sorry, IHC I meant. But the fact is, like, when they have bad games, other teams are like, okay, this is an opportunity for us to catch up. And that's why we're seeing it be so close here between a lot of these teams in top 8 that really anyone could just jump up and become the new team in top 3. And I feel like that's going to mean tomorrow it's going to be ridiculous. We're not going to really know our top 3 until that final match. I can't wait until that final match tomorrow.
Oh, me too. I mean, I was getting worried. After game number 1. We saw Navi go crazy. I8, and, you know, even Nigma Galaxy, Alter Ego put up points. I mean, so like when you see that happen, I'm like, dang, you know what? This thing could start running out here pretty quickly. We see the top squads go out early, and then all of a sudden TJB.
You went from 5th to 1st in one game.
That is how you do it, boys.
4 chicken dinners is madness, by the way.
Well, okay. Let me just add a little bit of a negative to the positive. 7 placement points outside of their 4 wins.
Who cares, dude? 4 chicken dinners, baby. Let's go. Dude, take it to the bank. No, I mean, for real, though, that's wild. That is honestly crazy. Out of all the matches they've played, only 7 placement points outside of their wins. But you know what? It's going to show, Max, that the power of that, what I like to call that all or nothing play style, right? Going for the major win, and when you don't get it, just put something on the board eliminations wise. And TJB is sticking to that formula, and it's working out for him.
Yeah, they do this one more time, they're going to be cruising into the grand finals at this point. I mean, they are looking incredible these last 2 matches, and it's not just, I mean, I think that looking back at the Quarry game, they had Circle gifted to them on the center, but this game, they were playing edge, they were sweeping teams, they were really proactive from start to finish. So this is the game where I'm like, this is a chicken dinner that is so damn impressive. I think they can maintain this kind of results throughout other matches, hopefully. But yeah, on the second page here, their PL counterpart here of Chamba is still struggling a little bit here. Fighting Furia did not quite go their way, and they're going to be quite a bit away from the top 3, Chamba. So we still need to see a bit of a resurgence from them eventually throughout today.
And we're also seeing a continuous battle for this 11th place. Like, it's either FaZe Clan, Team Queso, or Alter Ego just jumping up into that 11th place and then falling in the next match. I mean, while we're having a battle for top 3, I think it's going to be a battle for 11th of like who's going to lock in when it comes to that final match as well. And then Furia, obviously with the 11 points they got, able to get themselves up to 50 points. Now 13 behind Virtus Pro, only 24 away from top 11. So realistically, it is very possible.
No way, right? No way.
They still have 9 matches left to go. And I don't want to count them out just yet. IHC, though, you got 3 matches left to show something.
Unbelievable ব্যাপার স্যাপার, guys, make sure to share the stream.
I mean, hey, Furia's coming back, right? They're coming back. They're now within that shot range, which was perfect timing for them. IHC needs to do what Furia just did and more in this game, and at least one more today, I think, if they want to have even a shot at survival stage. Because Maxman, I mean, we're seeing crazy point jumps from pretty much everybody here on the leaderboard.
Yeah, I mean, the big jump off TJB with the back-to-back wins, Furia putting himself realistically with this game back in the race somewhat. Of course, they would need a little bit of a follow-up from that, but this, because I think before this, it was what? 20-point difference between 14th and 15th, and now they're 20 points away from like top 11 kind of, so that's another good game realistically, and they can be in top 11 for really the first time this entire group stage for them, so that will be a really big improvement. But Hail Mary plays, we said it right just before that game. We need to see some big fights happen early for Furia. They're starting doing so, and I just hope we're going to see that mentality continue throughout the rest of the league stage. If that's the case, I would be happy to see this Furia make it to survival stage. I think they could do decent there, but again, are we going to see just this one big game be a flash in the pan, or are we going to see a continuation of it? That is the big question for the rest of this group.
Yeah, and there's a lot more.
এখনো দেরি আছে ভাই ম্যাচ শুরু হইতে।
Head to a short break, but when we come back, I'm going to bring up the topic of the zone in that last map and how it did play out as well for all these teams. But yeah, we'll head to a short break. We'll get things ready to go for the third half or the last half of the day, and we'll see you all in just a few minutes.
A battle, one for glory. Baby, welcome to the stream. আপডেট করছো মনে হয়। ভাই নামের ম্যাচ আছে আজকে? ইয়েস ভাই আছে। 610 এ ডাকো, 610 মনে হয় না আসবে ভাই।
Welcome back to Group Red Day 3 as we hit the halfway mark of today, and I'm actually joined by none other than the team manager from Navi, 40. How are you feeling today? How are you guys performing?
Okay, so for today we have a good start, Sanhok game, and let's see what will happen in the next games.
Right on. Well, one of the maps that you guys have actually been struggling on has been Miramar. You guys are currently averaging about
Wait,
2.5
chicken guys.
eliminations. Do you guys feel like you're going to be
সবাই
doing
তো গেছে
something
ভাই, প্যারা
different
নাই
today?
ভাই, যারা আছে
To be
এরাই আসল
honest,
ভাই ব্রাদার।
in Miramar we have
ভাই আপনারা
very
বাইরের
bad
লবিতে কি
zones,
করতে
so let's say
কি
this
করতে খেলতে
two
যান?
teams,
নেপালের
if we
একটা
have the same
টুর্নামেন্টে
zone, we
খেলতে
will
গেছে,
try to do
তিনটা
our
টিমের
best
মধ্যে
and get
ফাইট হয়, কে সবচেয়ে
how
নিচে
much point
থাকবে,
we can
এগুলা
get
কোনো
in
খেলা?
Miramar. Let's say
ভাই
50.
দুপুর
Bad.
2টায়
10
ভাই
points
পোলাপান
per
ঘুমের
match.
থেকেই ওঠে, ঠিক আছে? তারপরেও খেলতে গেছি।
Ticket
এখন
chicken
ভাই
and
ইটস নট
zone
অ্যাবাউট
maybe.
টেবিলের নিচে
How about
থাকা
you?
বা না থাকাটা
I
ফ্যাক্ট
want
না,
some
ফ্যাক্ট
chicken.
হচ্ছে গিয়ে ভাই
All right,
তাইলে
we're getting
আপনারা
greedy
বুঝেন
with
ভাই,
it. But
যে
you know what,
তিনটা
though?
টিম
This
নিচে
play
আছে ওই
let's
তিনটা
actually
টিম কিন্তু
reflect
বিডি
that
লবিতে
a
কম
little bit
বেশি
more
ডমিনেট
because
করেই
we have
খেলে।
played 2.5
তাহলে আপনি বিডি লবি আর
games so
নেপালি
far
একটা লবির মধ্যে
with this group.
ডিফারেন্সটা
Has
ধরতে
any
পারলেন,
team
ঠিক
surprised
আছে?
you
কাজে
guys,
আমরা
or
আসলে
have any
কতটুকু
teams
পিছায়া
made your guys'
এন্ড
lives a
হাউ
little
মাচ
bit harder?
ইমপ্রুভমেন্ট উই
Okay,
ডু
to be
নিড,
honest,
এটাও বুঝার
it's
চেষ্টা করতে হবে। এখন আপনি
as I ate the name, I think.
টেবিলের নিচে থাকেন উপরে থাকেন
Yeah, we
ডাজন্ট
have
ম্যাটার,
like
আপনার
a little
বড়
bit
লবিতে খেলাটা প্র্যাকটিস করে শিখাটাই
of
হচ্ছে মেইন
clashing
জিনিস। দিস
before
ইজ
the
হোয়াট আই থিংক।
games, before anything, military base, and so much social media happen. But now we change, but I don't think they do very good. But they are top 3, I think now. So let's see what will happen.
All right, well, they are
আমার
currently
কি
ahead
ভাই
of you
স্ট্রিম
guys.
অফ
Thank
হয়ে
you so
যায়
much,
ভাই?
buddy, for your time. Back to you guys.
Thank you. See you guys. Bye.
Get that man to host. Forget Seven. Get him out of here, man. He knew exactly what to do. Yeah, thank you. See you guys. Like, come on.
Let's go.
So respectful indeed. But yeah, I mean, obviously love to see 2 chicken dinners for Miramar back to back. Gonna be tough though, since every team is gunning for every single chicken dinner left in our lobby. But before we went to break, I did talk about how I wanted to discuss the zones, because 3 teams in our top 3, you had Getzeroy from Razak, you had Furia from West Yasnaya, and then you had TJB from Severny. It was kind of an easy zone for them to
ভাই
play
তোমার
out.
টিমে
However,
তোমার
in
কার
terms
খেলা
of
বেশি ভালো
Furia
লাগে?
in
আই
particular,
থিংক
Max, I know you were
সবার
talking
খেলাই
about
ভালো
it.
লাগে
You
ভাই,
definitely
কেউই
saw
খারাপ
a
খেলে না।
shift in their style. They were
ওই
looking
টাইম টু
for
টাইম
eliminations. They were hunting, especially
একজন
towards gas station.
কি করে।
They saw what was successful for the teams at the top, which is a sweeping edge play style in this lobby, and Fury like, we'll do a little bit of that. A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, and we'll just start to play a little bit more aggressive on the edge this time around, and it worked out great to just sweep away the likes of Ultra Gun Chumba, then they can go uphill towards the side of FaZe. And actually, they even had a good roll up onto FaZe itself, right? But this circle in particular was very advantageous for a lot of those Northern West squads, Jason, because I checked on phase 1, about 70% of the circle was south or east of the river, and you have a big northwestern shift. All the teams are just getting completely obliterated down on those southern sides, which is why teams like TJB understood, well, if we just hold down these entry points like the bridges of Nigma Galaxy north of Rozok, we're going to have an absolute field day this match. So they understood how the teams are going to respond to circles, which is very important when you get circles like this specifically, and you can just abuse it to its max potential. So yeah, a lot of teams like Furia, TJB played it as it should when you get these type of rough hardship circles.
Yeah, rough is an understatement. This is like the most disgusting zone, I think, when it comes to Aaron Gale, because
it's bad.
You know, it's yeah, when you have that river right down the middle, you have to make a literal
আই থিংক কামব্যাক দিবে, আমার মনে হয় না ভাই আর কামব্যাক পসিবল। You have like
one or the other, we're most likely going to have a really
11 matches left.
Right? Furia, they were kind of
Sorry, 9 matches left ভাই। আজকে 3টা, কালকে 6টা ভাই।
Boom, we see a circle hardship east. They
তো
have
9 ম্যাচে আপনি how can you come back?
The northern side of it, and that's still pretty split, right? I mean, as soon as we saw that hardship match, we were both like, ugh, like this one is gonna be this is gonna be disgusting. The zone goes up north once again, and Furia take advantage of it. And the problem with that is just, man, they've been losing fights. They finally won one. But look at the difference between our top 2 squads here. I mean, TJB 4 chicken dinners, but still IWNRX have more eliminations than these guys. I mean, that's pretty crazy.
This is to echo something that Jason talked about earlier, right? Is that sure, we do have 4 chicken dinners out of TJB, but they only have 47 placement points. 0 chicken dinners for IWNRX, and they're really not that far off of TJB. That's like 1 chicken dinner realistically, and they would be almost tied with TJB. So it goes to, again, highlight the consistency of IWNRX when it comes to reaching the late game and still fragging out big time. So Sure, chicken dinners are great to have, but consistency is something of equal value, if not more valuable, in these type of tournaments.
I mean, IWNRX are basically the IHC of last year at the moment, to be completely fair. And, you know, taking a further look at these two teams, Flower has actually taken over as our elim leader in Group Red over Z-Wolf, though I think Z-Wolf is still maintaining the MVP pace, and you can see their stats here head-to-head between the two, and obviously survival time is going to be a big factor of that.
He was actually behind Falak, he was behind Kane, IQ, and Z-Wolf at the start today. He was in 5th position in terms of top fraggers elimination-wise, and he's overtook everyone in these 3 matches. In 3 matches, which is absolute mad. He's just speedrunning for the MVP award of this group for sure, Jason. And he showed it. You give this guy an MG3, you are in for a really bad time.
But the point contribution, I think, is the interesting part. You had Flower at 12% and Z-Wolf at 19%, Hot Jukes. I feel like that's a good indicator of how well everyone on TJB is playing compared to IWNRX, where Z-Wolf is standing out more compared to his team.
ভাই দুইবার বললাম তোকে না ভাই খেলা কয়টা আইএনএম এর আর স্ট্রিম হবে কোন চ্যানেল আমার কোনো ক্লু নাই বাট 15 কে ফাইনাল একটা হবে খেলা হচ্ছে 8:30 থেকে গাইস যারা যারা 11 জন ওয়াচিং আছেন মেক শিওর টু শেয়ার দ্য স্ট্রিম ভাই জানতে ভাই ফুড ব্লগ স্টার্ট করেন ভাই আমি অত বাইরের ফুড করি না মানে বাসায় অর্ডার করি সবকিছু কাজে ব্লগিং এর তো চান্সই দেখি না
I don't know. Is one of those two for sure. But you guys at home, if you're wondering what the device that all of the players here are using at PMGC, it's the Infinix GT20 Pro, the official phone provider here of our event. Not to mention 120 FPS. Max, I'm a little disappointed. Well, that's kind of dependent on you to have the phone out. It's just coming out of nowhere.
Sorry, I don't know. Whoa, that was weird.
That is 140 hertz AMOLED screen. You guys can play like a pro by picking one up. And also, our teams to focus here going into our last 3 matches of the day with 1 Aaron Gill and, of course, 2 Miramars to follow up with. Hot Jukes, to start off with you. You got TJB, I8, and Navi in here. Why is that?
Yeah, I think TJB is obvious, right? Replicating the PEL vibes with the back-to-back chicken dinners and having a crazy comeback. They went from 9th to 1st to win 700 grand here, and they just went from 5th all the way up and just like that. So other than that, I got the 2 teams that dropped out of that top 3, right? I8 and Navi. They are right there. My eyes are going to be on them because they really need to start clutching things up. They don't want to wait till that last day to try to make it to the grand finals. So I'm expecting them to be a little bit extra urgent here and maybe a little extra risky because now it's time. You got to risk it to get the biscuit.
All right, well, Max, you had Furia, you had IHC, and you had Virtus Pro in there.
The bottom 3, because they need to do something, Jason. It's about time. We see some big play, especially from Virtus Pro. Please stop losing 2v1s. I've been hurt too many times in these matches. But no, we've said about those bottom squads that we need to see something big at the end of today. Otherwise, they're going to be under so much pressure going into tomorrow. It's going to be really hard to make that comeback into top 11. Furia started something good. They really started something good with that previous game. Are we going to see other squads be like, you know what? We'll do some of that. The same, please, and maybe just start popping off, getting big rotations, playing aggressive, sweeping the edge. That's been so successful this group so far. I'm really hoping we see a big change of pace and that Furia is going to be leading the way to success for these bottom squads.
Yeah, and I had IHC and Furia as well. My difference was TJB though, which is kind of obviously weird, right? Looking at the bottom 2.
Hello. What's happening, guys?
Treat this like a double point day.
তান্তে কই ছিলা ভাইয়া?
আমি একটু পাওয়ার ন্যাপ নিছিলাম।
ওয়াও, তোমার কল দিতে দিতে আমি শেষ। আমি কি কই গেল গো?
Potentially going into the last day of play where they can afford to have a bad game or two because consistency was definitely something.
बाबूजी देखा कितना केयर करता हूँ, फिर भी ये मेरे साथ गॉग गॉग करते रहते हैं।
Can they kind of maintain this pace? Can they continue to keep playing as well as they have been? And will anyone catch up to them if they do create this buffer?
You see these stats? At day 1 to day 3.
It's not like that, man.
I think they almost tripled their damage too. What?
Almost 10 eliminations a game so far today. That is ridiculous.
कितना सोते हैं ये? हाँ. Too much, बाबूजी. I agree with you.
They're on trend. They're literally on pace to be able to hit that. That's wild.
We only play 3 matches out of the game, right? We expect that average normally to trend downwards unless even if they keep this average remotely close to what it is right now, that is going to be the most insane day for a team so far this PMGC for 2024. Like that, these stats when you get close to 10 elims a match in a global tournament, Hot Jukes, I mean, you're just cracked. You're just
last question for me, Max, to you. Okay, I know you said you don't want to see Virtus Pro lose 2v1s. what if the other player has an MG3?
I will always support the team that has an MG3. Okay, that's my rule of thumb. If they have an MG3, I'm like Tixie, you're cool, but MG3, you know, so kind of hard choice.
I love it. I love it.
That's not fair. Your skate can't always be the MG3. What if one of them has an AWM in close range? Go for the quick scope, no scope.
Yes.
Oh
Oh my gosh. No. If they have the AWM, I'm automatically their fan. If they have a bolt action in general here at this stage, they have my love and support forever.
You know, Hot Jukes, if I could remove one item from PUBG Mobile, you know what it would be?
What would it be?
ভাই কান ব্যথা হয়ে গেছে
You know, every time I ever see the MG3 come out, Max always does his little sound of it shooting. And you know, I think I've heard that more than enough in my life.
I see IGL ka demo bhai. Let's go guys, we are back to Irangel.
The MG3, Jason, it's the MG3, let's go. And that's the whole segment. I say that every
আইসি যদি কামব্যাক দিতে চায় এই ম্যাচের থেকে স্টার্ট করতে হবে ভাই আর অনেক ভালো খেলতে হবে which is very hard
chicken নিতে হবে
my own memories or my own give myself nightmares at night listening to it. But we're about to head into our third and final Erangel of the day. It's just been all TJB today, man. We want to see some of the teams step up, and we're obviously gonna have the chance to find out here as we're about to drop into Erangel. And John,
guys সবাই স্ট্রিমগুলো শেয়ার দিয়ে দেন প্লিজ
played out so far.
I think TJB, MG3 go, and we are ready for the
কথা
last
শোনা যায়
Erangel
জানতে
of the day.
হ্যাঁ ভাই
Very succinct, very good analysis. Respect to all of you.
সবাই স্ট্রিমগুলো শেয়ার দিয়ে দেন ভাই দান্তের স্ট্রিমটা শেয়ার দেন ফ্রেন্ডসদের সাথে সবাইকে ডেকে নিয়ে আসেন একসাথে আড্ডাবাজি চুগলামি সব করি আমরা লেটস ডু ইট টুগেদার
আর আইটেরও এই ম্যাচে পয়েন্ট লাগে কারণ টিজেবি যেভাবে খেলতেছে
they actually are though considering that you know you give them 2 days with 16 teams, which is always easier by the way when you're playing groups where you're having constant teams swapping back in, you're having to adapt to different rotations every time, but you do get just 12 matches with the same team.
কান্তে ভাইকে দেখতে তামিলের হিরো লাগে বাট হ্যান্ডসাম এটা ভাবি জিও বলে নিগা তামিল হিরো
it does require mechanical skill and ridiculous gameplay to be able to be like on day 3 okay we figured it out
कुछ तामिल हीरो नहीं लगता
two massive chicken dinners
जूनियर एनटीआर जैसा लगता है बाबू जी
I mean, it's a very unreliable strategy, but it's worked out here, seemingly, for TJB. Yet again, they just make these last-minute bids.
We'll figure it out.
ভাই বিয়ে করছেন হ্যাঁ বিয়ে করে ফেলছে ভাই কারণ বিয়ে করছে অলরেডি 6-7 মাস হয়ে গেছে দাওয়াত দেন অবশ্য কাউকে
Right? Maybe a little bit nerve-wracking now. This west side circle though keeps us over towards the field to keep Everest in. So it's west side rotation.
কিছু করা লাগে টিজেবি রে না মারলে সমস্যা
I think this is the kind of circle where Pro do kind of well. But we'll have to wait and see because Virtus Pro
আমরা এনসিডি পলিসি চালু করতে চাই
ভাই টিজিবি একে চলে
Team Queso very very close by to Tongji about just on the other side of things here in box compound.
The fuck man, it's the bottom of the table. Can you believe it?
But now Tongji Bao knows what's off in the distance. Alter Ego losing a player there too. IHC really not a good way to start out your match 4 here, especially for Alter Ego currently in 13th place.
Not gonna quite connect with the sprays. Some damage found. Team Queso.
What a downfall.
They can get away and try and figure out where else to go. Going out to Taverny, I mean, it's an option potentially, but it's not in the next circle. You're going to have to move through that northern side and likely cross down the river. Maybe go... I'm not too sure where TGB go. I mean, Yasnaya's not a terrible option, but...
Navi versus Roy na ki bhai?
In the meantime, Navi with a little scrap of their own over towards Getso Roy. 2v1 on the inside.
Roy ekta player, Navi
probably
রে পুরো চিপায় ফেলাই দিল
for both of these two teams. There's actually 2 players for Getso Roy close by, but there comes the backup for Navi. A big nade comes through from Zunda. They can maybe try and chase this down, but flips there to play Guardian, and the backup came through as well. So it's still a 2v2 with the down player here. The res could potentially come on in as well. They're wary of these step outs. That off angle is in, and Puncher gets the protection, pushes in behind the wall. The upstairs
Bangladesh 212
get the res.
Yeah, massively important fight here for Navi. They know they want to keep these players up. They were so close to staying in that top 3. The Getso Roy, on the other hand, still hounding them. 0 eliminations found for Navi so far. Nade up towards that top side. Good amount of damage from Flip, though, will find Zunda. That's through the window, I
কিল
think, as well. That's
করতেছে
a
না এক
nice
লগে
shot.
ফাইট নিতেছে দেখি কি করে
Backup comes through from Getso, Roy, and Lemon's down. 3 players all
Nice,
around him. I don't
man.
think Puncher can hold this one off now. The healing not quite there for Na'Vi, and these early game
নাইস
fights
নাভি
damage sticks blank.
4টা
Out
পয়েন্ট
of
নিয়ে
the
নিছে
blue.
যদিও টু
Not
প্লেয়ার
too
লুজ
sure about that drop down, but there's the
50
second.
50 একটা
Six
অবস্থা
peeks in through the window, and in goes
বিয়া
Puncher as well.
করছেন
They look to
লেটস
try
সি
and
তো
take
ভাই
control of the
গেসিস
ground
মেরা
floor and
বিয়ে
the
করে
top floor of
ফেলেছি
this
ভাই
house. But through the windowsill, it's still a big challenge. 2 players already down for Na'Vi. It's so unfortunate.
সবাই
Try and
ভাবছিল
push
সবাই
towards the top of the tables. The
ভাবছিল
sirens
হবে
are
আমি তো
blaring
ভাবছিলাম
outside
টিয়ান
of
বা
our
করবে
window,
ডমিনেট
and maybe Na'Vi need them.
Just one more knock here, one more elimination to be found, and that will be
ওরে
a full
জিওল
squad wipe there for Na'Vi, getting 4 points on the board.
আইছি না ভাই
It's
মোমেন্টাম
not
ধরতে পারতেছে না বুঝছেন
ideal, but it'll keep them in this game for a little bit longer. Playing as 2 is never fun, especially from minute 4.
পিউরিয়া যদি কামব্যাক দিয়ে দেয় আজকে তো ভালো খেলতেছে
More placement points. Navi's not going to be too
কিউরিয়াসকে
unhappy with
হ্যাঁ
that one.
অত ভালো খেলতেছে না বাট খেলতেছে
First,
মোটামুটি
second match chicken, third match maybe hashtag 2,
15 points realistically for themselves.
not
So
3.
in the future, life can be somewhat easy for themselves to grab another top 3 because it is still very close
লাগবে
towards
ব্যাক
that
টু
top
ব্যাক
side of the
সবগুলো
lobby.
ম্যাচে ভালো খেলতে হবে নাইলে মনে করো যে
Certainly
হবে
is.
না
It's close. Well, at both bubbles, it is incredibly
হ্যাঁ ভাই
close.
কিন্তু ব্যাক টু
Blank.
ব্যাক
The
সবগুলা
volatility
ম্যাচে
still
আবার
remains. We
খুব
saw
একটু
it
টাফ
over
ভাই
in Group Yellow. We thought that
না
might
না
be just as
সবগুলা ম্যাচ
simple
তো
with
ব্যাক
the
টু ব্যাক
teams
ভালো খেলতে
in
পারবে
that
না ধরো
lobby,
একটা
but
দুইটা
it seems like it's
চিকেন
just as
সাথে হইলো ধরো
PMGC
হ্যাশট্যাগ 5 এর
overall.
ভিতরে
It goes back
ওভারঅল
to
কিছু পয়েন্ট নিয়ে
কনসিস্টেন্ট
বাইরেতে হবে
পয়েন্ট
every single
জিরোতে
team here
কনসিস্টেন্ট
is a
পয়েন্ট লাগবে হ্যাঁ
competitor
এটাই
হ্যাঁ
এখন
জিরোতে
in the
বাইরেতে
খুব
full
পারবে
মজার
sense of
বিষয়
the word. And this
দেখি
competition
ভাই কি
is
হয়
one
এটাই
of the
দেখতে
highest
আসছি
quality
আমরা সবাই
PMGCs I think we've ever seen.
জিরোতে বাইরে
Well,
এলেই সমস্যা
to bear
আমরা
witness to
অনেক
it,
হাই হোপস রাখছি
IWNRX, they want that top spot back. Maybe
বকুলিয়ানদের
they'll be able to
উপরে
purloin a point or 2 from Alter Ego, but no, they turn tail, they get out of there.
IWNRX on that south side, moving upwards. Alter Ego managed to get themselves out of that situation into the warehouses. It'll do for now on that northwest edge in terms of future rotations. It doesn't feel good losing that one player early on, though. Limits
বিজেপি দুই
you
চিকেন
force
সিধা
as a
টপ
team
1 ইয়েস
overall, and you have to rely a little bit more over towards those third parties if and when they do come through.
এখন এটার
Other squads though that
কামব্যাক
are
লাগে একটু
notables is Nigma
এখানে
Galaxy
ঢুকতে
down
হবে
towards
টপ
Gatka,
3 তে
still rotating in from that edge of the map. And with this going over towards Everest, it might be one of the first North Everest circles we see in quite a while here in the PMGC group stages. And I'd like to see that one. Might give some more of our teams a chance, as we haven't really seen this side of the circle been picked up too often in our games.
Vengeance on the road. Trying to maintain stability in the middle
ইডিএম এ
of
বলে
the map right
M762
now.
তে
8th
6x
place,
লাগা পিড়াইতেছে
and
ভাই
I
আমারে
feel like survival stage is a really good goal for this team. Definitely had their wobbles, but managing to find, I think they got the chicken dinner yesterday on Miramar. They can maintain the lead on that pack towards the lower end of the tables. They'll be happy. Get another shot into those survival stages, but the survival stages, I mean, given the quality of teams that we're seeing, are going to be so difficult. It's really, really nerve-wracking for teams in that central block from 4th down to 11th. Sure, you get another chance, but it is such a slim chance when the other teams in the lobby are so powerful. I'm really looking forward to the survival stage.
Yeah, it's going to be massively competitive as a survival stage. It's scary for a fair few of our squads to make it in. Here comes Falcons crossing on that eastern area, actually starting in Nova Abnoya, so going back to basics way back when this team played under Stalwart. Even further back from when they played under Stalwart, actually. They did switch up some of their drop spots later on, but yeah, back to basics essentially for the squad. But a bit of a long rotate for them. I don't think they're too unhappy about it. Talking about one of the few teams that plays on this north side
গাইস
alongside
প্রেডিকশন টাইম
in
কারে প্রেডিক্ট করবা বলো
So a pretty simple rotate for them down from shooting range.
prediction
And they can play
guys
on this edge
prediction
of the map. They had a bit of a scary start
prediction
there
my
in box compound versus
prediction
Team Queso, but yeah, they were right to
আমি তো
immediately go
চাই
there.
এখন
They
এই
knew that there was a
চিকেনটা নিয়ে নেই
slot
এই
available
ম্যাচে
for
আমার
them
প্রেডিকশন
severely, which
হচ্ছে গিয়া ভাই
always is open. They could have just loaded up
আইসি
more freely.
লেটস গো তাহলে আমিও সাপোর্ট দিলাম আইএস ছেড়ে যাও
সিজে প্রেডিকশন
Moving out to the west point of it. Trying to figure out their path into
সবাই
the
প্রেডিকশন দেন
giant
গাইস আর
split across
স্ক্রিনটা
the top
শেয়ার
of
করেন
Everest.
শেয়ার দেন লাইক
ভাই
দিয়ে
আপনারা
দেন
প্রেডিকশন দেন ভাই
With Godless down towards hospital as well. Well, not quite into hospital, but down into the compounds that way. They do have quite a lot of the ground under control. This is a
রুমিসার সিদ্দিক, টিজেবি, আইএট আর নাবি এতগুলা দিলে তো হবে না, একটা দিতে হবে যে কোনো একটা।
নাবির তো চিকেনের পসিবিলিটিস আমি দেখি না ভাই, 2 ম্যান অলরেডি।
নাবি তো গন অলরেডি, নাবি যাবে
ওয়ান প্লেয়ার
এখন এই একটা প্লেয়ার লুজ করছে ভাই, সিরিয়াসলি।
কে উদ্দাম?
This is one of the, I would have preferred the circle to head a little bit further down towards the south side. I think he gives a lot more agency for some of the squads on that southern edge. But this one does cause problems where you have to just cram yourselves in either over towards North George or Creighton Apartments. And neither situations are ideal. Or you could play over towards that east side and pray that you can play off the back of some high ground to work with. Navi getting caught apart down to just one final
নকি
player for themselves.
সেই খেলতেছে আজকে কিন্তু বামতে।
হ্যাঁ নকি ভালো প্লেয়ার তো ভাই।
ফার্স্ট ম্যাচে 7 কিল করেছে।
Extracting value. Does take a little bit of damage, but should be safe on the high ground for now. Their move along the west side contested, losing a player. But as close as everything is, 2 eliminations could be a big difference maker for ASIA.
Yeah, still in the top 3, which is nice for them. Able to get ahead from Digman Galaxy with those 2 elims as well. Still terribly close though for all these teams. That third place spot seems to be one that's most hard fought over at the moment with IW, NRX and Tongji Bao streaking ahead now, 122 points and 117. I want to see a little bit more from ASIA. But they are in a slightly difficult scenario down towards the southwest side of the map, still making their crossing on the western roads. This is always a difficulty when you get a northern circle like this with ASIA, who are very firm on playing down towards the southern side of the map, even when they get playing paths that go slightly different. Here's Falcons though, up against IWNRX. This is a big fight, 2 strong teams, and IWNRX are about to prove they're further in this match.
IHC leave the top of Everest, and in their vacuum, 2 teams try to fill the void, and over the top the nades will flow. Falcons force IWNRX. Combat now along the rocky crags, healing needed to come no knocks sent either way just yet. Falcons Force and IWNRX both on 4 players. Zedwolf steps up with a DBS, eats a lot of damage from a nade, has to back off almost fully there.
MGX and Falcon
allows his team to take over.
সবাই দুইটা করে প্রেডিকশন দিতেছেন, যাই হোক আই এম স্টিকিং উইথ আইসি, যেহেতু আমি আইসি দিছি আমি এখন আইসি স্টিক করতে যেতেছি। আই এম গোনা স্টিক উইথ আইসি। এদিকে ফ্যালকন আর IWNRX এর লাস্ট প্লেয়ার, কিন্তু টুগেদার ফাইটটা না সোলো ফাইট না কতটুকু ভালো হলো আই হ্যাভ নো ক্লু। বাট থার্ড পার্টি এসে বললো 3 জন প্লেয়ার ফিনিশ, এটলিস্ট আমি আর কোনো মানে বর্ষা দেখতেছি না বেঁচে থাকার। বাট ফল ব্যাকিং which is a good decision, and point to be important for Falcon. কারণ ফ্যালকনও জানে ভাই যে এই লবির থেকে লাস্ট চান্সের লবি আরো টাফ।
হ্যাঁ ফ্যালকন only 1 man alive, তিয়ানবা চলে আসছে।
Again TJB, let's see guys, let's see যাদের স্ট্রিমে লাইক দেন নাই সবাই লাইক দিয়ে দিয়েন।
ইয়ান বেশে 3 ট্যাকল নিয়ে নিল।
বাট দ্য থিং ইজ যে আইসি কিন্তু ভাই জোনের অলমোস্ট মিডল ধরে ফলাইছে, আর ওই পাশে ফিউরিয়ার কাছে ভালো কন্ট্রোল আছে, আর ব্রিজটা ধরে রাখছে হচ্ছে গা ফেসটা।
They could have potentially got the 4. I think that still would have been a likely full reset.
টিজেবির পোলা পানি দিয়ে গাড়ি মারে ঘুরে কঠিন অবস্থা, গাড়ি অলরেডি গন। কি হয় দেখতে হবে। ফেজ অলরেডি ক্রস করে ফলাইছে, টিজেবির উপর বোম্বার্ডিং
from the eastern side and get a huge nade like that off, which instantly ends the fight, by the way. Yeah, man, that's unfortunate. But Tiamba also really needs this. They need this to stay in the running. If they can get up towards a 90-point game, not 90-point game here, but 90 points on the leaderboard after this game, they will feel much
IWNRX ভাই যদি এই মোমেন্টে এসে ঝুরা পড়ে তাহলে কি বলবো আর, দুঃখজনক হালকা পাতলা বিষয়টা।
It goes bang
हम
and
लोग
you
क्या
just
ही
see on
कर
your
सकते
screen
हैं।
those lovely red letters. 3 eliminations. You're like, what? Hang on a minute. That's great news. Goodness me. Oh, TJB, they're into the crate. South George will be our terminal destination.
Which is definitely nicer for our squads here. I think heading over further towards that northern side is just going to cause problems for teams. where you're unsure where you want to go. But this kind of securing yourself down towards that south side means that a lot more squads can have potential at a good game. Neva Galaxy currently playing on the south side of the road, which is fairly decent from where they came from, to be able to get themselves with 4 players as well. This might be time for Nigma Galaxy to step up
no way, bhai.
towards vengeance and actually picking up a lot of these eliminations coming
Nice
through.
clear যদিও
It's been a little bit
একটা player
quiet
finish
from
হয়ে
our
গেছে
tabletoppers over the last few matches, so it's about time we had a stand up from one of them.
PMGX
Nigma Galaxy
Okay.
looking to be the ones to do so here. Should be able to get the res. You'd hope so. A little bit isolated. Push down south from Incilio. They're crashing onto Vengeance. They've got 2 knocks. They know it's a weakened team. They can get out of the crates. This is a great opportunity to give themselves rotational ability into the later game, but only if they can get past the final hurdle, because that's already 2 knocks. Another one potentially in the wings and upstairs. Finally, Incilio wrest it back into control. They're 3 players and they can get the res.
Good stuff for them over on the season side. I mean, you definitely wanted to take advantage of what was going on for Vengeance there. It was a good timing to get in.
আমি খালি ভাবতাছি ভাই এই জন্য তো ওর ফোন চলারই কথা না ভাই
Nice shot over towards 676 from Westron.
ভাই ওদের তো আর আমাদের মতো এত ডাটা ওদের ইয়েতে থাকে না, তো এই জাস্ট এই ফোনটা তোমার পাবজির জন্য আর কোনো ইয়াও নাই,
সেটা ঠিক আছে ভাই
নাই, কোনো রিসোর্স তো নাই যে গেমে অনেক হেভি হয়ে আছে যার জন্য এত ল্যাগ দিয়ে।
I mean, they took a nice fast rotate from the top of Everest, right? They weren't the team that was where the fight between Falcons Force and IWNRX, where they went so quickly as soon as that north circle popped into the bridge area of South George. So
এই ম্যাচে যদি আইসি 20 পয়েন্টও নেয় সাপোজ which is very tough in my opinion কারণ সিটি সাইডের জন্য কিল পিক করার চান্সেস কম
বাট ওদের জন্য
কিছু কিছু করে লয় আর যদি চিকেনটাও তাও পায় 10 কিল 20 পয়েন্ট যদি নিয়ে নেয় 39 থেকে চলে যাবে হচ্ছে কততে 59
39 এখন তো 40 অলরেডি
2-3টা 20 পয়েন্টের গেম লাগে মিনিমাম 3টা 20 পয়েন্টের গেমও যদি হিসাব করি তাহলে যদি 60 হয়ে যায় ওরা ইজিলি উপরে চলে যাবে
down to the call coming through from Ralph as well
টপ
as
11 এ ঢুকতে পারবে ওরা চাইলে
so again, like I was saying earlier, they've had a massive
showing their skills,
IGLing as well as just cohesion within the team, because yes, the IGL can make a call, but it's not all down to the IGL a lot of time.
আইটা মনে আমি একবার এখন পর্যন্ত 0 পয়েন্টের ম্যাচ বের করতে দেখলাম না, which is a very good thing in my opinion. ঠিক আছে যে ইউ আর যেগুলা তোমার ভালো ম্যাচ যাইতাছে তুমি ওগুলা ভালো ম্যাচ কনভার্ট করতেছো, আর যেগুলা ম্যাচে তোমার ভালো ম্যাচ যাইতাছে না তুমি টুকটাক কিছু একটা পয়েন্ট লইতাছো।
হ্যাঁ ওইটাই জিরোতে যাচ্ছে না ওরা।
Knows he's allergic to those nades, but not going to be friendly. Not going to be friendly with them. Last nade in the pocket. Keeps just going short on the top of this ridge line though.
If you man, Furia 2 man আচ্ছা আরেকটা কই।
That was so close.
It really was. That was actually a very nice throw coming through from Tixi. That could have been one of the nicest nades we see here in Group Red.
আচ্ছা এই লাস্ট ডে না কালকে লাস্ট ডে
He used all of his nades, so Tixi just going.
Tomorrow will be the last day.
Yeah, I don't know.
Tomorrow will be the decider.
Other than just kind of chilling in the back lines.
You managed to pick up some more nades from that crate. Go on, get it off the pillar. That's what I want to see. Get that ankle. I meant to say angle, but I went for ankle.
TJV, let's go boys.
That's one of the sillier fights that we've had here in PMGC. Just not wanting to look at one another, see who can get that nade first, and Tixie's unable to find it in the end. Tongji Bao currently in crates over on the season side. They're pretty solid location for Tongji Bao to be.
0.8 ওহম নিছি ভাই 0.9 ওহম নিছি তিনটা, কিন্তু আমার লাগবে 0.6 0.9 এর ফ্লেভার ভালো পাইতেছি না।
It's one of the difficulties of this location that there's
0.6 যেটা ওটা ভালো
to actually place vehicles in a position where they won't have tires shot out.
ওদের এখানে তো এটাও ব্যান করে দিয়েছে বেটটা আমার জুস পড়ে আছে কিন্তু এই কয়েলটার জন্য ইয়া করতে পারতেছি না বেটটাও খাইতে পারতেছি
That might not be the worst idea in the world for FaZe. I mean, you know you
can comeback size চেও পারবে একবার রিদম পাইলে হয় ওইটাই রিদমটা ফিরে আসাটা অ্যাকচুয়ালি মেইন থিং। ঠিক আছে FaZe এখন কি করবে এটাও একটা খুবই দেখার বিষয়, কজ মেলা অলরেডি পানিতে উঠে গেছে, ওর সামনে P6 আছে। এখন মেলাকে উঠা 1v1 নিবে না টিমের লাগে ওয়েট করবে, এটাও একটা মানে খুবই ডিসাইডিং একটা ফ্যাক্ট হবে। টিজেবি এই সাইড দিয়ে ইজি এন্ট্রি পাবে জোনে, হায়ার গ্রাউন্ডটা পাবে, কিন্তু নেক্সট জোনে কি করবে এটাও হবে ইন্টারেস্টিং একটা বিষয়।
in towards those crates with some crazy sight lines all over the place. Noise goes
সুপার ওয়েব
down.
করে আবার হচ্ছে ক্যালিবান
I
GK3
think Mela's already made the decision to send out towards that west
The
side.
Budget,
fuck, man.
Play the cliff face. It's the smart decision they could go
Enigma
for
Galaxy.
here, especially when they're right on the bubble at the moment. FaZe currently 74 points.
নিগমা
1
গ্যালাক্সি
point
না ভাই
ahead
অনেক
of
কন্ট্রোভার্সিয়াল
Team
রোটেশন
K4
দেয়, কিন্তু
74.
এত সুন্দরভাবে দেয়
At
না।
risk of dropping into the bomb 5. It hurts to see these elim proportions, man. 20 elims, 43%.
বাট আইএসসি রে
contribution coming
অ্যাপার্টমেন্ট
through
হোল্ড
from
করার
Mela.
ডিসিশনটা কতটুকু ভালো হবে
Needs to
এটাই
get picked up
বুঝতেছি
by
না।
a team, dude.
জোন কাটলে কেমনে ঢুকবে?
A big shade to FaZe.
এখন আইটের উপরে জোন কাটার চান্সেস অনেক বেশি।
But you're right. I feel like he definitely has been a massive
এর একটা 30 কিলের চিকেন দরকার, তাছাড়া ভাই ইম্পসিবল ভাই।
he has a bright future ahead of
30
him.
কিলের চিকেন ইজ নট আ জোক।
30
me
কিলের
too.
চিকেন
I'm not no shade to FaZe, honestly. I just think that
ঠিক
the
আছে
current
ভাই।
team he's on, he is just outshining a lot of the other players on that squad.
বেশি
মানে
স্যার
টোটাল পয়েন্ট 39 আর এক পেজে 40
I don't
পয়েন্ট
know.
নাকি ভাই?
Maybe the rest of the team needs a little bit more time. I know that the other players are
30
good. I
কিলের
know
চিকেন
Mon
পাইলে
is a
ভাই
strong
ওর মনে আর
player.
খেলাইবো না, এবারে কইবো ভাই তুই লয়ে
Onzi's
যা
been around
ট্রফিটা,
for quite some time as
মুঝে
well.
মাফ করে দে ভাই।
It is just Mela who's doing the
এই
lion's share of
লবিতে
the work,
পসিবল
though.
না ভাই, ইম্পসিবল দিস লবি।
Kind of undeniable. They did finish 6th
10 কিল
back in
15 কিল
their
ঠিক আছে,
respective
গুড, ফেয়ার
qualification
এনাফ।
region
15
back in
কিলের চিকেন
Southeast
হইলো ভাই
Asia.
25 পয়েন্ট,
So in
নট
general,
ব্যাড।
they didn't
20
have
কিল
15
পর্যন্ত
কিলের 2
যাওয়া
কিল
যাইতে পারে ভাই, 20 22
results
শুধু
back
30
there
ভাই
either.
পসিবলই না।
They did
তাও
push
ভাই
through
20
their
22
stages
কিল
in
চিকেন
second
পাইতে
place
গেলে
and
আপনার
overall standings.
যে মানে
Really didn't come back to
মানে আপনার লাইফের ওয়ান অফ দ্য বেস্ট
এক্সট্রাঅর্ডিনারি
গেম
খেলতে
দিতে হবে
হবে,
ভাই।
এক্সট্রাঅর্ডিনারি, চরম এক্সট্রাঅর্ডিনারি,
So definitely
এক্সট্রিম লেভেলের
seeming like
এক্সট্রাঅর্ডিনারি খেলা
a
খেলতে
bit of
হবে।
a middle pack
ইউএমপির এমো বলে 312।
ওই তো
আল্লাহ,
এম্পোরার এমো কম।
now, but
হুম,
with Mela, if you can unleash him,
এম্পোর
right,
এমো
that
নাই
is where you find that value, and hopefully FaZe can figure out how to do that.
আরে
The other
আইএনএস
side of the map now, because we do have
জোন
Alter Ego
পাইছে
on the
আইএসসি।
southwest side. I think most teams right now are figuring
বাট
out
আইএসসির তো কিল নাই, কিল পিক
forward.
করতে তো কষ্ট
I
হবে।
don't think Enigma Galaxy actually has one of the
যে
strongest
জায়গা আছে ওই জায়গা
positions
তো দাম আগেই বললো,
over
কিল
on
পিক
this
করা
eastern edge.
কষ্ট
It
হবে
is
না।
really difficult
এখন
playing
ওদের
from
মনে
this spot,
মেন
but
টার্গেট হচ্ছে যে
your
অ্যাটলিস্ট
main
চিকেনটা
focus
নিয়ে,
is sort of
ভ্যাম্পায়ার
clearing out
23
হুইচ
কিল
ইজ
চিকেন
গুড।
এমপিএম ওইটাই ভাই, ওইটাই
northeast
বলতেছি
side
ভাই।
outside of
23
Craze.
পর্যন্ত যাইতে পারবে,
So this is
22
where
যাইতে
Enigma
পারবে,
Galaxy needs
20
to pop
মানে
up a
এটাই
little
ভাই
bit
অনেক একটা
and
বড়
basically
বিশাল
create
নাম্বার
space for
যারা
themselves
আসলে
on that
কম্পিটিটিভ
northeast
বুঝে।
edge.
কিন্তু ভাই মানে আপনি যে অ্যামাউন্টটা বললেন এটা ভাই কাইন্ড অফ ইম্পসিবলই ভাই।
Goes to IHC again.
না এই ভাই
Galaxy
বলেন,
also
আরেক ভাই
potential to
বলছিল,
pick up a lot of
লিমন
these
ভাই
kills.
মনে
না ওই ইমন ভাই বলছো, ওটাই আমি
ইমন ভাই
মানে
বলছিল।
ওইটাই বললাম আর কি,
Get some oversight on it.
যেটা চাইলেও মানে ধরা ছোঁয়ার বাইরে ভাই, এটা পসিবলই না।
Still, no, they're out now with that drop down. FaZe, yeah, on those rocks. TJB picking up a lot of these points. An answer back towards 6.
টিজেবি অনেক ভালো খেলে, টিজেবি লিডারের মধ্যে দিবে।
Easy reses as
তারপর
well.
আসতে হবে।
ভাই 4টা প্লেয়ার যদি 7 কিল কইরা নেয় তাও কয় হিসাব দেখেন।
Alright, going fairly low.
চারটা তাড়াতাড়ি।
এই লুং
Mela
পোলাটাই
finally
না
down.
টিজেবি রে ধরে
20
রাখে,
Valve's
বুঝছেন?
native and
খুবই
fairly
কন্ট্রোভার্সিয়াল মুভমেন্ট দেয়, মইরা যায়।
honestly.
টিজেবি
That's
3টা
in terms
প্লেয়ারের
of
কেডি দেখেন আর
accuracy.
লুঙ্গের কেডি দেখেন 0.3, লুং
I'm on
হইতাছে কি
pushing them
আমি,
as well. Yeah, it's been pretty
বুঝছেন?
awesome to watch. Mela down. I think that Tongji Bao
শেলে
likely going to try and
চদুলু
get a refresh on
ওই
some of the
পুরা আমি
replays.
ভাই,
It's
নো
working. Not
সাপোর্ট
the
এট অল।
Ethan Torres
এই
is
দেখেন
in the
এটা
win.
দেখেন
Again,
676
is
ওর
another strong
1.2,
player coming through from
ফ্লাওয়ার
FaZe.
এইচআর হচ্ছে গিয়ে আপনার 2.1
না ফ্লাওয়ার
আর
ফ্লাওয়ার কেডি ভালো মনে হয়।
Goes for the first break, catches longs. Flower is still
ফ্লাওয়ারের
on the
পিএমসি তে
beachhead.
কেডি
Longs
তাতে
will
অবিবাহের
not
কেডিতে
get to it.
বেশি।
An isolated player now. Enigma Galaxy, could they read into
fuck,
this? Could
man.
they know that it's going
मुझे
to
क्यों
break
थोड़ा ना
from
कि
the
भाई
high ground, and Tongjibao need to find another big nade. Hits the water.
मैं तो
Around the edge,
कॉम्पिटिटिव
moves
प्लेयर
over
भी
there,
नहीं।
dodges a lot of
টিয়ান
damage
বাগন
for it though. And across the beach, TJB trying to make their approach to this
बीबी लॉबी
circle.
तो
আরে
पॉसिबल,
ভাই
बीबी
সোলো
लॉबी तो भाई
সোলো
Ever vigilant, waiting for that
সোলো
rock,
তো
knows
না
that
জানা
likely he's going to leave on a blue zone, but he's already ahead of it. Ventora's out in the water. As soon as that nade goes in,
আহারে
he knows that he's not going to be there. And have to be wary. Tianba looking for a cross, and they roll straight into the barrels of Alter Ego, but only losing one on the approach means danger for Alter Ego. Fortunately, up on the wall, they've got
আল্লাহ
to handle Tianba on their
বিশাল
roll-up.
থ্রো হয়ে
No
গেছে
way
ভাই,
through.
বিশাল
The
থ্রো।
way is shut.
what
And
the
Alter Ego
fuck
hold
man,
Yeah, Tiamba had a
এনজি
really
একটা
very
কঠিন
nice,
একটা থ্রো দিয়া দিল ভাই।
over towards Team K, so
very
right now,
nice,
No net volley, nothing. Direct push and die.
Redox as he passes by this shack. That was very
আজকে
cool.
এর ওল্ড
Let's
রোস্টার
move up
পিকা খেলে
towards
না
the
এখন না
window
ভাই,
and
পিকা
we'll get shut
রিটায়ার্ড।
down, but now Snoix needs to support the rest of his squad.
স্ক্রাইরে তো মাঝখানে নতুন এসটি রোস্টারে জয়েন করতে দেখলাম, বাট ওরা দেখি নাই আমি। নো ফিয়ার ওয়াচ পার্টি করে করুক, এটা তো ভালো ভাই, সেখানে অনেক কিছু আছে। আর আমি আই হ্যাভ নো ক্লু ওয়াই ইউ গাইজ আর হেটিং অন হোরা, বাট আমি পার্সোনালি কখনো প্রিফার করি না যে আমার থেকে বেটার স্টেজে থাকা কোনো টিম যে আমি হেট দিই। ঠিক আছে, বাদ সববারে লাগে।
A little bit safer for a little bit longer. Na'Vi, though, on the other hand,
ওইটাই
hounded
যে অলরেডি বেটার,
on
হি
this
ইজ
eastern
অলরেডি
side.
ইজ বেটার,
Actually, one of the few to remain
তাই না?
healthy and living over on this north edge. And the circle still holds him in. So looking for an even higher placing. And with only 19 players left in the lobby, it is predictable that quite a few teams will be going down soon. You can see Nick Galaxy 1 player, Tongjibao 2, Na'Vi 1, Falcons 1. Team Queso, technically right now, only with a 1 player up.
And blank, there's only one team with 4 players alive. It's IHC. 1 elimination so far, but this is where you have that central circle team that starts to flex their muscles. In urban environments, it generally tends to happen a little bit later because you don't need to expose yourself to as many angles in these built-up finishes. Which means that going in towards stage 7, that's when you expect
ফ্যালকনের এখনো সোলো প্লেয়ারটা বাইচা আছে। আইসির এই ম্যাচটাতে যদি কিছু পজিশন পয়েন্ট নিয়ে আসতে পারে ফ্যালকনের জন্য, যেটা কত বড় বুস্ট হবে। এখন আইট অলরেডি 4 কিল নিয়ে নিচ্ছে, আপাতত জোনের সামনে ওদের একটা কম্পাউন্ড আছে, ওই কম্পাউন্ড পর্যন্ত ইজিলি খেলতে পারবে। আমার মনে হয় অ্যাপার্টমেন্ট আর এই তো 6 কম্পাউন্ডের মাঝখানে যে ওপেন স্পেস, ওই ওপেন স্পেসে হাই চান্স আছে যে জোনটা পড়ার। কারণ এখনকার ম্যাক্সিমাম জোনই হচ্ছে কি এখন আপনার সেন্টার বেস্ট হবে, যেহেতু এটা একটা পিএমসি জোন। আর এই সেন্টার বেস্ট জোনে আইএসসি কঠিন অ্যাডভান্টেজ পাবে। টিম কোয়েসর নেক্সট জোনে মুভ দেওয়ার চান্স, মুভ দিতে হইব। মুভ দেওয়ার সময় কি করে, আল্লাহ রে আইসি মরে গেল রে, কিছু করার নাই। আর কই যাইব বলে, এত দূর আনছে এটাই অনেক। নাইস ট্রাই ভাই।
We're still kind of just counting them out from making it in.
টিজেবি আবারও কনসিস্টেন্ট খেলতেছে, এক পজিশন পয়েন্টও নিয়ে গেছে, 6 কিল পয়েন্টও নিয়ে গেছে। দেন আপনার হচ্ছে কনসিস্টেন্ট যে ম্যাচ, ওটা বাইরে অলরেডি হয়ে গেছে টিজেবি, বুঝছেন?
নকি দিয়ে দিছে গডলেস নক।
লাভ নাই, এই নকে ক্যাপিটালাইজ করতে পারবে না, এই নক ইনস্ট্যান্ট রিভাইভ হয়ে যাবে। ঠিক আছে, তো এখন ওভারপিক করে এখন আইট যদি নক খায় যায়, আমার মনে হয় আইটার সমস্যা হবে। এই এখন কার উপরে পুশ করবে এটাও দেখার বিষয়, এর সামনে অনেক ওপেন স্পেস আছে। ঠিক আছে, রেড মলি ওয়েস্ট করতেছে, নাইস ভাই। রোজম্যারিরা বলে বেঞ্চ করে দিছে ভাই,
He'll be super lucky to get
no
another shift on
way.
the circle. But for Na'Vi, Six knows just how much getting a top 5 would mean to them as a team. Just needs to survive a little bit longer. They actually take a knock in the center of all the teams that could have happened to. They have a pretty wide split on the hold right now. And I think coming into stage 8, there is going to be some very quick movements, and IHC are going to have to be on the ball. And during that shift, already they're having to send a player out from one of those outposts just to get that res off. I think it was a very bad time to be peeking.
I think in general, though, Rogue was very likely going to have to regroup here anyway, with the players on the west side.
আইট জোন পাইছে, এইও জোন পাইছে, আপাতত জোনের বাইরে হচ্ছে টিজেবির একটা প্লেয়ার আর হচ্ছে টিম কোয়েসো। টিম কোয়েসো মনে হয় না ওই সোলো প্লেয়ার পাবি পত্র ঢুকতে পারবে। তাহলে এই কিলটা কি গডলেস পাবে না কে পাবে? আমার মনে হয় কেউই পাবে না, ওই কিলটা ডিনাই করবে। ইয়েস, গুড ডিসিশন,
on that north side. They know that Six wasn't really going to challenge them, and now
এটা আমাদের দেশের প্লেয়ার হইলো ওই জোনে ঢুকতোই, ওর কথা জোনে আমি ঢুকতে পারমু ভাই, বিশ্বাস কর। আমি হচ্ছে গা ইনভিজিবল ক্লোক ভাই। টিজেবি আর এনজিএক্স এর এখন ফাইট করতে হবে, কারণ এনজিএক্স এর প্লেয়ার রাউফের পুশিং করতে হবে। আমার মনে হয় না পুশিং করতে পারবে, কারণ অ্যাপার্টমেন্টের থেকে প্রেসার খাবে, প্লাস টিজেবির থেকেও প্রেসার আছে। নেক্সট জোনে টিজেবির আবার প্রেসার আপ করতে হবে ইন ফ্রন্ট অফ আইসি। আইসি এখনো জোনের সেন্টার পজিশনে আছে, হুইচ ইজ এ গুড থিং। বাট নেক্সট জোনটা এখন কোন দিকে মানে আসলে শিফটটা দেয়, এটা হচ্ছে কি সবচেয়ে মেইন একটা দেখার বিষয়। স্টেজ 9 এর পরেরটা স্টেজ 10।
Team Case are out.
ভাই
ASA
এইবার তো আর মনে হয় কোনো জোন নাই ভাই, রাইট?
over on this south side.
নো জোন।
Again, a team that had a long
সেন্টারের দিকে
way to go.
ঢোকাটাই
They
এখন
are
হচ্ছে মেইন
very good
জিনিস।
at finding these openings.
আইসি একটা জায়গায়
Equally
শ্রিঙ্কিং
effort.
করছে, which is very good.
They really
ফিউরিয়া
Hi,
কিংম্যান
hi.
on their push
আইসির
over.
কাছে ভাই
Fury
এখন ভাই এটাই আইসির ম্যাচ ভাই,
Felt a
Then
কিন্তু
little
who
আইসির
bit
কাছে
dies?
কিল মাত্র
honestly,
একটা, এটা
and
হচ্ছে কি
now
একটা
round
সমস্যা
That's
এখন।
okay.
tricky
কিল নিতে
scenario.
যায় যদি এখন হাঙ্গ্রি হয়ে যায় তাহলে একটা
চার
ঝামেলায়
কিলো
পড়ে যাবো।
4 কিলের চিকেন নিলাম আমরা।
আমার কথা ভাই, একটা চিকেন নে, মোমেন্টামটা একবার
চিকেন
বুস্ট কর,
হ্যাঁ
তোদের ওই ক্যাপাবিলিটিস আছে যে তোরা পারবি ভাই, বুঝেন নাই?
ভাই ফিউরিয়া
এখন
2
ভাই
ম্যান এই দেখায় দিচ্ছে পুরা পিছন থেকে।
জিওল ফল ব্যাক দিয়ে দিল, এটা কতটুকু টিজেবির স্পেস দেওয়া কতটুকু বেটার ডিসিশন হলো নোক টু, অথবা এখানেও আটকে দিতে পারতো। এখন আইট ঠিক আছে, ওরাও আগায় এসে পড়ছে। নেট করতেছে টিজেবি ভাই, প্লিজ ভাই প্লিজ ডোন্ট ডাই ভাই। আহারে আহারে
against TJB, tournament leaders, 7 elims, but only 2 players to play with. Ziol has to hold face. They're on this 2-2 split flank, so it is essentially a protracted 2-2, and I think this is the right choice, right? Just regroup, play the middle.
Yeah, it's still
Nice
unreal
try.
that Pong Jabao is
At
still in
point,
this game
at
with
point, but
7
not bad,
eliminations
guys.
as well in stage 9. Like from the spot
এখন
they're in,
আইট
they
বলতো
can
এস
push
এস
forward.
আইট
It's going to be ASI8 who is the big problem, but a name
আইট
like
ভাই
this could
অনেক
cause
কনসিস্টেন্ট বাল
disaster for the two players making their way in. Catches
ভাই
the one on the back lines.
প্যারা নাই
And that
কিল
is
পেয়ে
a
যাবে,
lot of
কিল
damage
পেয়ে যাবে,
gonna
অল গুড
help
ভাই, অল
by
গুড চিল
Alter Ego on the outside.
পাপি
But
চিল ভাইয়া,
any placements upwards for IH for
একলা একলা না
Pong
সোলো
Jabao,
ফাইট
they're
না,
happy with.
নাইস নাইস ডেমো
Goes the last player from ASI8, that's IQ.
ভাই 2v4
IHC
ফাইট
taking shots out towards the window,
ইজি,
and that nade goes on in. It's going to be TJB to take
হাই
another point
পসিবিলিটিস
here.
একটা
Fourth
7 কিল
man.
চিকেন ডিনার হইতে পারে।
2 players from
Throw
TJB
this stuff.
now looking to move in on the ground floor. A high nade up from
এই
Furia. You
গ্রুপে
retouch
আয়া
the
আমি
cross
একটাই
from
প্রেডিকশন
not
দিলাম, ফার্স্ট
isolated
প্রেডিকশন,
enough. They're gonna
এবং
have to
এটাই
knock
ঠিক
down
হইতে
the
যেতেছে
Ziggs
গাইস।
that found this
বেটার
devastating
জানতে
বেটার ভাই,
beautifully
ইয়ে ইয়ে
hold off TJB for a moment longer.
ইয়ে
আমি সাপোর্টটা না দিলে তুমি এই চিকেনটাও পাইতে না,
On the
ঠিক
outside,
আছে?
can't quite get it done.
বুঝেন নাই ভাই,
Furia, the
বুঝেন
last
নাই,
to stand in the
যাক
way.
ভাই,
ওইটাই কইলাম,
হটলেসের মুখে
সাপোর্টটা
হালকা
না
পাতলা একটু
দিলে
হাসি ফুটছে ভাই, দেখতেও ভালো লাগে ভাই, পোলারি হাসতাছে ভাই, এত প্রেসারে খেলতাছিল।
গডলেস মাশিন।
And an outside chance of jumping up to that survival stage. Furia, they're kind of in the middle now though, and IHC with Demo and Ziol need to worry. In they go across the hallway.
Finally.
As he steps in, Furia goes down first. The
Finally, guys,
not
IHC
so quick,
chicken.
but the DBS still a difficult challenge. IHC are up to it.
Yeah, he was lost in the smoke there. He had no idea where he was in the end. Needed a map to figure out where he was inside.
নিশ্চিত বলতেছে ওয়াটার রিলি,
But at the end, it will be IHC. And you
বাট
can see they
ফিউরিয়া
don't
ভাই সেই
look too
খেলছে ভাই,
elated with that win. It's
সিরিয়াসলি
fair enough.
ফিউরিয়া
That
ওয়াজ
is the
গুড।
first footstep on
যেখানে
a
আর্লি দুইটা
long
ম্যান লুজ করার
journey
পরও
ahead
ওরা
of them
হ্যাশট্যাগ
to
2-তে
get
আসছে,
into a
দ্যাটস গুড।
survival stage and a firm
কিলো
position
পিক
to do
করছে।
it. But first game, it'll do the trick. They have 2 Miramars after this and tomorrow to make it happen. And with a lot of our teams still stumbling around that 11th place barrier, you know, there is still a chance for IHC, although it is a very, very long way away.
Definitely a great result for IHC. Let's head back over to the desk before we get stuck into Miramar.
Finally, the team who won PMGC last
Demo.
year has a decent showing, but obviously they did finish this out. Georgia is exactly where they dropped. That's a little bit of the caveat I'll give, but for them to make the right decisions, Max, I'll let you go into that. Obviously turned it into a game-winning match.
কি জানতে সিজন তো মেরাতে ইয়া দিল, অফার দিল।
এখন আইসিরে কোয়ালিফাই করতে কেউ আটকাতে পারবে না ইনশাআল্লাহ ভাই।
They're level to bits, and they said that super early. Yeah, it's their best location. It's a fair thing.
ভাই গডলেস
And
বেচারা
they go there super early, and
554
the
ড্যামেজ
moment
দিছে
I
ভাই,
saw the
ভাবা
circle
যায়?
going north, I was super scared. Like, IHC, I
54
know how to
ড্যামেজ
play.
দিয়ে একটা
You're gonna
কিল
hold on
ভাই।
to that position for as long as you possibly can. But no, for once, Jason,
আরেকজনও দেখো না, ডেমো
early,
দেখো,
went in a position they
933 ড্যামেজ দিয়ে 3 কিল।
অনেক ড্যামেজ ভাই, বললাম না আমি যে সিটি জোনে আপনাকে ড্যামেজ দিতে পারবেন, বুঝছেন? কিল পা অনেক টাফ, কারণ সবাই আপনার কিলের একটু একটু করে হিস্সা নিয়ে যায়।
যাক অ্যাটলিস্ট ভালো ডিসিশন নিচ্ছে যে ওভারকমিট করে না, জোনটা ধরেই থাকছে।
Man, I mean, this was it was so good to see IHC and Fudia like right there at the end fighting each other in a game where they really needed it. I mean, we got 2 Miramars left for today, and they still got a lot of work to do. I mean, you saw IHC. They got the chicken dinner, and you didn't see a pop-off celebration because they know, like, all right, yeah, it's about time. You know? And that's a terrible feeling to have in their situation. I'm glad they got this win, regardless of whether you want to make the
godless
circle or whatever.
Frozen.
Right? They just needed it. They needed something to go their way. It finally did. But is this just a start, right? Or is it just you know a one-time thing, right?
You look at a Fury right there, the great previous game, they followed it up with a second place here on this game.
So
definitely a little bit of momentum. We're just hoping to
Westron.
now. That's going to be the big
IQ. Gustavo. Demo.
Because you look at their damage rate. I think only one player would have been knocked realistically. The 3 of the players, they didn't take enough damage to get.
Yes, guys.
Quite rough, but as we go through the
জানতে তুমি মিয়া খেলা বাদ দিয়ে কোচ অ্যানালিস্ট হয়ে যাও ওইটাই ভাবতাছি রে ভালো কোনো টিম থাকলে কোয়েন তো ভাই যে যেই টিমের অ্যানালিস্ট লাগবে টি2 টিম স্যালারি ম্যালারি দিবে ভাই আমি একটু টাকা পয়সা কামাই ও করে একটু হেল্প হইলো লেট মি নো ভাই যদি কোনো টিমের কোচ অ্যানালিস্ট লাগে
There was something else I wanted you to actually kind of talk about, Max, that I don't think you hit on necessarily, is the way they regrouped in those buildings for IHC.
Nice.
Yeah, that's so yeah.
Nice.
Everest regroup for the early game, but also the late
nice,
game was pretty solid because we said it. They sent it in the residential area. They hold 3 of those apartment complex buildings, which again,
ছেলেটা ভাই
to hold on to.
আমরা সাথে PMGC খেলছিল ঠিক আছে ছেলেটা ভাই অসাধারণ একটা ছেলে
so they're like, okay, we go from holding 3 of those buildings to now 2. And they do the 2-2 split. And then they see TJB breaching the eastern building. Let's regroup in the center building. And then look at this. Because of that, they get the perfect angle to completely eradicate.
ভাই TJB একটা জিনিস কি যেটা বুঝলাম আমি ভাই এত দিনে মানে এই কয়েকদিন খেলা দেখে সেটা হচ্ছে TJB অনেক ভালো অ্যাডাপ্ট করতে পারে বুঝছেন তো আপনি যত ভালো অ্যাডাপ্ট করতে পারবেন এই লবিতে তত ভালো এমনিই খেলতে পারবেন তো TJB অ্যাডাপটিভ একটা গেম প্লে আছে যার কারণে হচ্ছে গিয়া মানে ওদের পারফরম্যান্স আস্তে আস্তে
I thought you were going to say the viewers.
Yeah. I mean, they are because they're watching a clinic being put on by TJB. By far, the most successful Erangel run we've seen in this tournament, Max. You agree?
Yes. How can I deny that? The thing is, it's not even just their being successful, right? Where's Nigma Galaxy? Where's IWNRX?
I take it to a বিষয়ে আপনার অপিনিয়ন
points this game is still decent, but the contenders here are falling behind.
ভাই আমার যেটা অপিনিয়ন সেটা হচ্ছে গিয়ে ভাই যে
chilling tomorrow and they will still
টিম সব সময় আগে আসে ঠিক আছে এখন আপনার টিমে কত বড় প্লেয়ারই থাকলো না কেন এটা ম্যাটার করে না যদি আপনারা এজ এ টিম পারফর্ম করতে না পারেন সো ক্রিপ্টো থাকাকালীন সময় আমার কাছে যেটা মনে হচ্ছে সেটা হচ্ছে ফালাক আর আইকিউ ওদের বেস্টটুকু শো করতে পারে নাই তো ক্রিপ্টো যাওয়ার পরে যেটা করতে পারতাছে তো আলাদা একটা প্রেসারে খেলতে হয়তো ওই সময় যেটা এখন খেলতেছে না সো আই থিংক it's good for both কারণ ক্রিপ্টো হচ্ছে কি ভালো একটা টিম বানাইছে which is Last of Us esports ওখানে হচ্ছে গুস্ট ব্লেড এরপরে ছোট এরা সবাই হচ্ছে ওয়ান্ডারফুল প্লেয়ার সো আই থিংক দুইটা টিমই মানে i8 আর হচ্ছে ক্রিপ্টো এরা হচ্ছে যারা যেখানে আছে ওরা ওখানে বেটার বিলং করে সো আই থিংক whatever happened for good
I worry for those teams so much.
i8 দুয়ে চলে গেছে নাইস
You just know you're
আইটার কিল পয়েন্ট TJB থেকে বেশি I like it I like it brother
tomorrow
facts
I think honestly
কিন্তু IWNRX যে হ্যাশট্যাগ সত্তা বাইরে গেল এটা তো সমস্যা আর TJB তো কঠিন লিড লাইতাছে ভাই
I gotta agree it's going to be an absolute showdown tomorrow. I mean this is getting too close especially with IHC and Fudia pulling it out right here at the end Max. I mean it's going to be an absolute bloodbath tomorrow. I mean this is going to get so close. The only thing is that TJB if they win these next 2 matches first place is locked down. That's going to be for sure because these guys are just absolute wrecking balls right now.
Yeah, it's so close. It's a tiebreaker too between Nigma Galaxy and IWRX. Tiebreakers are going to be a thing, Jason. Until the end, we know it last year, and it might happen again here.
Yeah, it might not have been Group Yellow this year, but it definitely could be Group Red with the way it's going. I mean, TJB almost 20 points in first place. i8 able to rejoin the top 3 as IWNRX the team to fall out of top 3, which is quite surprising. And to be honest, you even have Falcons kind of knocking on that door as well. They're only 13 points behind, so we could see even Falcons jump into top 3 here just in 1 match, let alone 2 matches to come up.
Yeah, they're going to be able to jump up. Just to take it back to IWNRX is like we were saying, oh, it would be so cool.
একটু আইজিলিং করতেছে
But
হ্যাঁ ভাই আমার কাছে মনে হয় যে আইজিএল এমন একটা রোল, এই রোলটাই যখন আপনি আসবেন না তখন আপনার মধ্যে একটা আলাদা একটা রেসপন্সিবিলিটি আইসা পড়ে,
they don't have those super
বুঝছেন?
valuable chicken dinners for those tiebreakers. So
তো
scary, but here we go.
এটা অনেক রেসপেক্টেবল একটা রোল হোয়াটএভার আই থিংক, কারণ আপনার ভিতরে যখন
IHC, they're still at the bottom, but
ভাই
they
আমার কি
can
স্ট্রিম অফ হয়ে গেছে
technically
ভাই?
reach a way better spot at the end of today if they do well on Miramar. So they're not too far behind now. They can make something happen.
Yes, they can. And I said it. They needed to finish out the rest of the games today with
Hello,
really
everybody.
solid
Hello.
matches if they want to be in that rundown. They do not want a 20-point gap going into tomorrow because there's too many teams.
আমার স্ট্রিম থেকে ভাই, আমার স্ট্রিম থেকে পোলাপাইন অটো বের কইরা দেয়, বুঝছেন? যার কারণে আমার ওয়াচিং আসে না ভাই।
The group of death.
We don't
অটো কিভাবে বের করে দেয়?
এই আমার ফোনে কানেক্টেড আছে, তো আমার ফোনে একটু পর পর দেখায় যে আমার স্ট্রিম অফ হয়ে গেছে, তো আমার ইউটিউবে আরেকটা ভিডিওর দিকে নিয়ে যায়, কিন্তু আমার স্ট্রিম কিন্তু চলতেছে। এই যেমন 75 ওয়াচিং থেকে এক ধাক্কায় 19 ওয়াচিং আয়া পড়লো, কারণ আমারও ওই তো আরেকটা ভিডিওতে লয়ে গেল, ওকরেও মনে হয় আরেকটা ভিডিওতে লয়ে যায়, এমনি হুট করে ওয়াচিং কমে যায়, বুঝছেন? এর লাগি আমি রিচ পাইতাছি না।
just to see like 10 placement points and
বাট এটা কেন হইতেছে?
kind of insane.
এটা তো আমার আইডিয়া নাই ভাই।
নেটওয়ার্ক ইস্যু।
36. They're almost the last team when it comes to fragging power, just barely.
হ্যাঁ এটা আমারও দেখাইছে, কারণ মাঝখানে বলছিলাম না জানতে স্ট্রিম কি অফ হয়ে গেছে নাকি?
আমারও দেখাইছে।
It was just purely based around macro, which that is the complete opposite of what I expect from an IHT squad, right?
Yeah, I don't know what IHG's been doing lately. I mean, every single game I see them rotating like extra late, like in from the blue zone, trying to be able to find a way in, and they're just getting denied every single time, like just running into a stop sign. And I want to see it different. I hope they realize that, hey, you know what? Yeah, we got blessed in this circle. We made it work for us. We got to find a way to get into those center positions, or at least, you know, even off center a lot earlier rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, a late rotates does not show to me that you are an aggressive team. I'll tell you that much. We saw even on Osanok, they could have rotated super early, but they keep delaying it, and it puts them in such a trash position, to be completely brutally honest here. So I'm like the fact that they were quick this game. We have to keep in mind, of course, that this might be a bit biased because the circle was on Southern George, and that's where they drop. They love that kind of area. They know it like the back of their hand. What happens next if they get a circle completely away from their drop spot? That's the big question for me. Are we going to see them speed up the rotates, or are they going to go back to what they were doing before this chicken dinner? And if they do that, then I'm losing hope right now. I hope this is going to be the big change that we needed to see from IHC going forward.
Yeah, speaking of change, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm about to say, speaking of change, one person we need to see a change from, or at least one team, is Alter Ego, dude. What are these guys?
লাস্ট টু মিরামার আইছে আরেকটা চিকেন।
A quick report with the 7WG as Alter Ego has made a big change in their roster for the rest of the day. Rosemary is
Your blame TJB in day one now says something. Brother, I did not blame TJB. What I did was I motivated TJB. So now they heard me, and now they are performing. You should be thanking me, and TJB should also give me some money because I am the reason they are performing well.
Final match perform. What happening?
Final match perform what happening?
জার্সিটা তো সুন্দর ভাই।
I almost wish we could cut to your camera because I'm pretty sure there's a tear rolling down your face.
আজকে তো আবার এনআরএক্স পয়েন্ট বের করতে পারতেছে না।
I just looked at the stats. I was like, please, I want to stay on Copium for the rest of this tournament. But Alva has been realistically the top fragger and top performer of the squad. And
আইসির জন্য যতটা ডিফিকাল্ট ওদের জন্য অতটা ডিফিকাল্ট
at the
না।
start of today, looking at the stats, so he's been having a really bad time. Even Hans, that we know, Jason, looking at the spring season, Hans was just an incredible fragger for Alter Ego. Sure, they didn't qualify to be
Remember, TJB extra coach is equal to Dante. Exactly.
Seeing those
you guys should never forget why TJB is performing well. It's me, man.
I get why they would want to do a change.
সুন্দর একটা আইডিয়া
always an
IWNRX এর ওই যে হাতুড়িয়াটা দেখছো না?
Rosemary, Jason, one of the people call him one of the best players in SCA.
ওদের জার্সির মতোই। আমি চিন্তা করতেছি নেক্সট জার্সি মানে হাতুড়িটা বানাই দিন একবার আমাদের।
ভাই একবারে ই দেন না ভাই, ফুল সেট একটা কিট বানাই দেন না আমাদেরকে। অভি ভাই
ওই যে আসুক, ও যে ইয়াতে গেছে কি যেন বলে তোমার হানিমুনে গেছে, হানিমুন থেকে আসুক, আসলে পরে বানাইতেছে ডিজাইন যায় না
না না ওটার কথা বলতেছি না ভাই ফুল কিট বলতে কি কি বুঝাইছি বলেন তো
ট্রাউজার
ঠান্ডা আসতেছে
জার্সি
একটা ট্রাউজার হ্যাঁ
আর
একটা
একটা
ট্রাউজার ওটাকে কি বলে
হুডি
ভাই ওই ট্রাউজারটারে ওই তো নিচে যে একটা ইসের মতো থাকে
কিসের মতো?
কিসের মতো ওই যে এক্সারসাইজ করার জন্য যেগুলো পরে ভিতরে ইনার
ওই ভাই আমি এখন একটা পয়রা আছি ভাই এটা কি জানি কয় ভাই ওই শীতকালে পরে না পোলা পাইন নিচের দিকে হচ্ছে কি আপনার বাতাস ঢোকে না
ও নিচের দিকে এলাস্টিক টাইপ আর কি ওই যে
ওই টাইপের একটা একটা জার্সি আর একটা হুডি আর ওইটা থেকে হাতের ওইটা ভাই বুঝতেছেন কি হইবো ভাই আমরা তো ভাই ফাড়ালামও ভাই মারে বাপ বুঝেন নাই ভাই পারফরম্যান্স আর মারে বাপ বাপ হইবো 100
না হাতুড়ি এটা সুন্দর লাগছে এটা দেখি এটা ডিজাইন করার চেষ্টা করেছি
বিগ বিগ শাউট আউট টু ইউ আবিদ ভাই ওয়েলকাম টু দ্য স্ট্রিম আজকে স্ট্রিম তো আজকে টুর্নামেন্ট একটা আছে টুর্নামেন্ট ফাইনাল 15k 8:30 থেকে গাইস তো অবি ভাই আপনি তুই করেন না আমার কথাটা চিন্তা ভাবনা করে দেখেন বুঝেন নাই
আচ্ছা আমারে তো তাকি ভাই ওভারলে দিছে 8:30টা লাইভ করবানি
লাইভ করার পারমিশন আছে 8:30টা আর টুর্নামেন্ট ফাইনাল লাইভ করা কতটুকু জাস্টিফাইড হবে এটা বুঝতাছি না
টুর্নামেন্ট লাইভ করো
স্ক্রিমে লাইভ করো টুর্নামেন্ট তো করো না লাইভ খেলাটা আরেকটু স্টেবল হোক টিমটা একটু স্টেবল হোক প্লেয়ার আরেকটা লয়াল হই তারপরে করো প্যারা নেই বুঝছো সিজে
বুঝছি
হুদাই আর খেলাধুলাও ঠিক নাই হুদাই একটা আজেরা কোনো কিছু না কয়েও জানো বাংলাদেশে কন্ট্রোভার্সি হয়ে যায় তুমি এখন অনেক ইয়াং আমি চাই না তুমি ওই ভিতরে পড়ো টিমও আসো A1 yes ইমাদ ভাই চ্যাম্পিয়ন চাই ইনশাআল্লাহ ভাই #5 এর মধ্যে থাকা ট্রাই করব ভাই আইসি ভাই আমার প্রেডিকশন ভাই এইবার হচ্ছে গিয়ে IWNRX অবি ভাই প্রেডিকশন
না আমি আইএসসি ফুল সাপোর্ট টু আইএসসি নাও আইএসসি ওর এগোনে
এই ম্যাচে হইতাছে নোভা নাভি কি কই নোভা বলে ভাই নাভি
জানি তোমার চোখ খালি নাভিতেই যায় বুঝো নাই সার্কি শালা
নাইটিংটি নামে
Circle goes out to the east side. It keeps Al Azhar in. That is their home territory. IHC is goodness me. IHC as well will be
ভাইয়া টুর্নামেন্ট টিম রানের চিপায় আরেক ফোনে ম্যাপ স্ট্রিম রাখা বলে খেলতাছে
not a bad position for IHC and we said that this is a team that
কেডা আমি তো এদিকে চুরি না এদিকে আসলে নয় দুই ভাই ফুল ডিটেইলস ইন ইনবক্স প্লিজ
if they can get themselves another chicken dinner I think a lot of teams have been limping through quite a few
পানি দেখি কখনো জোন হয় পিএমসি তে ওয়াটার সার্কেল হয় বাট দ্য থিং ইজ ওয়াটার সার্কেল লাস্টের টাইমে আইসা ল্যান্ডে আইসা পড়ে তো ওয়াটারে কখনো সার্কেল এন্ড হয় না আপনার কিছু না কিছু ল্যান্ড থাকবেই ঠিক আছে
in first place. Here's the performance right now for Enigma Galaxy between day 1 where they're averaging 5 eliminations per match. That has dropped down to just 3 eliminations now in day 3. So you can see that the drop off a little bit here for Enigma Galaxy, who were on top of the world over those first 2 days.
They are still in that top 3 though, but you're right that an EMEA 1-2-3 looking less likely as TJB continue to keep pace with, well, outstrip everybody else's pace, keeping pace
what
with
the fuck
135. The current
আমার বউ আমার লেখছে সারাদিন পাবজি নিয়ে বিজি
week they broke records getting 225 points in their group stage week. I feel
ভাই এটা কি দিলি আমারে ভাই তুই নাইট উইং
to make a push that far
ইনবক্সে দেন তো ভাই
capable of being
কি
within
দিছে
reach of that 200 point boundary.
It depends, man, because from their glow up day to now, I think the
I mean for real ভাই
is somewhat ridiculous. If they're able to
আসলেও
I wouldn't be surprised over
Wow,
8
man,
matches that they
wow.
can maybe catch that. But it
জি
is
ভাই,
a tall
এটা যদি
ask.
আসলে সত্য প্রমাণিত
I'm just
হয় ভাই,
saying with
মান
how
ইজ্জত
they're
যা
currently
ছিল
playing,
সব
you know,
যাই হোক
back to
ভাই।
back to back, just game after game after game in those top threes. Yeah, it's wild that we've even reached this stage. And with that, for the top 5 elims, Zed Wolf really was on top for quite a while, and now Flower
এই যে আমার
has
আবার
gone
স্ট্রিম
to
থেকে
be
বের
at
করে দিছে।
24 elims total.
Which is kind of a nutty result. And then, I mean, you even go down to third, right? And you look at IQ, the drop off of 4 elim difference down to the next place there. Big stuff from ASIA. And I mean, we talked a lot more about them in day 2, I feel like. And rightly so, that was really a massive day for ASIA. Coming into day 3, it hasn't been as loud for them, but they're still up in that second place. They're still getting into these late game circles. I mean, we saw them in that South George finish, right? They were still up and into the game late, getting, I think it was a 3rd place. Does Tiamba lose a player to IHC, actually? Continue to add points to their tally. First blood is drawn here as teams start to move into the east. Yeah, I mean, ASI8, I feel like they had massive pop-offs, but they are still maintaining consistency where teams like IWNRX, like maybe
বুঝলাম না, বাইর করে অন্য ভিডিওতে নিয়ে গেছে। এক্স্যাক্টলি ভাই, এটাই আমি বুঝাইতেও ট্রাই করতেছি যে বাইর করে আরেকটা ভিডিওতে লয়া জায়গা, এটা কারণটা কি?
I think it has been unfortunate for both Enigma Galaxy as well as Na'Vi.
আজকে লাইভে মনে হয়
The coach is right.
এটা শুধু আজকে না, বুঝছো, এটা আমার রেগুলারই হইতাছে। এই কারণে এই কয়দিনে আমার রিচ অনেক কম ইউটিউবে।
I think we saw this exact
এমনি ইয়েও করতেছে, মাঝে মাঝে লোডিংও দিতে।
না, লোডিং দিচ্ছে, স্ক্রিন দেখাচ্ছে, হুট করে অফ হয়ে গেছে, বুঝছো?
ওইটা বুঝছি, মানে এন্ড হয়ে গেলে যে পরে অন্য ভিডিওগুলো আমিও দেখছি।
really just haven't had many like northwest shifts on the circle or even just western shifts in general.
না রে ভাই, স্টারলিং ছাড়া আর অপশন দেখি না আমি। বাংলাদেশের ইন্টারনেট প্রোভাইডার এত শীট, এরপরে সবকিছুতে এত বাগ ভাই, আর ভাল লাগে না।
Make sure they keep control here over on the north side of Impala, a little bit further up the coast on the high ground.
IHC slowly back.
আপনি রিঅ্যাকশন দিলেন কি নিয়ে এরকম?
Not really too many teams close by.
আইটের নামে অ্যালিগেশন আসছে জি, আইটের একটা প্লেয়ার রানের ভাজের ভিতরে আরেকটা ফোনে ম্যাপ স্ট্রিম চালায় রাখে। এখন আইট এটার জন্য হচ্ছে ওয়ার্নিং রিসিভ করছে, ঠিক আছে? এখন অন্যান্য টিম আবার পিটিশন করতেছে যাতে আইটে ডিসকোয়ালিফাইড করা হয়।
I think it's on that south side. They're a little bit out of the way.
মাত্র একটা পোস্ট দেখলাম,
Down towards that southeast side, they do have a
কিন্তু ডিলে থাকে না ভাই, মানে স্ট্রিমের থেকে
it's more phased.
স্ট্রিমে 15 মিনিটস ডিলে।
Heading over towards that northeast side right now.
তাহলে ম্যাপ বেনিফিট কেমনে দেখবে যদি ডিলে থাকে?
ভাই ডিলে তো আমাদের এখানে ডিলে ভাই, ল্যানে তো আর কোনো ডিলে নেই।
আচ্ছা,
স্ট্রিম দেখো,
ডিলে তো সব অনলাইনে।
না ওই স্ট্রিম
কারণ তোমার যে কোচিং প্যানেল আছে, এই এই ভিডিও তো দেওয়া হয়, ম্যাপ ফিট তো দেওয়া হয় কোচিং প্যানেলের জন্য মেইনলি। কারণ তুমি যে মোমেন্টে ম্যাচ খেলতেছো ওই মোমেন্ট হচ্ছে কোচিং যে প্যানেলটা আছে এরা হচ্ছে তোমার ম্যাপ ফিট দেখে তোমার রোটেশন এন্ড এভরিথিং তুমি কি করতেছো ওটা দেখে ওরা ফাইন্ড আউট করা ট্রাই করে। তো অ্যাজ ফার অ্যাজ আই নো এখানে কোনো ডিলে থাকার কথা না, টুকটাক কিছু
কিন্তু
ডিলে হতে পারে।
প্রত্যেকটা ইয়ের পিছে একজন করে থাকে না, ওটা তো চেক করে, বা আমি যতটুকু
ওইটাই
জানি
ওইখানেই কট খাইছে, কট খাওয়ার পরে একটা ওয়ার্নিং খাইছে। এখন এটা কতটুকু মানে ভ্যালিড এটা আমি জানি না,
আমিও মাত্র পোস্ট দেখলাম,
নিউজ এটা আমার আইডিয়া নাই।
কিটসুনে দেখে কি যেন কইলো,
so expect to sweep through Tierra Bronca to the east side of El Azahar and potentially coming up the coastal road and into contact with IWNRX.
Yeah, for IWNRX, it's not a bad spot to be in for them at the start of the game. It's nice and tucked away, but I think the biggest change we'll see from IWNRX here is that they're already making a breakout towards that western side. I think in a fair
guys prediction
in Group
দিয়ে
Red,
দেন,
IWNRX has been fairly passive
it's
over on the
high
east
time
side
to prediction guys.
but this time I think they're realizing
আমার প্রেডিকশন ছিল IWNRX ওই জোন ছাইরা আরো ভিতরে হান দেয় পুটকি মারা খেয়ে গেছে। আর
নাভি কিন্তু ভালো পজিশন ধরতে পারবে।
তুমি দিছিলে না নাভি?
আমি দেই নাই ভাই, আমি এখন দিতেছি ফ্যালকন।
তোমার প্রেডিকশন তো পাছা, এটা আমরা জানি মাহি।
ফ্যালকন যাও, আমি চাই ভাই ফ্যালকন ফাইনাল কোয়ালিফাই করুক ডিরেক্ট।
অফিশিয়াল পোস্ট কি দিছে এটার? আই হ্যাভ নো ইনফো।
Big news for everybody who sent Central. Fantastic for Na'Vi. look at that approach they can make now. It's so free and clear. You can play on that east ridge line of El Azahar, take up that high ground position nice and strong. Enigma Galaxy, they need to move fast now because the teams in the middle will start to sort themselves out and make that approach. They have a big opening, but it's going to close in the next minute.
Yeah, for both those teams, it is going to have to be an unbelievable speed up, like pedal to the metal here for both squads to get into position, because this is a golden opportunity for them. Falcons as well were quite happy with this because they were just closing in on the circle to try and break in on that western edge, and now are rotating alongside with Ghetto Roy, who again, they play on that north side, and they have quickly identified a strong position for themselves. So I think for Enigma Galaxy, they are slightly late to the party. Na'Vi, on the other hand, this is a golden opportunity for them.
Really, really big stuff.
Falcon মরতাছে ভাই আপনার টিম
The compound that's just beyond it.
কেডা নিছে Falcon?
Both very, very valuable areas. We'll see if Na'Vi are able to take control. Falcon's Force and Vengeance, both sort of the blockades right now for teams moving up towards the north. IWN in a really good position out towards the East Coast Road. Everybody from Impala going to be looking to move through the ground on this road. So if IWN
এটা কোন চিপা ভাই? কিরে এটা কোথায় যাচ্ছে চিপা? ও বুঝছি।
এলহাজারের এখানে
কি বুঝছি তো, এটা হইলো আপনার ইসের দিকে এল আজহার এল আজহার সামনে আজহার এটার সামনে ভাই বিশ্বাস করো আইছি টপ 11 ঢুকে যাবো।
Vengeance be able to put the team into a horrible situation and kind of take shots like fish in a barrel.
I do find the fish in the barrel.
টপ 11 থেকে বাইরে যাবে হলো আপনার আইএনএস।
যদি না বেরোয় তাইলে টিজেবি ইমেজটা ভালো বের করতে পারবে যদি
নাভি ক্লিয়ার করতে পারে। ভাই সবাই মনে হচ্ছে টিয়ান বা ডমিনেট করবে, এই যে টিজেবি কি খেলা দেখাইতেছে।
This has been cruel heading up towards that north side. A lot of
Two Chinese team
on that southern edge. But it's good.
135, 119, 117,
just like Federal. আমার মনে হয় ভাই মেলারে হচ্ছে কি এখন কিশোর না মেলা আর নুবি অনেক ডেডলি একটা কম্বো, একসাথে থাকলে অনেক ভালো করতে পারতো। কি টিমটা ছিল ওদের ভাই, মেলা, নুজি, গটটুনি, লোগান।
গটটুনি মানে টনি কেনা?
আরে না রে বোকাচোদা, দা গটটুনি গটটুনি আবার টনিকে কইতে।
না আগে টনিকে ফেজে ছিল তো তাই বললাম আর কি। প্রথমে তো ফেজে তো টনিকে ছিল।
রয়ের খেলা এক জায়গায় এসে বসে ওই জায়গাটা নড়েই না।
ও একটা কম্পাউন্ড ভাই, ওরা লিডও খেলেন
প্রত্যেকটা ম্যাচেই। আইসি মারতেছে।
What could we do here on the potential next shift?
পুরা লেমন হচ্ছে গিয়া ভাই,
yeah, we can get a strong position.
পুরা আমি ভাই থাকার সময় আমি আর মারার সময় হচ্ছে গিয়া ভাই,
then we're going to be one of the few teams
যেমন ভাগে তেমন মারে ভাই।
Tongjibao, yeah, again.
এই যে আবার আমার আরেক ভিডিওতে লয়ে গেছে।
অফ হয়ে গেছে স্ট্রিম।
অফ হয় নাই, ওই তো অন্য জায়গায় নিয়ে গেছে।
মানে এখানে দেখাচ্ছে অফ। কাজ যেটা কিন্তু কন্টিনিউয়াস প্রসেস, হ্যাঁ যাদের এমন হবে সাথে সাথে রিফ্রেশ দিলে হয়ে যাবে।
হ্যাঁ রিফ্রেশ দিলে বা স্ট্রিমটা কাইটা আবার টুকলে ঠিক হয়ে যাবে।
কাটার দরকার নেই, রিফ্রেশ দিলে চলে।
দুইবার হলো সেম প্রবলেম ভাই, সেম প্রবলেম আমার নিজেরও হইতাছে ভাই। এই যে আমার ভিউয়ার 35 আইসা পড়ছে, এখন এটা কেন হচ্ছে? এটা কি কারো কোনো আইডিয়া আছে এটা কেন হয়?
তোমার কি কোনো টাইম লিমিট দেয়া আছে স্ট্রিমে যে একটু পর্যন্ত কন্টিনিউ হবে?
প্লিজ ইউজ এ কি ফ্রেম frequency of 4 seconds or less. Currently keyframes are not being sent often enough, which can cause buffering.
The one thing that does worry me is that for Na'Vi is how suspecting are they of a team coming through on that north side? I think they they're one of the few teams that did break through onto the north side when they came from La Compradilla.
Currently
So I wouldn't be surprised to see them.
টিজেবি টিজেবি
I think that they just need to be aware in a lobby like
তিয়ান বা
this,
দেখি
it's
এফডব্লিউ
entirely possible for a team to make a bit of a quirky
Spanish টি
rotate
পুরো
over towards
FW
the
ই
side
গেলে
of the
ভাই।
map.
It's all about being prepared for it. Handling every
No,
eventuality.
wait, ঠিক আছে? ঠিক আছে?
I thought that nade was going to do it.
IC requirement alive.